Prologue. Wahahahaha, muahahaha, nuahahaha. Today, in front of this pile of ashen substance, Moi went insane. Until moments ago, the pile of ashen substance was the owner of this store. Despite Moi's brilliance, I was careless. I underestimated the special ability of this ashen owner. Moi couldn't possibly have predicted that you could spend a fortune in an instant. The substance that was once the owner of this store spoke to Moi, whose face was covered in Moi palm. Wah, Vanir-san. I felt that this was the right decision. The quality of these goods goes without saying, so it can sell. It will sell. This pile, who was still speaking nonsense, was a lich, the top-class undead, and was also the magic tool store owner. Wiz. Like hell, these expensive stones will sell. In this penniless town of newbie adventurers, who would buy these? Moi refuted the useless owner, who spoke in an inaudible voice, whilst looking at the mountain of stones piled at my feet. These stones, known as manatite, could be used as a source of magic power, and are a consumable that any adventurer might carry. However, manatite usually sells well, but Moi does not understand your sinful desire to buy this much top-grade manatite. Why would anyone buy this manatite priced at millions of eris apiece? Even if someone wanted to buy consumables like these, they would rather buy magic scrolls which anyone can easily use. Such was the situation. A single stone on the ground was equal in value to hundreds of magic scrolls. Wiz, who had now fully recovered, clumsily stood up and said, This is top-grade manatite. As long as it is kept in good condition, someday a passing great magician will come and buy it all. Where would you find such an idiot? Look at what you've done. Those were funds intended for establishing a casino in town that would have been leased for profit. Just the other day, Moi plundered a great fortune from reselling the intellectual rights and objects of a certain brat. Those were meant to be invested towards the next step, but now. You useless shop owner. Why? Why is it that the harder you work the more indebted you become? Could you not think of a way to remove that curse? I don't think I'm cursed. Damn it, why is it that Moi must try to profit under this shop owner whom this world considers to be wonderful? When you were still human, you were at least a well-known and supposedly charming human. Wiz, Moi will give you some pocket money, so go on an adventure for about a decade. During that time Moi will make this place the #1 store in Axel. Don't try to abandon me. Also, I don't want Vanir-san, who wears a mask, to be called the beautiful shop owner. Not only does that detestable goddess, but even you too look down on Moi mask. The Duke of Hell that sees through everything. The great devil that is a general of the demon army. Moi, whose name was once feared, was now a struggling breadwinner. To think that when the shop owner was human, she and Moi were evenly matched. Wiz, whose face was still covered in ash, lowered her shoulders while sighing and said to Moi, There is no problem, Vanir-san. For myself, who is a lich, and for Vanir-san, who is a devil, there is no concept of lifespan. As long as we continue to work hard, the day will come where this will be the #1 store in Axel. No, let us make it our goal to become the #1 store in the world and work hard. The #1 store in the world. If Moi was the store owner, then this would not be impossible. At that time, as pledged by the contract, I will use my great fortune and magic to construct the #1 underground city as a gift to Vanir-san. Moi looked at the spirited and determined Wiz. Damn it, this store owner's worst trait was her innocence. It can't be helped. For Moi dream, and for the strange lich who brings ruin when left unattended. I don't want to achieve that goal alone, I want to achieve it with comrades and friends. I will work hard and think of new products. If only a little, Moi will work harder. Then let's look at the item catalog, Vanir-san. Look at this. I feel that this will be popular in the future, let us try it. Chapter 1, Today at the Consulting Center Part 1, Wiz's Magic Tool Shop. The establishment was located at a place that could only be called the ideal street. In a way, the store was considerably famous in Axel, the town of rookie adventurers. Vanir-san, I wanted to apologize for my bulk purchase of manatite. I will work without sleep or rest in order to make up for it. Since I'm a lich, I won't die even if I don't rest. That was just an exaggeration, if I really don't rest at all. A large reason for the store's fame was because the store was owned by a beautiful and powerful former adventurer. Nay, Vanir-san, stop being so moody, I will work hard from today onwards. Even though the situation is like this, I'm actually quite good at shopkeeping, you know? Of course the manatite incident happened, but my speciality is getting rid of inventory. When I went to the grocer, the Ojizen there said, Wiz-san, your face looks rather pale today. Even if you don't have money, you shouldn't be eating pickles every day. Please take care of your health. And gave me a radish. However, the greatest reason was, Nay Wiz, where did you get this bunny toy that keeps jumping around? I'm just a bit curious. As expected of Aquasama, her eye for value is great. This is a magic tool called the Toad Killer. There have been a lot of giant toads near the town recently, right? So you can put this in front of the giant toad, and then the Toad Killer's quick maneuvers will make them appear to be worthy prey. Then once the magic tool is swallowed, the blast magic sealed inside will cause the toad to explode int. Amazing! If we have this, then we wouldn't ever be scared of those wicked toads. I know, right? The price of this magic tool is 200,000 eris. This way we won't have to be scared of the toads even during their mating season. By the way, the reward for slaying a giant toad and selling its meat was 25,000 eris. The greatest reason why this store was famous. It was that the owner was a collector of useless junk. Such was this owner's sense for products. If it can slay that powerful enemy, then it will surely sell. I don't have any money right now because I bought Emperor Zell, but I can try scrounging Kazuma-san for some. Please do, Aquasama. I have faith that Kazuma-san will come to understand the wonderfulness of this magic tool as well. Moi stopped the work at hand, and looked at the store owner and the abominable blue-haired girl, who carried the same level of sensibilities as the store owner. The racketeering goddess who has nothing better to do but come to drink tea, please refrain from expressing any suggestive words or actions, our indebted owner will misunderstand. What are you doing here anyway? If you have so much free time, go and pester that poor brat. The girl, who drank tea and played with a bunny toy, seemed like a goddess for a fleeting moment. The reason Moi thought she seemed like a goddess was due to the divine light that shone from her, but after observing her words and actions, Moi did not want to believe that she was the fated enemy of devils like myself. Why? I haven't caused any trouble in this store recently, right? And it's not like this deserted store has any customers today anyway. As for Kazuma-san, he said that it is too hot outside and became a shut in using freeze magic, you know? Since he won't come outside at all before the weather cools down, I have a lot of spare time until then. Honestly, Moi did not want to admit that this was Moi's fated enemy. Anyway, what were you doing just now? The blue-haired girl put the junk in her hands on the desk and looked beside Moi's hands. Beside Moi's hands was an incomplete document. Beside Moi's feet were paper balls made from documents containing forsaken ideas. Moi is crafting new ideas. After all, my wishful plans were shattered at the hands of this tea house owner. Actually, if we continue like this, we may be unable to pay next month's rent. In the worst-case scenario, Moi would have to work in other stores. Since you claim to be a goddess, could you please bring guidance to this splurging store owner and Moi? Perhaps it was because this blue-haired girl had too much spare time, but since she involved herself in this matter, Moi decided to ask her without expectation. To call me a self-proclaimed goddess, are you trying to provoke me? Your desire for God's knowledge for your selfish benefit and convenience is wishful thinking, but since you begged for it, I will tell you. What would you propose we do? Please do enlighten me, Aqua-sama. Whilst Wiz was begging the blue-haired girl, Moi lifted Moi's face from Moi's palms in response to her unexpected answer. Fufu, then listen carefully. Since a goddess like myself has descended into this world, it is only a matter of time before the Demon King is defeated. As a result of the peacetime afterwards, the population will gradually increase, and after centuries, there will eventually be a lack of land. Then, you can sell land for a huge profit. The key to profit is land. Now hurry, go and buy lots of land. This can only be done by immortals like you too. Amazing, Aqua-sama, that is a way to make massive profit. Vanier-san, land. Let's buy land. If you own land, you would have to pay taxes. And, where would the money come from? Would be the response of an inelegant straight man. Thus Moi instead speechlessly stood from Moi's seat. There is no need to rush, Wiz. I don't only have one strategy for making huge profit, there are still many more, you know? I have one that would only take a day's time. Beyond that, I have several that would only take a short time to make a large turnover. I want to know, please tell me about those strategies, Aqua-sama. For the sake of sanity, Moi escaped the noisy store and moved outside. Part 2, HM. Not long after leaving the store, while brainstorming new business strategies, Moi spotted an incident occurring through the corner of Moi's eye. Oi, you have a cute face, Oju-chan. Say, want to come play with us? He, we'll bring you to an interesting place. In a deserted alley, two youths tried to pick up a young girl. This scene could be seen anywhere, but the tone in which the two youths said their pickup lines was unsettling. Put it another way, the two of them didn't seem like the type of people who would spit those words out. Either way, they seemed like plain youths you could find anywhere. There was also a toad-faced boy who hid himself behind a wall and closely observed the situation. And it looks like this blonde-haired boy seemed to be prepared to run in and save the day when the timing was right. Though this suspicious blonde-haired boy drew Moi's curiosity, the girl that was entangled in the situation caught Moi's attention. The crimson-eyed girl carried a short sword and wand at her waist. She, who commanded great magic power, who was born a magician, and was given a weird name, was without a doubt a crimson magic clansman. Me. Did you just say, come play with us? I am not really cute. Being with me is boring, I think. Do you really want to play with me? The crimson magic girl, who seemed troubled by the sudden proposition, lowered her head and mumbled in a low voice. When the youths heard her reply, they let off a dumbfounded expression. We didn't really mean that. No, you really are cute. Let's play together. Please play with us. I know a good store nearby. We can go eat there, and then the three of us can go to the movies afterwards. The two youths spoke so excitedly that their unnatural tone of voice disappeared. In response to this unexpected situation, the boy hiding behind the wall hurriedly rushed out. Oi, you bastards sure are courageous now. Don't forget your job or I'll kill you, he said as he ran to the side of the girl and the youths. After the two youths hurriedly left, only the crimson magic girl and the blonde-haired boy were left. The blonde-haired boy, whose eyes were seething hatred, showed an eased smile. That was dangerous. You were lucky I passed by, otherwise you would have been in trouble with those two beasts, you know? Seeing that the girl didn't understand what he said, the blonde-haired boy quickly explained. Basically, I am your benefactor and your hero, get it? If you understand, then let's eat somewhere together, your treat. Let's go, there's a good store near here. Come on, hurry up. Hey, what's wrong? Hurry up and come. Wait, stop, please stop. I will scream for help. If I do, you will be in trouble. Moi approached the carefree brat from behind, and kicked him square in the back. Gwa. What the heck do you think you're doing? Are you trying to provoke me, you? Who are you? For real, where the hell did you come from and when did you get here? The flustered boy, who was kicked in the back by Moi, retreated several steps back. At the same time, the crimson magic girl readied her wand. Devil. That evil aura and that suspicious mask. This person is definitely a devil. From the magic power that protrudes from your body, you must be a top-class devil. Moi could not help but be impressed with the crimson-eyed girl that determined my true identity with a single glance. Ah. A top-class devil? What about it? I am a famous adventurer in this area. I won't be scared of a mere devil. You can call me Dust, Devil Boss. By the way, I don't have any money, so if I give you my boots, could you let me live? Moi could not help but be impressed with the gold-haired boy that reversed his attitude once he knew that Moi was a devil. With a Crimson Magic clansman as my opponent, it seems that Moi's real identity cannot be hidden. What is it? Moi means no harm. Moi name is Vanir. The Duke of Hell known as the devil who can see through everything. Vanir is Moi name. Part 3. After persuading the Crimson Magic girl that Moi meant no harm, the three of us went to an empty area where no one would disturb. So like Moi said, Moi works part-time at a store in this town. Moi's affiliation with the Demon King's army is a thing in the past. Now, Moi meets routinely with the nearby madams to do idle gossip, enforces the rules for trash dumping, and is called the Crow Slayer Vanir that drives crows away from dumpsters. Moi is a model citizen of Axeltown, so you have no reason to be hostile towards me. Moi understood. Crimson Magic Clan Girl. Moi completed the account of Moi life in Axel until now, and shifted Moi gaze to the person who would go next. The delinquent who introduced himself as Dust, crossed his arms and released a deep breath. So it was like that, huh? When I was sent flying by this strange guy, I was wondering what the heck was happening. Let me reintroduce myself from the beginning. My name is Dust. As you can see, I am an adventurer. I am quite famous in the city. If you have anything troubling you, you are welcome to talk to me. Dust? Through Moi eye that sees through all, I can tell that this was not his true name. You can usually find me drinking at the Adventurers Guild, and I occasionally try to teach the weaker adventurers there. By the way, I don't have a girlfriend. About what happened just now, where I tried to dashingly save you from delinquent A and B but instead cowered in front of Boss Vanir, please don't say anything about it. As long as you don't report it, I am willing to pay with my body. I'll say it one more time, I don't have a girlfriend. Despite Moi's doubts and him having said words like, I saved you, to that Crimson Magic girl, Dust tried to retain his appeal of mystery. Was I saved? To be honest, I thought those guys were acting strangely from the beginning, and from the timing at which Dust-san showed up, wasn't it a staged event? Said the Crimson Magic girl timidly. The subject of delinquent C's staging aside, it seems that in the end, it is instead Moi that saved you from delinquent C. Moi will not force you, but if you wish to return the favor, you may pay me in cash. By the way, if thou does not report this incident, a curse of being unable to make friends shall befall. Stop. Even though it's the first time we have met, how could you pinpoint the curse that I would hate the most? Cried the tearful Crimson Magic girl. After the Crimson Magic girl clamored briefly, she regained her posture with a cough and took a step back. Then, she flipped her cape and drew her wand with a serious face, putting up a pose. My name is Yun, an arch-wizard that wields advanced magic. One of the top mages of the Crimson Magic clan, and the one who will be the next village chief. Are you provoking me? No, you are mistaken. Facing Dust who put on a serious face, the flustered Crimson Magic girl, Yun hurriedly flung her hands in denial. Pua ha 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 ha. As expected of the clan of naturally born weirdos. Stop. We are not a clan of weirdos. This is the official way to introduce yourself in the Crimson Magic clan, so there was no other choice. TL, insert image, http://imager.com/5u9yn8d. As Yun tearfully protested, Dust spoke. So, on such a nice afternoon, why would you wander into a deserted alley in your spare time? Because no one passes through that alley, I would work with people there to try to pick up girls. Although this town has good public security, if you wander into bad places, you're bound to meet bad people, you know. Says you. At least you've admitted that the incident was staged. In either case, to be able to call that a pick-up is quite impressive. All the people I know are weird. So, I thought that if I went somewhere normal people won't go to, I might meet someone I knew. What do you mean? So what you were trying to say is that you were wandering pointlessly in that place hoping for a chance meeting with someone you knew? Regardless of whether they are a friend or an acquaintance, it would be better to just meet them directly. In response to Moi's words, Yun hurriedly shook her head. How? To go there without any notice? What if they were busy? Also if I show up suddenly, they would say things like, if you have nothing important, don't come here, and then they would hate me. If it was as you said, what time? Would be alright to go meet that friend? Whilst Moi was considering that, the boy who was least related to the term friend, said something unexpected. Really, the heck is this? You don't even have a friend? Then it can't be helped, since I have free time as well, I'll help you make some friends. Despite his delinquent appearance, could he unexpectedly be a decent man? While Moi began to doubt my ability to judge character despite having eyes that see through everything, Yun turned and looked curiously at Dust. This is the first time we've met, so why would you do that? In response to Yun's doubts, Dust said. For the sake of you making female friends. If you make cute female friends, introduce them to me. Please return the little appreciation I had for you back. Today too, Moi's clairvoyant eyes are in good condition. Alright. So let us think of how this lady with thin luck could somehow make a friend. Perhaps this is fate as well, so Moi will help. Well, if you can make a couple friends you can repay this debt with money. Don't forget my favor either, remember I want cute girls K? Is it okay if I leave? Part 4. Together with Yun who had an insecure expression, Moi was seated at an open-air cafe. There, at an organized placed and stylish table, we initiated our strategy council. Then, a waitress approached Moi to take our order. Welcome customers, have you decided on your orders? I'll just have water. I don't have any money. In response to Dust who opened his mouth to say such things, the waitress temple moved irritatedly. Dust-san and Vanir-san, I owe you 2 favors, so I will pay your orders. What would you like? Though Moi was unsure whether Yun cared about the waitress or Dust, she passed the menu along. Taking the menu, Dust said words like, "Oh, sorry," whilst examining the contents. This man showed no resistance to the letting a girl younger than himself pay for his meal. Moi opened the menu and looked through. "Humph. Miss, what dish would you recommend?" In response to Moi's words, the waitress showed a great smile and replied, "A recommendation. Here, this wild mushroom spaghetti is our store specialty," said the waitress as she pointed to at an image of a spaghetti dish. "Come on, this tastes really good. Wild mushrooms are also in the best season, you know." "That right. The harder it is to catch it, the better it tastes. This is the season's recommended dish." "Then Moi will have a cup of plain water." The waitress' terrible expression was delicious. Excuse me. I will have the recommended spaghetti dish." Yun hurriedly ordered the wild mushroom dish, and the waitress, who seemed to be at her limit, replied with a "Yes, madam," and placed the order. Continuing to view the menu, Dust said, Oi, what is up with this store? It doesn't even have alcohol. What a disappointment. Since there's nothing good to drink, I'll have a cup of water." "I'm sorry. I'm very sorry my companions have caused so much trouble. I'm so sorry." Dust and Moi had cups of water placed in front of them, whilst Yun appeared to be reigning in anger as she waited for her dish to be served. As of now, the meeting was unsuccessful. If anything, it was because Yun had rejected all the plans Moi set forth. Dust expressively crossed his arms and said, "Then how about this? First, I will find somebody who looks weak and cowardly. I will bring them into a dark alley, and then I will harass him. When I do, you can appear and—" "We can't do that. Why is it that from the beginning, all the suggestions are staged acts?" Although Moi thought that Dust's suggestion was a good strategy, it seems that it won't work either. "Then, first, Moi will transform into a girl of your age. Then I will shed the appearance and make it a clone doll. After that, you can give the Moi who looks like a young girl a name, and bring it around wherever you go as a companion." "No. Not only doesn't solve anything, people who look at me with that doll will have the impression that I'm a dangerous girl. This won't work either, huh?" Then, Dust suddenly started making a fuss. "Vanir, boss. Could the boss make it have any appearance? Then, for example, you could make a clone of a naked pretty woman." Hey, I'm just joking. I'm just joking, so don't look at me like that." Under Yun's scornful gaze, Dust's expression abruptly froze. "However, what should we do about this? What type of friends do you desire anyway? Do you have any minimum requirements?" This was something that must first be established. For example, even if they were of the same age and gender, she could have specifics like, "Someone of this personality would be better," or other requirements. If possible, I would like them to be of the same gender. And no. I wouldn't ask so much. As long as they are someone I can walk alongside and talk with, it doesn't matter if they are a child or an old man. If they aren't human, then it should at least be something that understands what I say." With her fists held over her knees, Yun showed a serious expression. What is it? Why are you two looking at me with pitying gazes?" As Yun protested in tears, the waitress arrived with Yun's spaghetti in hand. Speaking to the waitress, "Hey Nei-chan, this might seem sudden, but be this girl's friend. She's not a bad person, she's just clumsy and thinks too much of her surroundings." Stop. It's alright. Even if I don't have many friends, I will be fine. As long as I have Othello and board games, I can pass the time alone, so it's alright. A while ago, I put a poster at the Adventurer Guild's bulletin board looking for companions. Even if no decent people respond to it, I have already given up. So I will be fine alone." Yun, who trembled in embarrassment, tearfully stopped Dust. "Adventurer Guild's bulletin board. Bulletin board? That's it. Moi has a wonderful strategy. This will not only help the Crimson Magic Lady who has nothing but plans for friends, as well as Moi who has been thinking of ways to earn money. I don't only have plans for friends once, I had human friends as well." You didn't object that idea that you had plans for friends. Also boss, what about me? You said it would help both sides, but I'm being excluded." Ignoring Dust's playful retort, Moi quickly stood up. "The lady from Crimson Magic, let us go." Oi boss Vanir, will I also make female friends?" As Dust followed behind Moi, Yun hurriedly stood up. Wait a moment. I haven't eaten the spaghetti yet." While saying that, she followed. "Customers, the receipt." Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Part 5. We finally arrived at the Adventurers Guild. Pushing open the guild doors, Moi solicited the first guild employee Moi spotted. "The lady over there. Moi and the hard-working worker of Wiz's magic tool store, Vanir. I have a request for you." Vanir-san. What brings you here today?" "This is the gathering place for adventurers who fight the Demon King army day and night. So it's best if you don't come here." As she cautiously surveyed the area, the employee whispered strange words to Moi, who was a model Axel citizen. "Moi doesn't understand what you mean, but this is the Adventurers Guild, right? The gathering place for people who help citizens that are going through difficulties they cannot resolve themselves. Thus, the weak and powerless Moi would rush to this place if troubled. It is what Vanir-san is saying that I don't understand, but I'll let it be. You're here to place a request, right? Any task that would actually trouble you of all people, we clearly won't take. For requests like slay the magic dragon or repel the demigod, you're better off going to the Adventurers Guild at the royal capital. Why would a plain citizen like myself have such a ridiculous request? Either way, Moi did not come here to place a request, rather, it is the opposite. Moi would like to borrow a corner of this guild." To Moi's request, the employee returned a blank expression. Moi will repeat one more time. Moi wishes to borrow a corner of the Adventurer Guild's tavern. Why would Moi suddenly come to say such things? It is embarrassing to admit it, but Moi is working a part-time job, as the magic tool store's business is not going well. Of course I know that already. As expected of a guild employee, news came quickly for them. Well, actually, as our store has no decent products as of now, Moi's presence in the store would make no difference to sales. If the store keeps functioning as it is now, the monthly rent will go unpaid. So before I can find a new product to sell, Moi came here for a personal request. Having listened to Moi words, the guild employee was on the verge of tears. That was natural, as what Moi asked for was to be able to accept requests without having to rely on the Adventurers Guild. Of course, the guild would not allow the rules to be broken like that. But, you want to say, if you want to accept requests, then why not become an adventurer, right? However, while Moi cannot indulge the reason, there are various complications. Moi has a fatal complication that will not allow Moi to become an adventurer. The fatal complication, I of course understand. However, if Vanir-san also wants to accept requests, then, if all the monsters are hunted to the extent of ecosystem destruction, then Axel will lose its ability to foster beginner adventurers, so if possible, I would like you to refrain from that. Why would you assume that Moi would destroy the monster's ecosystem? I say this many times, but Moi am merely a model citizen. Moi would not do something so ridiculous. To the employee who had been speaking ridiculous things, Moi straightened Moi posture and continued with the main topic. The superiors at the Adventurers Guild likely already know about this, and to forbid you from saying anything about this may feel strange. But don't be frightened, okay? Moi actually has a pair of eyes that sees through anything, that has the special ability to see a target's past and future. Of course I know that already. Part 6. Give me a break, Boss Vanir, aren't you going a bit fast? Ha, ha. Don't leave me behind please. To the two who arrived here late and were ignorant of the situation, Moi explained the recent turn of events in an excellent mood. After hearing what Moi had to say, Yun tilted her head and asked, Consulting center? What kind of consulting center is it? Ha, as expected of boss, you've thought this thoroughly. Whilst Yun inquired curiously, Dust unexpectedly understood Moi idea. What are you talking about? To think Dust-san would understand before me, I can't help but feel a little shocked. Hey, what are you saying with such a calm face? Alright, listen in. You want to know and meet people. Then, Boss Vanir is starting a consulting center. Hey, got a hint now? You see, for a fee boss will introduce you to wonderful people. So like instead of a marriage consulting center, it's more like a companion consulting center. It seems like he didn't quite understand. No, I wasn't planning to do anything of that sort. What Moi plans to do is, so even outside the Crimson Magic Clan there are wonderful places like that. I will pay up. No matter what the fee is I will pay, so please help me meet some good friends. I feel like a companion consulting center may work as well. What Moi plans to do is an even more honest business. That is, a consulting center where troubled residents of this town could come to. By using the power of foresight, Moi would solve the problems which the adventurers could not. However, if Moi power of foresight was used for easy profit, it may result in an unpredictable outcome. The misuse of this ability could have great consequences. But if Moi uses this power to help those in need, then the reward would naturally be the payment, and the backlash of the power could be minimized. The requests that the Adventurers Guild receives don't necessarily have to be slaying dangerous monsters. The requests that the muscle-headed adventurers cannot resolve, Moi will easily be able to. Actually, the Adventurer Guild's employees once, with a large compensation as the condition for cooperation, requested Moi to gather information and assist in the capture of a high-bounty criminal. The contents of the request was to locate the hiding place a masked thief group hiding in this town. But for whatever reason, even with Moi's powers, Moi has not been able to locate their hiding place. As attempting to foresee any details was too blinding to Moi's eyes, Moi gave up on the search. It was at that time that Moi realized that using this power for easy profit was not a viable methodology. For the profits that Moi reaped from that brat to be exhausted by Wiz, it may be a consequence of using this power. Well, leaving that thought aside. First, I will need to solve the troubles of people here, and become a well-known fortune teller. Then what would come after that you say? Once Moi acquires the trust of the people of this town, Moi will then without using Moi power, tell them things like, this month's lucky item is a defective product from Wiz's magic tool store, it will bring unexpected results. I see, the boss sure is clever. That isn't clever at all. In the end, isn't this just another staged scam? Also, what does this have to do with my search for friends? What are you grinning about? To the uneasy Yun who retreated several steps, Moi could not resist smiling and said, Thou, who art a lost customer, as the honored first customer, Moi shall tell your fortune free of charge. Part 7. In the corner of the Adventurers Guild, Yun became nervous under the focus of curious gazes. Welcome to the consulting center, lost lady. Thou art the very first customer. No matter what your problem is, please tell without reservation. Thyself will do whatever Moi can to resolve it. At the corner of the guild, on the table of the makeshift consulting center, was a crystal ball Moi brought from the store to create the atmosphere. Whilst the crystal ball wasn't necessary, Moi rested Moi hand on top of it, and drew the attention of the adventurers towards Yun, who stated her troubles. I want friends. What? Please speak in a louder voice, the people around us can't hear, can they? To the red-faced and teary-eyed Yun, who inaudibly whispered, Moi prompted her to repeat what she said. Yes, Moi had placed her in the spotlight. By purposely making her the first customer, Moi would be able to solve the problem under the attention of the masses. If Moi could gracefully display the ability to solve problems from the beginning, then Moi would be able to secure a sizable amount of customers in the future. I want friends. What is this? You want friends? Moi see, being alone is painful. Very well, through Moi power, thy problem shall be solved. Amazing boss, to reveal that kind of trouble in front of this many people. Yunyun's eyes have already lost her spirit. Even I won't be able to perform such a cruel public execution. The surrounding adventurers who heard this exchange fired sympathetic gazes towards Yunyun, whose eyes were dead and whose body stopped moving. Perhaps she was suffering too much. A taste of the greatest of negative emotions. Moi will settle for this much. Let's see, thy bright future shown by moi power is. Future. Please don't stop, what about my bright future? It's making me super anxious. Yunyun, whose eyes were dead a moment ago, was now gripping Moi's shoulders and shaking repeatedly. Now settle down, lady whose future Moi would not want to look directly at. From what Moi sees, you are a high-level adventurer. While not comparable to the nuisance of a store owner who has too much free time, to have so much power at your young age that even Moi would struggle to see through is quite great. Since we first met, you have only said terrible things, so it's rare for you compliment me. But I heard you say, lady whose future Moi would not want to look directly at, and not mention what to do about it at all. Whilst Yunyun continued to shake Moi considered the next course of action. To be unable to see through was beyond Moi expectations. No, Moi was able to at least confirm that she would soon make a friend. Nah, I'm just slightly curious. Vonnier boss said, at your young age. So what's your age right now? By the way, I'm 18 years old. If our ages are really close, I won't mind becoming your friend. Who her friend would be, and with what trick this friend would be made, Moi was unable to see through. Ah, I just turned 14 this year. So you're just a little brat outside my strike zone. Even though I could say that your body is quite developed, return my efforts and time. Little brat. I was called a little brat by some delinquent adventurer I only just met today. Although I'm like this, I'm quite powerful, you know. During the recent Kowloon Hydra hunt, I had a lot of achievements. If you want to talk like that, then I achieved a lot as well. When the other adventurers were cowering away, didn't I bravely charge in alone? Although I won't describe my condition after that in this place where people eat, I have been resting my body in order to recover ever since. Moi sees a flash. You said you achieved a lot, but during the Kowloon Hydra fight, I didn't see anyone like you. I didn't see you achieve anything notable either. Oi, you too. Moi has thought up a wonderful idea. This idea, unlike the other ones, requires no excessive amounts of effort. Yes, the way to solve your problems is close to you. Moi said to the two who began fighting as Moi was thinking. What is it? Please tell me, Vonnier-san. To Yunyun, whose eyes were filled with expectation, Moi said. The two of you can just become friends. I refuse. Even I should have the right to choose my companions. You. Although I thought you were hesitant and weak-hearted, you just said that so straightforwardly. Bring it on, you little brat. Yunyun brought her wand to a ready stance and proceeded to threaten Dust, whose veins had popped up visibly. Well, even Moi understand that idea was rather unreasonable. This man is truly terrible, however. If you want to be so picky, then you cannot complain. First, you should practice associating with others. Practice. Even though it's practice, this person is a bit. Alright, come at me, you little brat. I will make you understand how it is like when an adult becomes serious. Hey aha. Dust, who seemed like he would attack any moment, suddenly started screaming. Oh shit, how could I have not thought of that? I have, yes I do have, even I have female friends. Dust, who suddenly shouted such things, kicked the chair under his feet. You two, come with me for a moment. I have a good idea. YUNYU. NANDM OIB REFLYGLANCEDATEACHOTHER. ANDCHASEDAFTERDUSTWHOHADHAS to YRANOFF. Part 8. We were guided to a pretty-looking inn. Dust, whom Moi was following, rushed inside and shouted, Rin. Is Rin there? Though the customers of the inn seemed annoyed at the shouting, we continued to look around the inn. The first floor of this inn seemed to be a cafeteria, and Dust soon spotted his target there. The person in question gave the impression of a female mage. She was probably around 1 to 2 years older than Yunyun. The girl who was called Rin, flusteredly rushed to Dust and said, What are you doing here so suddenly, Dust? I won't lend you money or become your guarantor, alright. If you want me to, at least pay back what you owe me first. That's not it. We can talk about that later, right now I have different request. As Dust spoke, he nudged Yunyun and Moi to the front. Oi, Rin. This is Yunyun, someone I know. Yunyun, this is Rin, one of my adventuring companions. As Dust continued to speak, the person called Rin continued to loudly crunch on vegetable sticks. Where I have seen this person. Ah, I remember now, isn't she the one who always goes solo hunting? As she said that, she looked intently at Yunyun. Yunyun, who was being stared at, shamefully lowered her head and wordlessly nodded her head. Then, she slowly and softly mumbled. Hello. Seeing the interaction of the two, Dust spoke up. Hey, your ages aren't too far apart, right? Rin, if it's fine with you, could you become friends with this cheeky brat? I see, this man had, albeit rarely, thought of a normal way. Yunyun's face expressed embarrassment, but her eyes glinted with positive expectations towards Rin. Rin continued to crunch on the vegetable stick. Don't want to, what are you even suggesting? Yunyun immediately ran off, leaving only tears behind. After Yunyun rushed out of the inn. Why you? What the hell did you say all of a sudden? To a loner with tiny expectations, who would say things like that? Even I can't take that lightly. Dust, who stood confused momentarily, began to lash out at Rin. Wahaha. Boss. This isn't funny in the least. Dust flustered turned towards Moi. But as a devil how could I not laugh at this merry sequence of events? Rin, up until now, had only continued to inattentively crunch on the vegetable stick, but towards the unexpected situation, she inflated her cheeks and protested. Wait, why have I become the bad guy? If you didn't introduce her, I won't have rejected her either. I mean, given that it is Dust introducing someone at this time, there has to be a catch, right? After all, you are the type of guy who would for your own benefit, pretend to not notice a crying little girl and walk straight past. All right, come out here for a bit. You need to be punished. Dust gestured with his thumb for Rin to follow him outside. Anyhow, isn't that girl cherished by the guild as the super arch-wizard? A fledgling wizard like myself won't be able to match up to her as a friend anyway. As she muttered to no one in particular, Rin stood up, took her staff, and followed Dust's lead. Cherished by the guild? Vegetable-eating girl, what do you mean? That crimson magic mage is endeared by other adventurers. To Moi's inquiry, Rin gave a short glance. And you are the town's rumored masked man? Our Dust is just an idiot, so don't teach him anything strange, alright? That girl named Yun is quite famous in this town, you know? She is the one who doesn't form parties, the solo-hunting super rookie arch-wizard. Ha! In this town of newbies, she has rescued various adventurer parties stuck in a pinch, but every time people give their thanks she would say, sorry for doing something unnecessary, and shamefully run off. Any party would want someone as strong as her, but because she always hunts solo, rumors like, there is no doubt that she hates associating with people have been spreading. As a result, everyone is leaving her alone as a way of returning the favor. Anyway, what is with that girl? With her cuteness, common sense, and great power, why would she want to be friends with me? Humph, don't worry. More importantly, that guy is waiting for you outside, isn't he? Is it fine to not be going? His personality aside, that man is actually quite capable. Girl, given the haste of the situation, will you be alright? Moi was not actually worried, rather, Moi was wondering why Rin seemed to be brimming with an air of undefeatable confidence. There wouldn't be a problem, after all, that guy is an idiot at heart. He'll think of me as someone soft, and will start by telling me to repent and then preach something to me with a bossy attitude, right? Then I can just complete my chant before I leave the inn. When he starts preaching, I'll catch him off guard and blast him with magic. The residents of this town are really something else. Then, Moi will take. The residents of this town are really something else. Then, Moi will take Moi leave. By then, masked person. Although that guy is my companion, I think that being able to choose my friends is better, you know. After that, Moi listened to Rin begin chanting, and then promptly moved outside. Ho, I see the stumbling idiot Rin finally coming out. Alright, originally I was gonna beat you without giving you a chance to talk this out, but since I owe you money, go sit over there instead. Then, now I'll. While listening to the melody of Dust's screams amidst the explosion sounds coming from behind, Moi remembered a certain incident. Since Moi has met this interesting crimson magic girl after all this trouble, Moi cannot just leave the situation as it is. Moi, to help achieve the wish of the customer who had run away in tears, turned to approach the triumphant Rin outside the inn. Part 9 in a place away from the main street, at a nearly deserted park. Ah, I found her. So she was at a place like this. Rin, San. At a corner of this park, there was a tearful crimson-eyed girl enjoyably playing with a stick. Sorry about that just now, it happened so suddenly and I was surprised. Let me explain what happened, about what I said, there were reasons. And no, it's fine. At the home of Crimson Magic 2, I was considered a weirdo, so I'm already used to this treatment. Please don't worry about it, Rin-sen. In response to those words, Yun flusteredly stood up. Then, would you be my friend? Oh, of course. If you would have me, please be my friend. To Moi words, a teary smile floated onto Yun's face. I see, so thou wants to be Moi friend so badly. Alright, the devil who sees through all, Vanir will allow it. From today thou may name thyself as Moi friend. Thou thought it was the vegetable lady? Too bad, it is Moi. Seeing Rin's appearance distort to Moi's original appearance, seeing Rin's appearance distort to Moi's original appearance, Yun's displayed a dumbfounded expression as her lips quivered. Oh ho, the negative emotions of Moi friend tastes delightful. Fuha ha 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 ha. Wah. You. To Yun who drew her short sword in tears, Moi continued to laugh. Fuha ha ha ha. The lady who normally acts like an adult, is actually unexpectedly violent. Moi have a message from the other lady for you. A message? With tears still in the corner of her eyes, Yun took a gasp of breath and stopped moving, short sword still in hand. Yes, a message. Although I don't know why she wants to be friends with me, if I decide to play with her, it means that she will become friendly with my party members, you know? We also have another punk like Dust in our party, so getting her involved with us is probably a bad idea. That was what she said. Hearing the message, Yun showed a regretful expression and let out a long breath. I see. It's good that she doesn't hate me. Anyway, to think there was another person at that blonde-haired person's level. I feel a bit scared. Then, she turned and stared at Moi grudgingly. However, what you did just now was wrong. While I'm grateful that you brought the message, do you know how overjoyed I was when you said, would you be my friend? As a human, there are things you can and can't do, you know. Yun sheathed her short sword and discontentedly stopped speaking. Albeit you just said those words to Moi, who is a devil. Anyway, when we were discussing your minimum requirements for friends, wasn't it you who said that, if they aren't human, then it should at least be something that understands what I say? As the devil that loves his subordinates that is also highly rated in this town, what about Moi as a friend is unsatisfactory? In front of Moi who had returned to the Adventurers Guild, Yun was thinking, is this really alright? With an anxious expression. Despite that, the corners of her mouth would occasionally rise. Then, this request is complete. As promised, the first customer will not need to reward Moi work. However, in exchange, you will guide adventurers you are acquainted with to moi if they have any troubles. Why yes, acquaintances. Adventurers whom I am acquainted with. I will definitely tell them. It seems like moi chose the wrong first customer. It's alright. Rather, from today onwards if you have free time, you can come help moi with my work. After all, you are moi friend. Like moi helped you this time, when your friends are undergoing hardship, it is natural to help them without reward. Dash. In response to her friend's words, Yun twitched in response, but then in response to her friend's words, Yun twitched in response, but then burst into a brilliant smile that stated, of course. Wageless laborer. Acquired. Wait a second, that's not right. Isn't this happening exactly as she said it would? That I would be easily tricked by a bad guy who says, let's be friends. Ignoring Yun who pressed her arms against her head and loudly shouted to herself, moi posted a paper in front of the request board. The consulting center is now open. As moi looked at the faraway paper in satisfaction, moi said to Yun who was still shaking her head. While moi would like to know what you are conflicted about, finish it soon alright. There is somewhere that I would like you to accompany moi to. Together with Yun who expressed curiosity towards our destination, moi opened the store's door and walked in. Yun stood in front of the door, and looked as if she was considering whether or not she should follow moi into the store. Although this is not moi's store, given that moi works and lives here, it can be said that this is moi home. Hurry up and come in. Are there people who would hesitate to enter a friend's home? Hearing what moi said, Yun showed a happy expression, and then lowered her head in embarrassment as she entered the store. To the old friend who showed a beaming smile as she watched the situation, moi said, moi has returned, housekeeping store owner. Let me introduce to thee this interesting girl, who is slightly happy to be recognized as a friend by a devil. Part 10. It was already dark outside. Perhaps it was because she was enjoying her time, but Yun seemed reluctant to leave even as moi sent her off. Moi did not think that thou would be familiar with that lady. This world sure is small. Before Vanir-san arrived here, Yun-san had visited this store. If I recall correctly, at that time, she purchased a paralyzing magic enhancement potion that I recommended. Once upon a time, to combat a devil near this town, Yun came to this store to purchase powerful magic tools. Saying, thank you for helping me that time, Yun bowed to Wiz in thanks countless times. Yun-san is sure cute, isn't she? I also made a new friend today. Probably thinking of Yun's happy reaction when she had told her, you can come again anytime, Wiz's lips curled into a smile. Store owner with a pleasant mood, moi has wonderful news that would make your mood even better. Moi opened a new store today. From the reactions of other customers who watched today's events unfold, it seems the reception of the consulting center will not be bad. Moi foresees that this way, this month's rent will be somehow paid. Is that right? That's great. Although this was a happy moment, for some reason, Wiz averted her gaze. Oi, did you do something again? Wiz began shake at those words, and directed a smile. Can you promise to not be angry when I say it? Spill it. What you say might make moi angry, or it may not, but if you choose to not say anything, moi will douse you with the Vanir-style death ray. I was going to initiate the strategies that Aquasama taught me, but, that brainless strategy, she was really going to do it. The one where you should buy land now, as the price will rise after a couple centuries. In the first place, it would be abandoned as there isn't any money to buy land with. Anyway, if we had that much money, it would be better spent improving the store. Moi remembered what Rin had said some time ago. Being able to choose my friends is better. Looking at Wiz who moved nervously with a frightened expression, moi smiled wryly. Usually, moi would lecture you for falling to that goddess level, but today, moi has a rare good mood. Although I am not agreeing with that goddess' playful words, but devils and liches do have an indefinite lifespan. Earning money slowly would be fine, right? With this old friend with lots of faults, working laboriously to make this with this old friend with lots of faults, working laboriously to make this store great would also be quite fun. Hearing what moi said, Wiz happily clapped her hands. Thank you very much, Vanir-san. My chest was pounding just thinking of your anger. Aquasama brought Kazuma-san to meet me, and when he dryly explained things like taxes and funds, I noticed. I then hurriedly went with Aquasama to return the borrowed money, but as we had borrowed quite a considerable sum, just today's interest amounted to a monstrous sum. Vanir-style death ray. Chapter 2, Today as a Follower Part 1, It's fine, Wiz, this is my penance. Anyway, after that incident, Kazuma gave a long lecture, and told me to pay for the losses incurred by the store. So, don't hesitate. Aquasama. I can't do this, as Aquasama acted out of good intentions for this store. Even so. This was a magic tool store located on a certain street in the city of Axel. Sweeping the ground in front of the store, moi overheard the dreadful conversation. Stopping moi hand that was sweeping, moi turned with a doubtful look to inspect the situation. The two who met moi eyes turned their faces away. Nay Wiz, this is the punishment I decided for myself. I have fully reflected on what happened this time. Even if I had good intentions, I must compensate for causing so much trouble. This is the natural method of repentance. So, there is no need to hesitate. No, Aquasama, just your feelings are already enough. If you have thoroughly reflected, then Vanir-san will surely forgive you. I mean, compared to how I always cause red digits to appear, that was just a small incident. As the discussion continued, moi could no longer bear the two of them that snuck glimpses in moi direction. Alright, if you're going to do something, do it now. The brain-damaged goddess who has been trying to garner sympathy through underhanded methods, since you are a goddess of water, having water poured on you isn't really much. Moi said to the goddess who sat with her hands wrapped around her knees and the store owner with a water bucket in her hand. Just a few days ago. Perhaps she had too much free time, but the goddess right here had been coming every day to play around with our idiotic store owner. If we were to make use of the special trait of immortality, then purchasing land which would surely rise in price over time was actually a good investment. However, as the two of them had not considered budgeting, interest, or taxes, they again produced more red digits. In order to fill this hole, the brat that was this goddess guardian thought of this sales strategy. Vanir-san, you're terrible. Don't you see Aquasama reflecting to this extent? So, why would you allow such a terrible thing? Although Kazuma-san is Kazuma-san, and though pouring water isn't much of a punishment, Aquasama is still a girl you know. Even so, this. Whiz, thank you for saying that. Those feelings are already enough. Remember to always treasure that kind heart, okay? Even though I may catch a cold from the water poured onto me and can't come to this store, please don't forget me. Aquasama. Walking to the side of the two who continued their weird little drama, Moi picked up the bucket beside Wiz's feet and emptied it over the goddess' head. Wait, what are you doing, you brutish devil? Don't you have any kindness in your heart? Seeing this goddess weeping with sorrow, shouldn't you say, I will forget about the red digits this time, it is my wrongdoing, Aquasama, and cry for forgiveness? Aquasama is right, Vanir-san. Shouldn't Vanir-san be treating us with more kindness? Even the store has become wet. To the goddess who continued to act normally after water was poured over her head, Moi said. Alright, just finish creating your quota of items and go home already. Recently, the amount of time Moi spend with you has increased, and the indebted owner's red digit producing ability has improved as well. If not for you and your brat's suggestion to sell goddess broth, this month would have surely ended with red digits. Wait, please don't give the holy water I make such a tasty name. Use names like Aquasama's holy water, and sell it like that. Ah, Aquasama, is the temperature of the water fine? If the water is too cold, please say so. I will add hot water immediately. While just touching the water would purify it, the goddess had a bodily aptitude that would convert water that she touched for long periods of time into holy water. Use that power to create holy water with special effects to undead monsters. That was the strategy suggested by the brat that was this goddess guardian. Although the method was accepted as it required no budget, but today is hot, so making the water colder is fine. Whiz, please add water. If you can, use the water fresh from the well, the cool water feels good. Pour it all on my head. Understood, I will immediately get the water from the well. The goddess in high spirits, whom Moi wanted to say, what happened to your little drama just now to, continued to splish-splash around in the bucket. Moi no longer had any interest to stay in the store, and left her alone. I'll leave the store in your care. Moi is going to the usual place, said Moi to Wiz who was drawing water, moving towards the Adventurers Guild. Recently a new business, a consultation center, was opened in a corner of the building. The number of customers was steadily increasing today. There were already people waiting for Moi at the corner of the guild. I have something to consult with you. It has already been 3 days and my pet Nereid still hasn't returned. It is stuck in your neighbor's eave and can't move. Please go help it immediately. I've come to consult. I manage the water purification facility of this town. Someone keeps shouting, I'll help you purify this water, and then tries to jump into the pool. As that is an evil existence, I recommend spreading chili pepper around the pool to ward it off. This is just something I want to consult about, but the Oju-sama from our house has formed a party with a man, and has become stranger with each passing day. The retainers are all extremely worried. She was like that to begin with. I recommend you quickly abandon the idea of helping her. I've come to consult. The adventurers are causing all kinds of problems every day, and they keep saying, give me more enjoyable and well-paying quests, and I feel troubled. Being a receptionist is also quite difficult, isn't it? There are quite a lot of customers today. Although there were occasionally weird requests, if the money made from Wiz's group's holy water production was added, then red numbers should be avoided this month. As I was pleasingly counting the money, the guild suddenly turned silent. Looking around to figure out what had occurred, Moi found that everyone's eyes were focused on the guild entrance. Originally, the adventurers of this town seldom stopped for anything. In this town that housed a lot of peculiar people, the people were already immune to most events. But, is this the Adventurers Guild? The figure muttered to herself as she walked in. Dressed in a commoner's clothes and wearing a wide hat, was a girl who appeared to be around 12 to 13 years old. While the girl was dressed in such a way, she did not hide the golden hair and blue eyes that indicated her noble heritage. She curiously and restlessly moved about the interior of the guild. No, Alisama, as your bodyguards, please do not wander around too much. Even though we chose a town with good public safety, we do not understand everything here. Especially because Alisama is this cute, you could be kidnapped by someone. Please be careful. Another girl said as she followed inside. She was another golden-haired, blue-eyed lady. She was dressed in a white suit designed for males, with a short sword whose shortness matched her hair. Her visage was the splitting image of a pretty woman in male clothes. Lastly, there was a short-breathed lady that seemed to be a magic user. Her plain attire indicated her common sense. The two of you, please stop drawing such attention. This is the place where that person lives. In the event that Alisama is discovered, he will unreasonably plead to bring him home with us. If the three intended to not draw attention, it was already too late. Moi had the feeling that it would be troublesome to be associated with them. The adventurers seemed to have the same feeling, and quickly averted their gazes. However, Rain, I heard that the Adventurers Guild was a rowdy and crude place, but everyone is silent. From what I have heard, as soon as one enters the guild, they would become involved with some unlawful adventures, and one would have to repel them to resolve a template, but it does not seem like the template will occur. TL note. Template is a peculiar term that Claire uses for an event of destiny, or fated encounter. Said the girl that inspected the interior of the guild with a troubled expression. All the adventurers tried to avoid her gaze. After briefly pausing, the girl tugged on the lady in white's sleeve. Although I don't understand what this template is, but according to the people with weird names, it is an important event. Claire, please perform the template ritual. Understood, Alisama. I will use my authority to threaten the adventurers over there. Once they approach Alice-sama, I shall repel them. Please wait, you two. We just said that we should avoid drawing attention, so what are you doing now? Please don't forget the gazes in this direction. Finally coming to the judgment that they did not want to be involved with them, everyone silently returned to where they were. The girl named Alice suddenly shouted, "Claire, Rain, look at that person." Their line of sight, for some reason, was directly aligned to where Moi was seated. Although Moi was able to determine who they were talking about, Moi hoped that they would give Moi a break. Please calm down, Alice-sama. Shall we still perform the template? Is that the masked man? However, the invader from that time had a better physique. Alice-sama, please don't point at people, it is unladylike. However, it is true that the mask certainly looks the same. The three of them discussed Moi's appearance from afar. Then, the lady whom Moi believed was the centerpiece of the group, began to move directly towards Moi. Alice-sama. Oh please, you cannot, do not approach that man with the shady mask. As the two followers hurriedly chased after her, the girl called Alice stood in front of Moi. Good afternoon, masked man. I am the granddaughter of the capital's Chiraman store owner, Alice. TL note, Chiraman is a product that is common fabric for making kimonos. Part 2 in the guild which returned to its usual rowdiness. Please do not, Alice-sama, to ask this suspicious man to lead us around town. I agree, Alice-sama. In any circumstance, we do not know anything about this person. Please choose someone who is more appropriate. What has happened here? After the lady named Alice introduced herself, these ladies, whom Moi had not so much as seen before, began to ask unreasonable things of Moi. Oi, to show this behavior towards someone you had just met is rather lacking in manners. First, you must introduce yourself. Even this child was able to, therefore it should be expected of you two to do the same. Moi name is Vanir, Moi will be in your care. I will also be in your care. Actually, instead. My name is Claire. This is Rain. You are Vanir Dono, correct? Please excuse Alice-sama for troubling you, she was just curious about your mask. Now Alice-sama, let us go. Ah, Alice-sama. The people over there appear to be very kind. Let us go request them instead. The two companions of Alice prepared to bring her away. No, this person is fine. You called yourself Vanir-san, right? Actually, for you who wears this fashionable mask, I have a special request. Ho. To be able to understand the fashion of this mask, your sense is quite refined, young lady. Do please state your request. Through Moi's sight, Moi determined minimal details concerning Alice. You brute, to direct such a manner of speech towards Alice-sama. You should know your place. Claire, those words cannot be said as of right now. I mentioned many times that those lines seem like villainous threats. Moi, who was curious about Claire's words, unwittingly saw through the backgrounds of the three. All Moi was left with was regret. It would have been better had Moi not done anything at all. If Moi were to meddle in the affairs of people of such status, the store owner and Moi might be able to get by. However, the store, in both material and societal aspects, would surely disappear. From the disputing two, the more mature lady, Rain, said, Actually, we came to the Adventurers Guild to find Alice-sama a follower for a day. They must have the Hachibai job and must also be an excellent mood maker. TL note, a recurring character in the period drama Mito Common https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/Mito_common. Moi has never heard of the job Hachibai. But in any case, Moi, who is often cited as a classy gentleman by the married ladies nearby, would be unable to fulfill the role of a mood maker. Actually, despite Moi being here in this place, Moi is not an adventurer. If you have a request, it would be better to ask someone else. However, in response to my words, Alice, who was debating with Claire, turned to face Moi. From you, I can feel the presence of a magnificent Hachibai. It's alright, the role of an 8 samurai is to merely praise and flatter your master and is not a dangerous line of work. I ask of you, for just today, please be my Hachibai. As she gazed in hope towards Moi, Alice proceeded to join her hands in a pose of prayer. This pose would easily sway any male who possessed traits of a lelicon, but Moi was different from a certain brat who seemed to attract trouble wherever he was. Surely, if Moi were to accept this request, then the likelihood of being involved in some troublesome event, the reward can be paid in advance. Although I don't understand the fine details, I have brought some money from my family treasury dash. Please do absolutely call me Hachibai. Before she could finish, Moi had already taken the heavy bag that was brought forth. Part 3 at the main street of the town of Axel. Unbelievable. To think that Alice-sama, of all people, would take money from the treasury on her own accord. Claire, who paced several steps behind Alice, continued tirelessly to say such lines. Even I want to be able to spend my own money. Also, I did not take it of my own accord. When I was massaging Father's shoulders, I asked for a bit of allowance, and Father said that I could take what I want from the treasury. Claire continued to lecture. Alice, who had casually handed Moi a considerable amount as a reward. However, the contents of said lecture. That respected person is truly unbelievable, to think he would pamper Alice-sama this much. If you wanted an allowance so much, you should have just asked me. Compared to Alice-sama's father, I would pamper Alice-sama much more. If there is anything else you may want, please call on me at any time. Claire, no matter what I request from you, you will take it too far every time. Ever since we entered the bath together, hasn't your behavior been rather strange? In any case, this reeked of sinfulness. As the two continued this conversation, Rain spoke to Moi in a hushed tone. Vanir Dono. About the reward that Alice-sama had given you, Alice-sama and Claire-sama both have no knowledge of the outside world. If it is possible, I would like you to take the reward based on the standard. Super refused. I will be yelled at by the finance management. as Moi carelessly responded to the teary-eyed Rain. Alice, who had been walking in front of Moi, explained the details of the request. All right. Listen in, Hachibai. From here on out, we will be fighting against all that is unjust. I heard that the town is under the oppression of a tyrannical ruler, that the public order of the town has been worsening day by day, and that the citizens are suffering from high taxes. That tyrant shall now receive divine retribution. To help the masses undergoing hardship is our work. The Hachibai shall oversee and praise our work, and to get the audience worked up. Towards Alice's confident speech, Moi was speechless. That tyrannical ruler couldn't be. Alice-sama? The person whom you are talking about, is it the man named Alderp? About that, irrefutable evidence of his crimes have surfaced recently, and he has gone missing. As of now, the area is governed by Dustiness-sama, and the new policies have improved the welfare of the people. Eh? In response to Rain's words, Alice let out a surprised cry. So it was indeed that tyrannical ruler, the man Moi brought to hell the other day. Alice began to shake where she stood. And no way. Then, what did I come to this town for? I had planned to do as Oni-sama had taught, and like Garukadano would have, gracefully expose the crimes of the tyrant. Then, I would reveal my true identity to everyone. Then Oni-sama would hear of this and rush to meet me. That was the plan. TL note, a character from Mitocommon, https://ja.wikipedia.org/wiki/%sign E5%sign B%sign B3%sign E5%sign B7%sign 9D%sign E5%sign 85%sign 89%sign E5%sign 9C%sign 80. So it was that kind of scheme, Alice-sama. You cannot, Alice-sama. I will not allow you to meet that man. I told you that many countless times already. So that's why when you said you wanted to correct the unjust, you did not choose towns close to the royal capital, but instead chose this place. Even as she was lectured by Claire and Rain, Alice did not retreat one step. Even if it's only just a little, I want to be praised by Oni-sama. All I wanted was for him to say, you've worked hard. I don't doubt what Oni-sama said about him defeating the Demon King, but based on his personality, he will forget about me completely after a while. If other females make a move, he would be led by the atmosphere, and it is better for that man to be led away. You've been affected by that man too much, even your shortcomings are becoming similar to his, Alice-sama. Please, if I may say, do not shout in the street, Alice-sama. You will really be discovered by that person. It seemed a complicated situation had emerged from behind Moi. About the Garukadano and Hachibai you have been talking about, what are they? Moi have been curious for a while now. That Garukadano is one of the great politicians that Oni-sama knows about. He hid his identity and roamed the vast world. With his magnificent followers, he fought to correct the unjust. Garukadano did not participate in battle. In his stead, his two royal guards, Suksun and Kakusun, would fight, and after emerging victorious, he would announce his identity. Through that method, Garukadano would display his influence on the masses. The work of the Hachibai would be to change the murderous atmosphere after the battle, and according to some sayings, he played the role of the fool in order to do so. In short, this man called Garuku handed off the harsh work to his subordinates, and then after the battle, he would bask in the glory of their efforts. Isn't this man just an exploitative tyrant? And no, you're mistaken. The Garukadano that I heard about from Oni-sama was a truly righteous person. Due to what seemed to be her strong beliefs regarding Garuku, Alice strongly refused Moi's statement. By the way, since you called yourself granddaughter of the Chiraman store owner, Moi was wondering what kind of products a Chiraman store sells. A Chiraman store is a Chiraman store. Nay, Claire, Rain, what is a Chiraman store? TL note, store is pronounced as Danya. When separated, Don stands for bowl, while Y stands for house, specialized store. E.g. Katsudonia specializes in pork bowls. In any case, a Chiraman bowl house should be a restaurant, right? What do you suppose the Chiraman in a Chiraman bowl is? I've never eaten it before. In response to Moi's question, the three people began to silently discuss amongst one another. Vigorously turning to face Moi, Alice changed the topic of discussion. Anyway, if there's no tyrannical ruler here, then it can't be helped. For the sake of announcing my true identity, we must find someone who plans to do something evil in this town. Ideally, the target would be someone who plans to abuse their power to oppress the masses, but we don't have the freedom to choose. After we capture and punish some convenient evil person, I will announce my identity. Well then Hachibai, let us go. Alice-sama, your method and plan is already exposed. That disciplined and understanding Alice-sama has become this indulgent. This must be the negative influence of that man. But, this selfish Alice-sama is not bad either. Rain and Claire released a long sigh. Moi Master for a day happily walked ahead. The town of beginners, Axel. With its title, the town was famous for its good public security. As should be expected of its title, there are police in this town, and it would be unthinkable for any idiot to commit crimes at the peak of noon. Hachibai, is there anyone who is performing treacherous acts or something like that? Having roamed the town for 2 hours, and having not discovered any incidents, Alice inquired with a troubled expression. The public security of this town is very good, and while there are some weird people here, there are no truly evil people. As Moi continued to walk alongside Alice, the two who trailed behind us began to discuss. Hey Rain, the people of this town seem to be ignoring him despite his gentlemanly attire. Is dressing with a mask not particularly rare in this area? That can't be right. Perhaps the people are already used to this. Ignoring the two who said disrespectful things about Moi, who was known as the mystery gentleman in this town, Alice gazed with longing curiosity at the stores we passed. Hachibai, what store is that? These children are carrying something into that store. That is Axel's famous Nereid house. The children who catch Nereid bring it to that store to sell for some spare money. What is a nereid? A mysterious creature that creates a drink that fizzles. From what Moi have heard, the creature prefers dark areas, and has various species. After hearing Moi explanation, the two who followed behind us began to discuss noisily. Rain, is what he said actually true? From that masked gentleman, I get the same suspicious feeling as that man. His statements regarding nereid are correct. If that explanation was not enough, nereid also make a nya sound when captured. To think that they would not know about nereid. It seemed that not only Alice, but even the lady named Claire as well, had lived life sheltered from the outside world. The two, lacking the basic knowledge of commoners, gave the impression that they were daughters of nobility. On the other hand, the lady named Rain seemed rather down to earth, and had an abundance of common knowledge. However, as a result, she seemed to have undergone many hardships. As Alice looked at the stores around us, she displayed a growing curiosity. Hachibai, that is. What is that store selling? That is a store that sells magic tools. However, if you want to purchase magic tools, Moi recommends Wiz's Magic Tool Store, which is more famous in this town. That store has a lot of powerful magic tools for sale. Having overheard the discussion between Alice and Moi from a short distance away, Claire approached and asked, Vonnier Dono, what is that store over there? The sign says that it is a fruit store, but why are there so many cages? That is for selling Amanatsu. When dealing with Amanatsu, if you let down your guard just a little, they will spray juice at your eyes. In this season alone, there have been a countless amount of people who have suffered after being struck by juice. As Moi explained with a tone of, how could you not know this? Alice's curiosity seemed to deepen. There are really Amanatsu that are that vicious? It seems that there are many things about this world that I don't know. Someday when I meet Oni-sama, I must apologize. Actually, when Oni-sama said that there are cats that spit fire and can fly, I called him a liar. That kind of thing can't possibly exist. There is no doubt that that man tried to fool you. You. Covering her face that turned red with embarrassment, Alice released a frustrated groan. Moi decided to continue our search. Through the town. Part 4. From there, we continued to search the town even more thoroughly, but no special incidents occurred. While we had come across a delinquent harassing and soliciting females, Claire quickly caught the person and handed him to the police. The piece in Axel was only further confirmed. What should we do? We've made no progress towards our original goals. The only incident we've resolved was that strange incident where that slanty-eyed gold-haired outlaw said, this is just picking up girls. Boss, please explain to these people. As he was taken away. There just aren't any big crimes that would make it appropriate for me to announce my identity. Despite her outlandish mood earlier, Alice lost her spirit. Anyhow, it seemed that her time in this town was limited. Moi heard that for the sake of this one outing, she had greatly increased her efforts in her daily studies. That was how much she wanted to meet her brother in this town. Though Moi was surprised that there was someone of that status living in this town. Alice-sama? For today, why don't we just give up on the unjust activity that person told you about, and instead just plainly go there to play? Surely that person, even if you did not correct the unjust, would be very happy to see you. What? Rain, what stupid things are you saying? I wholly object if you let that man meet Alice-sama. If we go there to play at this time, then that man that spoils Alice-sama will definitely try to make her somehow stay at his house. I see. Evidently, as bodyguards, we must also stay at that person's home. However, since it is that person's home, there is still a necessity to closely guard Alice-sama at all times. It certainly is a situation we should avoid. To closely guard Alice-sama, when means, we would bathe together, sleep together. Alice-sama, if you want to go there no matter what, the rules. The conversation occurred between the two. Please stop. If it is about Oni-sama, then surely he will have already performed more heroic feats. Then in my case, before I meet Oni-sama again, I want to show him evidence of my hard work that is worthy of his praise. I want to be like the ideal politician Guru Kadano that Oni-sama told me about. That is why. Having said that, Alice's shoulders dropped and continued to walk dejectedly. Moi decided to say the only thing that Moi could think of. If that is the case, then Moi have good news for you. Actually, the wanted criminals that caused the large incident in the capital, the silver-haired thieving group, have hidden themselves in this town. If we search for them. No, we really cannot do that. I have been allowed to go outside for today only. So, I don't think we can capture that kind of famous figure in a day's time. For some reason, Alice flusteredly rejected Moi's suggestion. No, please wait, Alice-sama. Describe the situation with the wanted criminals again. I'm very curious as to why there are powerful thieves like them are hidden in this city. I am also slightly curious. Although Alice rejected Moi for some reason, the other two seemed to entertain the idea. A while ago, the Adventurers Guild requested Moi to foretell the whereabouts of the thieves, however, due to a blinding light that obstructed Moi's eye, Moi gave up on the request. It has been a long time since that incident. Given the circumstances, why not try to foretell the true form of the thieves one more time? If we look from the perspective of their results, those thieves had actually saved us. So, I don't think we should. When Alice was trying to explain herself, the ground started to shake, and the sound of an explosion can be heard in the distance. What happened? It can't be, this kind of remote town is being attacked by the Demon King's army? The explosion sound just now. Alice-sama, this is an emergency situation. Please forgive me for ruining this enjoyable moment, but before we clarify this incident, please do not move. For just a moment, I felt the presence of an enormous amount of magic power from far away. It seems to be magic casted by someone. In contrast, the three who responded tensely, the passers-by acted as though this incident was a natural occurrence. Alice inquired the complacent reaction of her surroundings. Hachibai, despite the explosion sound just now, the people of this town do not seem to be distressed. What happened just now? Do you know anything about it? Ah, that is just the natural scenery of this town. That explosion sound occurs once a day. It is like how every town has their specialty products. What happened just now is similar to that. Surely, that was the sound of a certain crimson magic clansman releasing explosion magic. Scenery. So in small town, you will occasionally hear explosion sounds. Although we do not know much about the everyday lives of the masses, from the reaction of the citizens, it seems that this is nothing new. I have learned much from leaving the capital. The two of you, please do not simply agree, there is obviously something weird about this town. Only Rain alone seemed to protest what Moi said. Rain Dono, you are the only one who is agitated by that in this town. If you continue like this, you will draw bad gazes, so please consider what just happened with a bit more common sense. Me. I'm the weird one here. I'm the one that stands out. I stand out more than the person who wears a mask. I'm the one amongst us with the least common sense. Though Rain seemed to have taken a big shock, she was calming down as she followed our steps, as we continued to walk down the street. You, what kind of education have you had? Before you is the one who used to manage the town's finances, the Duke Orip. At this timing, Moi heard a good voice. One of the Duke's followers pointed to an obese man to indicate his identity. Seated in a palanquin was a man who, together with a group of knights that acted as bodyguards, caused an oppressive atmosphere. If Moi were to guess, the incident seemed to involve a woman. Though you say that, it can't be helped, you just aren't my type, said the woman with a contorted expression. She was a female adventurer that Moi would occasionally see at the guild. Are you serious? To be chosen by Orip-sama is to be extremely lucky, you know? Aren't you an adventurer? The follower couldn't comprehend why the woman would reject his master, and revealed a surprised expression. Ha! Yes, I am an adventurer. Anyway, since the beginning you've been saying that I am lucky and that I have been chosen, but in the end, what kind of merits are there? In response to the words of the passionate follower, the female adventurer merely inquired. The follower raised his chest in pride. A beginner adventurer like you, who wouldn't have been able to experience the best of life, has now been granted the choice. The monthly earnings of a beginning adventurer should be around 100,000 to 200,000 eris, right? However, if you become Orip-sama's lover, then your earnings will at least double. Heh. The female adventurer proceeded to spit on the floor, and quickly turned to leave. Glancing at the follower who stood still, she proudly said, since it was nobility, I had a bit of anticipation, but to think he was so poor. She then spit on the floor again, and left with a bad mood. Though this was the town of beginner adventurers, for some reason, there were many chances to encounter high bounty targets, and as a result, a majority of the adventurers here were rather wealthy. Unable to accept her disrespectful attitude, the follower who was frozen in place began to move once again. Hey, what was that? That poor adventurer, what kind of attitude was that? Oi, you here. What is the name of that adventurer? Since you are also an adventurer, you should know that person's name, right? The follower solicited a passing adventurer, and pressured him with questions. Ha! How would I know that? Do you know how many adventurers are in this town? Why you bastard, what kind of attitude is that? Do you not know who that person? Though I don't really know, he's some noble-sama, right? Yeah. Nobles are really amazing. In this town where the service and stores are perfect, where the employees are all beautiful onisens, they are the weird people who would rather choose some female adventurers to hold a spat with. The adventurers of this town are already used to the weird habits of nobles. Ha! The adventurer, who was being interrogated, brushed the follower off and continued on his way. To the people living in this town, the words of a noble didn't have much of an effect. That was because a certain lady of a big noble family had caused the might of the noble title to plummet. Now, the adventurers of this town looked down on nobility instead. What has happened to this town? Moi heard a couple of troubled voices from behind Moi. The first was the voice of Claire, who steadily observed the situation unfold. The second was the voice of Rain, who seemed to be dumbfounded by the sudden development. Anyway, we should stop that noble, right? It's good that the situation looks like he is abusing his power, they muttered amongst themselves. No, that level of odd behavior is an everyday scene in this town. Either way, the person who is the natural counter to nobles, the lady deputy lord of this town, will arrive here soon. Moi thinks that it would be better to let this one go. The three people glanced backward at Moi with confused expressions. Then, the obese noble Orip disembarked the palanquin, and shoved aside the follower who had wordlessly frozen in place. You idiot! You didn't do anything and let those disrespectful plebeians run away. Go and arrest some nearby adventurers and investigate the identity of those two. Once you capture those two, bring them to me and execute them. As Orip shouted, he glared at the nearby adventurers. It seems that this cannot do. Having heard Orip's words, Rain lifted her staff and said, as I expected, we should subdue that man. That person is Orip, a close relative of Alderp, the former lord of this town. Furthermore, he is currently being investigated as the primary suspect for various crimes, and has been summoned to the Dustiness House for a hearing in the near future. However, since there are many pieces of incriminating evidence, Orip seems to be running rampant before his formal arrest. You're right, this man is truly the shame of nobles. However, this incident seems to be one that Alice-sama has hoped for. Although I don't want Alice-sama to meet that man, it can't be helped. Claire drew the sword at her waist, and looked intently at the noble that was harassing his followers. Orip-sama, so you were here. It seems that the situation has taken a turn for worse. They said a representative's explanation is insufficient, and that there are also many questions that must be asked directly. As expected, it seems that there are many things that must be explained by Orip-sama himself. A large group of knights suddenly appeared. They came from the direction of the Dustiness house, where they had been questioned. Due to the sudden increase in their opponents' numbers, Claire and Rain stopped to observe the situation. As Alice's bodyguards, they seemed to have made the judgment that it would be dangerous to fight this many people. Hearing what the knight said, Orip's face turned pale, and he hurriedly embarked the palanquin. You, go and say that my health is deteriorating. Tell them that after my health has recovered, we can schedule another time for the hearing. After giving that order to his subordinates, his entourage turned to leave the town. You, what is wrong with you? Hurry up and get out of the way. What is a commoner like you doing? The passing adventurers that heard the conversation casually blocked the road. Though there were more than a dozen knights facing them, the adventurers did not intend to fight in the slightest. Instead, the adventurers forcefully began to chat amongst one another. Despite their odd behavior, it was evident that the adventurers were opposing Orip. These people intend to block the road, but they are unarmed. What should we do? I don't care, just push past them. Release magic near them and scare them away. Are you sure, Orip-sama? This is the middle of town, and it is also governed by the Dustiness family. Whatever, just do it. I'll be arrested if we don't go soon. Though they were doubtful of Orip's order, the knights began to chant magic. Seeing the situation, Alice's face went pale. Claire, Rain, if this goes on then the people of this town will. Let us go, we will stop them. Alice prepared to rush out, but Claire held her back. Please wait, Alice-sama, that person is serious. We should wait for help to arrive, and then help them control the situation. I cannot allow Alice-sama to be put in danger. Claire-sama is correct. Releasing magic in town will cause a large disturbance, and the police will definitely respond quickly to this incident. Right now, we are at a numerical disadvantage. Let us observe the situation. In response to her followers' words, Alice revealed a remorseful expression. I understand, in a disciplined manner. She heeded her followers' warnings. It seemed that the usual Alice was not this indulgent. Her sad gaze was directed towards the knights, who finished their chants and fired magic into the sky, wearing an expressing that displayed her regret for being so helpless in this situation. The outrageous acts of the knights were burned into her memory. Well, contrary to the severe atmosphere that surrounded the three, the actual situation was quite different. This savage, he's using magic in town. Based on that conversation, isn't that dude being pursued by Lalati, nah? Let's work harder to make him stay longer. Hey look, these guys are just a bunch of chickens. See there? That tiny fireball was fired at the sky. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. Someone help me. Oi, don't say too much, otherwise that uncle's veins will pop from his blood pressure. Isn't that guy a noble? Call the counter-noble personnel Lalati, nah here. Lalati, nah. Although magic was casted in their direction, the adventurers weren't fazed at all. Next to the adventurers, the passers-by didn't even bother to look at the fireballs flying past them, and moved through the crowd and continued on their way. Well, this much was expected. It was this town after all. The fireballs they're releasing are only to that extent. Vanirdano, as I thought, this town is really weird. It's magic, you know. They're releasing magic in the middle of town, you know. If a fireball was released at the capital, everyone would be crying out in terror. Rain, who lacked the common sense of this town, seemed to be flustered by the situation. But to the people of this town who were used to a young lady that released explosion magic in town, an incident of this extent wasn't anything notable. This town treats the release of explosion magic as natural scenery, so they don't really care about an incident of this extent. Rather, there are many things that thou do not know in this world. Anyhow, this incident is becoming more amusing. How can that kind of natural scenery exist? Please do not dismiss this question. I'm certain that I have common sense and knowledge. In the first place, how could the adventurers of this town have such rambunctious behavior towards nobles? If one were to so much point a sword at a noble, they would be unquestionably executed. That is why everyone is quarreling whilst unarmed. This town is really weird. Rain, the only one blindsided to the common sense of this town, began to make a ruckus. Then, the knights drew their swords and prepared to display their true strength. It seemed that their patience had been worn thin. Seeing the situation unfold, Alice looked as if she was about to cry. Claire, Rain. Forgive me, Alice-sama, but please wait a little longer. The police that uphold the security of this town will arrive soon. In response to the two's words, Alice gripped her small hands in a tight fist. Even though I learned different ways to fight from Oni-sama's companions, she muttered with her head down. Oh ho, what is it that makes you sad, moi master? Moi master for a day desires to be like Garuku, yet wants to personally dirty her hands in these affairs? Shouldn't thou let thy excellent subordinates do the fighting? To more words, Alice quickly raised her head. With a hint of expectation in her eyes, she looked towards Claire and Rain. As surely Alice-sama wouldn't be. You wouldn't want us to charge into this many enemies, right? That seems to be a little selfish. No, I feel rather happy about her selfishness. Alice-sama is looking at me with those eyes. Claire-sama, our job is to guard Alice-sama, but if it continues like this, faced with Alice in a begging posture and the knights that released a murderous intent, Moi barely brushed between the two bodyguards and moved to the front. Since there are only this many enemies, the two of you don't need to act. Please allow Moi to handle this. Moi, who was a devil, was not performing an act of goodwill. Moi, who was a devil, did not sympathize with this master for a day. Yes. Rather, Moi thought that this influential master would give Moi a bonus if Moi played a more active role. Not once had Moi doubted that thought. As this small master's subordinate, Moi somehow felt worked up. This was undoubtedly the aptitude of a king. Moi heard that royalty carries powerful skills and were endowed with great talent, so perhaps this lady had some sort of special skill. Surely, in the future, this lady will become a great politician. Doesn't the Hachibai carry the title of the fool, you ask? Fuhahahaha, I am in perfect form. In perfect form. Today's moi is in perfect form. In the city of Axel, there are no fools greater than moi today. My master for a day, tell moi thy wish. Vanir Dano, what are you doing all of a sudden? Against this many enemies, that is too reckless. The title of the fool doesn't stand for your body being in good condition. But from Vanir Dano, I can sense an indescribably amazing magic power. Alisama, between the two parties, Vanir Dano is clearly far more dangerous. If possible, please do not order him to do anything strange. TL note, some puns involving, and the two followers tried to stop moi. However, as if she could understand moi power, Alice's eyes glittered radiantly as she said, Hachibai, go teach those people a lesson. Part 5. In an alley away from the main street, Claire, whose face was red and dripping in sweat, sat on the floor. Rain, whose face had instead turned a deathly pale, dropped on all fours and tried to catch her breath. It was then that Alice, the only one who had not broken a sweat, took a short breath and smiled from the bottom of her heart. HMPF, it seems that moi had flawlessly completed the request. Moi had lived up to the title of the mood-making fool. Although we were unable to announce her true identity due to the urgency of our escape, having done this much should have already been enough. As moi looked at our surroundings, moi said to Alice, Alright, it seems that we have escaped our pursuers. Then Alice-sama, please complete the concluding remarks. If moi am not wrong, it should be something like this. In this manner, the incident has come to a close. Like this incident has ended, shouted Claire, whose face seemed to turn redder. How can it end this way? What was that just now? Hey Vanir Dano, what exactly are you? Orip subordinates, with a swing of your hand, were blown away like pieces of garbage. Claire-sama, please do not remind me. The knights of nobles, who had undergone harsh training, were crying for help as they tried to escape. I couldn't bear to look. Moi, who was considering the special reward, had let loose, and seemed to have traumatized these two as a result. What are you saying? Moi had sealed the sure kill techniques of the Death Ray series, and fought while holding back moi true abilities, you know? Moi only planned to lightly teach them a lesson, and some light injuries were caused. There were no casualties. That's not what I meant. Because of your rampage, the town will be surely fall into a state of chaos. As a result, rather than solving the problem, we ourselves have become the culprits. By the way, was that still holding back? As she said that, Claire shivered. Actually, Vanir Dano, what Alice-sama wanted to do was to teach the evil people in front of the masses, and then announce her true identity. However, for some reason we are now the ones chased by the city guards. If this continues, there wouldn't be an opportunity to announce her identity. Rain let out a long sigh. Hearing the opinion of the two, moi reflected on moi's actions. It seemed that moi had truly gone too far. However, in truth, the announcement of her identity carried no meaning. That man from a noble family did not react to moi who was on a rampage. Rather, when he had seen the faces of Alice and Claire, his face became a pale visage and his body began to uncontrollably tremble in terror. No matter how moi looked at it, it was clear that the noble had figured out Alice's true identity. If his quarrel with the royal family were to be known, that noble would be executed without trial. So, he should not so much as utter about Alice's identity. In any case, if it was a only dispute of this extent, then a certain impatient noble lady would quickly dismiss it. Moi did not think that any more disturbances would occur. Ahaha. To start with, that man was trying to escape his hearing. Then moi might be able to anticipate a suitable reward for moi's assistance in this incident. Ahahaha. Ahahaha. This is the first time I have to escape so far, and the first time I've run around so much. It's also the first time where I've felt so refreshed. Claire, Rain, did you see it? That tyrannical noble willingly ran to the police station and begged for protection, right? The last time I felt so happy was when I went together with Oni-sama to snitch food and had to run away from the head chef. Alice-sama, your smiling face is truly wonderful. However, after causing so much of a disturbance, this is not the time to laugh. Though she was lecturing Alice, Claire's face only continued to redden. Yes, Alice-sama, if we were caught by the guards then. I can already see the amazed expression of Lady Dustiness. Rain's face turned paler. Let's go home, Alice-sama. If Lady Dustiness was to discover that we had come this far to this town just to cause a disturbance, we would have no dignity to face her. Alice-sama, Claire-sama is right. While I do understand your sentiment to meet that person after having come all this way, please understand. Despite the two suggestions, Alice's radiant smile was unfazed. Yes, we can postpone the meeting with Oni-sama for today. Then, I would like to leave that for when we come again. Hachibai, could you accompany me for just a little longer? Part 6. With nothing specific to do, we openly roamed the streets. Afraid of being captured by the police, Claire and Rain looked around in distress. However, opposite to those two, Hachibai, that is? What kind of thing is that? There is someone that can breathe fire. Is that person a half-dragon? That person was something like a street performer. For a professional entertainer, that kind of trick wasn't much. At the store where moi work, the entertainer that often comes to play around, can summon a rookie killer from a small bag. I see, so people in this line of work can use breath magic and summoning magic at the same time. At the back of the fight, these type of people can show their true colors. As Alice was excited, she displayed an ever-growing curiosity towards her surroundings. I see, so that is a street performer. In the Anti-Demon King Army Corps, we should enlist more street performers. Claire-sama, street performers don't have fighting capabilities. They will cry if you send them to the battlefield, so please stop there. Without care for what the other two said, Alice happily ran around the streets while pulling moi's hand along. Hurry, hurry, she would say. Well, there was no reason to not enjoy this. Today was the opening of the annual summer festival. Though, this small festival was merely a prelude to that detestable heiress Thanksgiving festival. As if this was the first time she had seen roadside stalls, Alice's eyes shone with energy as she inquired about this and that. Hachibai, does the festival involve this many people every year? Also, Hachibai, there are also other people who also wearing strange face masks. By the way, will the coming heiress festival be enjoyable like this one? Those are not face masks, they are festival masks. Also, moi do not have any interest in the heiress festival, but moi know this little rumor. It is said that the goddess heiress will descend to the human world to secretly enjoy the festival. To allow goddess heiress to roam freely in the crowds during the festival, there are a lot of people who will cosplay as her. Basically, Alice gazed at moi with an excited expression befitting of her age. During the festival, even the goddess will descend into the world. Moi thinks that even if a Haim-sama was to disguise herself in a crowd of people, no one would ever notice. A brilliant smile surfaced from Alice, and her eyes widened in surprise. Then, even an average girl like myself would not stand out at all during the festival. Though I cannot come to this town, I will consider participating in the heiress festival at the capital. Saying that, Alice laughed softly. Then, Vanir Dano, thank you for your care today. Although a lot has happened today, I did not think that it would have turned out this way. Despite us having roamed around the town in such an open manner, none of the policemen seemed to care about our presence. It seems that the disturbance we caused was not as large as I had imagined. That is obviously not the case. To shrug off such a large incident, this city is definitely weird. The sky had already turned dark. It should be time for them to return home. In response to Claire's words, Rain, who lacked common sense, continued to complain. Rain Dano, if thou art a true respectable lady, then please keep your composure and refine your common sense a little. You were being stared at by the passers-by, you know? Please do not draw so much attention. Are you talking about me? Compared to this town, I have far more common sense. Back in the capital, I was troubled because I did not draw any attention at all. I don't even know what to feel anymore. Everything is so convoluted. Rain, why are you making such a ruckus? Vanir Dano is correct. Please calm down a little. Why am I being lectured by Claire-sama? Ignoring Rain, who was being noisy, Alice looked towards moi and said, Hachibai, I have been in your care today. Thank you for maintaining the act of the foolish mood maker to the very end. I really enjoyed it, you know. Alice smiled happily. The two followers at her side lightly bowed in thanks. Moi too enjoyed it very much. Moi little master for a day, if there is another chance, you are welcome to come to this town to play. Also, you are welcome at Wiz's magic tool store. Yes. Hachibai. Hachibai, what kind of work will you do from now on? You said you run a consulting center, but isn't that an unstable occupation? If Hachibai would like to, then not just today, you can come and stay with us from now on. Moi put moi hand on the little master's head and stopped Alice from saying any more. Though moi would like to leave behind everything and go to some faraway place, there is a friend here that moi cannot leave alone. That said, moi would be more than willing to be your Hachibai for a day at any time. To moi words, Alice smiled once more. Humph. To be honest, with Vanir Dano's level of power, you would be able to earn far more money. If you come with me, I would be able to introduce you to various good jobs. Claire Dano, if Vanir Dano was to come, then our jobs as bodyguards would disappear. Either way, does anyone think that Vanir Dano's power is an anomaly? Though Vanir Dano was just talking about how the goddess would come down to play during the Eris festival, when I think back to Vanir Dano's rampaging visage, I can't help but think that the Demon King has descended instead. Having said that, the two of them bowed elegantly. It was a bow that was truly befitting of nobility. To those two, moi said. It seems that moi has found a way to change employment if there comes a time when it is necessary. If moi can no longer stand my everyday life, then at that time moi shall be indebted to thee instead. Moi returned a bow that only nobles knew. Seeing that gesture, the two's eyes widened. I have been curious since we first met, but the way in which Vanir Dano behaves, and his manner of speech, could it be that you are a person of great status in another nation? While moi was considering how to respond to Claire, the reason you always wear that mask, could it be that it is in order to hide your prestigious identity? Rain inquired in a small voice. Now then, how should moi respond? Despite moi appearance, moi was the Duke of Hell, though it would be appropriate to say that moi was the Duke of a foreign nation, but if Alice-sama is the granddaughter of the chairman store owner, then moi am merely someone who runs a consulting center and work part-time at certain magic tool store. Moi am nothing more, nothing less than that. Having said that, moi released an unrepressed laugh. Claire and Rain audibly gulped. By the way they fidgeted, it appeared that they strongly desired to know moi true identity. Considering that we are indebted to Hachibai, should we at least tell him my true identity? Alice seemed slightly anxious about the conversation, and decided to ask. But moi lightly shook moi head. Regardless of who thou art today, thou art moi master, and moi am your Hachibai. Now, moi little Master Dano, why has the cute face that is the evidence of moi effort disappeared? To moi who had admirably played the fool, the princess that called herself Alice, showed a brilliant smile befitting of her age. Under the starry sky, moi hurriedly returned to the magic tool store. Today moi earned a fortune. There was the initial amount, however, moi had performed the role of the Hachibai beyond expectation, and received a special bonus. With this much money, even if the troublesome store owner managed to punch out more red digits, moi would not have to worry about having nothing left. As expected, that lady would have a bright future. Not only did she compliment moi mask, but if there would be a day when moi current livelihood faded, moi could even go there to play. That said, moi's wish was to help this undependable friend, and one day have her construct a great dungeon for moi. Having decided to tell the house-sitting store owner of moi's adventure today, moi opened the door to the magic tool store. Whiz, moi have returned. Listen well, today's earnings are truly outrageous. Since the opening of the consulting center, this is surely the top customer, and, moi stopped. Everything around moi ceased to move. For some reason, Wiz appeared from the store, carrying a mysterious pile of rubble. What has happened in moi's absence? Then, she noticed moi who had stood there dumbfounded. Why, you are mistaken, Vanir-san. Wiz, who was carrying a pile of garbage, slowly retreated from moi. What am I mistaken about? What has happened this time? Though I don't really want to hear it, I will grant you a chance to explain. Calm down, just now, didn't moi pledge to help this undependable friend? Though moi wanted to chase after Alice's group at this very moment, it would not be too late to do so after hearing her explanation. Actually, Aquasama's holy water was well received. For the first time, they actually sold out. Wiz, who had an impatient expression, said something out of moi's expectations. Sold out? That holy water. Moi thought it would be some cruel punchline again, but it was actually a rare piece of good news. Though moi had doubts at first, that strategy had come from that little brat. If it came from the brat that specialized in earning money, then this profit was nothing rare. And then, you see, Aquasama and I were very happy to have sold out the holy water, so we decided that based on the usual sales, we would increase the amount of production to earn more money. After all, Aquasama and I, who would often trouble Kazuma-san and Vanir-san, wanted to show you that we can occasionally come up with something good. So you mean you wanted to impress moi? Then, moi's words caused Wiz to shake violently. She then pointed deeper into the store. Then we decided that we would use the potion series that couldn't sell, and convert that all into holy water. That way, we could even save the time needed to bottle the holy water. Huff huff. And then, you see, in the storage deep in the store, there is a potion that would explode when opened. Vanir-san, where are you going all of a sudden? Please wait, Vanir-san, please listen to the end. Having heard this much, moi turned to chase after Alice and plead her to hire moi. Chapter 3, Today as a Receptionist Part 1. Lately, there is a lady that moi has been curious about. Here, this is the reward for your request. Thank you for your hard work. After serving all the customers as usual, while sitting in the corner of the Adventurers Guild, moi found myself observing this curious lady. The lady's name is Luna. Luna-san, I'll entrust you with the calculation as well. An unexpected amount of monsters appeared and it was really tough. I think the monsters seemed to have come from other habitats. While we destroyed all the assault ants in sight, there are probably some remaining there. That must have been a troubling situation, thanks for the information. The monsters might be establishing a nest nearby. Please tell me where you encountered assault ants, the guild will put up an investigation quest. Also, the reward for the hunting quest will be increased appropriately. Thank you for your hard work. She would give an appropriate response to the rowdy adventurers. Luna-san, about the monsters specified in this request. When we arrived, the monsters had already been hunted. Does this count as a failure? They seemed to have been repelled by passing adventurers. In this situation, the penalty for failure will not apply, please be assured. She would swiftly resolve any problems that suddenly appeared. Oi Luna, I've been curious for a while now, but what kind of food did you eat for your chest to be that big? There's a girl in my party named Rin, you know? Her body doesn't seem to be developing at all. I pity her as a companion. I wanted to give her some advice. Got any good ideas? Dust-san, if you speak in such a vulgar manner to an employee, an appropriate penalty will be imposed. You already tend to quarrel with the new adventurers, and have caused various disagreeable incidents. Therefore, if this continues, I may be forced to take some measures against you. And she would deal with delinquents that were drunk in the afternoon. Vanir-san, why are you looking at Luna-san? That Wani-san is a popular receptionist lady at the Adventurers Guild. If you do something that troubles her, you'll be attacked by other adventurers, you know? See, Dust-san is already being beat up. This receptionist lady has sparked moi curiosity. Moi glanced at Yun-Yun. Moi glanced at Yun-Yun, who was seated beside moi. Having a ranged set of playing cards, she was enjoying a concentration game. Moi does not want to trouble her, after all, moi owes her a lot. She allowed moi to use this corner of the guild, and even introduced troubled customers to moi. Because of that, moi was troubled. Then why are you making such a troubled expression? Vanir-san, if you are free, do you want to play a concentration game? I'm quite confident in my skills in board and card games. I'll even gamble my spare change, alright. With an intense desire to play, Yun-Yun shuffled the deck and arranged the cards on the table. Alright, then allow moi to go first. Oh ho, it seems that moi have safely accrued a pair. Oh ho, another pair? Hey, what is happening here? Has moi completed all the pairs in a single turn? Then moi shall take what you bet. Using your clairvoyance power is cheating. The game ended before I could do anything. Despite her complaints, Yun-Yun, who was honest to a fault, quietly handed over the money. Actually, moi is interested in someone. The cards that Yun-Yun were shuffling fell abruptly to the floor. Part 2. As moi was arranging the store warehouse and getting rid of useless products, the goddess stood with a gaping mouth at the variety of items in the warehouse. She looked around in awe, hoping to find an interesting item. Please excuse me, Vanir-san, could you say that one more time? With an equally dumbfounded expression, was inquired once again. Without stopping what moi was working on, moi replied. Moi said that recently, moi has become interested in someone. To Yun-Yun the other day, as well as to Wiz just now, moi repeated the same line. As moi continued to work, moi picked up a product. What kind of effect could this possibly have? Vanir-san, how could you continue to work like normal? Vanir-san is interested in someone? And who is this someone in question? Is that person human? To think that the Vanir-san that insists on saying things that no one understands, would have such a youthful moment. Please calm down, Wiz. If it is this person, then he is probably interested in the product of some armor store, or a ghost mask that he saw at the festival. Please don't hold such high expectations. Moi glanced at the two who said disrespectful things about Moi. Moi is interested in a human lady. That said, could you please tell Moi what kind of effect this magic tool has? That said, right now there is something far more important than that magic tool. By the way, that is a powerful magic tool allows its user to use the thief skill, steal. Although it uses a large amount of mana, and can only be equipped by people with the thief profession. That said, that person is a human you said. This item was not a magic tool, but rather, a piece of junk. Nay whiz, I'm slightly shocked at this unexpected turn of events. Having been with Vanir-san for such a long time, I'm far more shocked than you are Aquasama. To be honest, I thought it was some kind of joke. Whilst the two caused trouble as they pleased, Moi threw the junk into a box of items marked for clearance. And then, Vanir-san, what will you do about that person? Even if you say that. As of now, Moi does not intend to do anything special. Currently, that lady is one of Moi's big clients. Although we usually do not talk much, if we were to engage in a relationship, it would affect the business. Since the new business is finally running smoothly, Moi intends to refrain from doing any needless actions. Moi said, as Moi picked up another piece of junk. What are you saying? This is not like Vanir-san. Wiz took the junk from Moi's hands. I guess it can't be helped. Though I hate you, after hearing something so interesting, I can't just sit here and do nothing, right? Wiz, let us use our rich romantic experiences to give him some advice. Making this devil with a bad personality owe us isn't a bad thing either. Rich romantic experiences. Aquasama, when I was an adventurer I spent my all days fighting, after that I've been working desperately in this store, so about that. It's alright, when I was working as a goddess, I spent all my free time reading manga. Of course, as should be expected, my knowledge in romance manga is absolute. So just leave this to me. Just what are these two excited about? The goddess with a smug expression proceeded to sit down with no regard for etiquette. With an aura of pride, she crossed her arms and said, as a devil you surely won't understand a girl's feelings, therefore, I will be the one to guide you on the right path. Though I don't know who that girl is, the first step is to present gifts that would make her happy. After that, you should begin to understand that girl. If you are not familiar with that girl, and she still accepts your gift, then you should stop interacting with her. To be honest, Moi was annoyed and this goddess enthusiasm. Then, Wiz, who had returned the junk to the shelf, joined her hands in prayer. Vanir-san, having been your friend for a long time, I will do everything to support you. I pledge that I will no longer produce red digits, so please rest assured. However, as your friend, I have one request. Using Vanir-san's power, everything will surely go smoothly. However, using the power of clairvoyance will not build a lasting relationship, and while you may be able to get what you want at first, you will be left with nothing at the end. Please do not abuse your power, and instead grasp your happiness with your own hands. Saying such things, Wiz silently smiled. Never mind that, give back the junk you returned to the shelf. Part 3. The person in question is a benefactor of the magic tool store. For that reason, Moi repressed Moi's feelings. However, since the store owner said such things, then perhaps it would be fun to listen to their opinions from time to time. As a result, Moi, despite Moi's suspicions, acted according to the goddess' advice. In other words, how does Luna Dano doth today? Moi has brought you a present. Please take it. Is this some new form of harassment? The person whom Moi has recently been interested in, said such things the moment she opened her mouth. As expected, it would be better to not heed that goddess' advice. If you would ask Moi whether Moi liked harassment, then Moi would answer that Moi love it. However, this is truly a sincere present, a gift of gratitude for your having always been in your care. At the counter of the Adventurers Guild, towards Moi who brought forth the present, Luna showed an uncomfortable expression. I don't think there exists any greater form of harassment. Could I ask what kind of act this is? It is as Moi have said. Moi even so far as to go to the neighboring area to hunt this. To Moi sincere present, she said. Then may I ask why are you gifting me a monster corpse? Don't you always spend money to buy slain monsters from the adventurers? So I thought that I had a hobby of collecting monster corpses. Like I would have that kind of hobby. The reason we buy the corpses of monsters that cannot be eaten is because leaving those bodies around would cause diseases to spread amongst the other monsters. Furthermore, buying those corpses will be a great help to the newbie adventurers. Either way, didn't I ask Vanir-san to avoid destroying the monster's ecosystem? What? Moi am not that foolish. Around the habitat of the monster species whose numbers are declining, Moi has strategically placed homemade Vanir dolls that would laugh and explode. Please go and retrieve them. Without using the power of clairvoyance, it is hard to establish relationships. In this manner, Moi's initial approach ended in failure. How did it go? Nay, how did it go? The present strategy. Returning to the store at night, the excited and annoying goddess looked at Moi with eyes of expectation. Nothing happened. Moi's sincere present was rejected. Furthermore, she told me never to do that type of thing again. After hearing that, the goddess rested her chin on her hand, raised her eyebrows and said, Ho! This development is beyond my expectations. To the goddess mutters, Aquasama? What do you mean by a development beyond your expectations? To Wiz's inquiry, the goddess showed a serious expression. To be real, I honestly believed that this wicked devil was be attracted to someone's strange girl. However, not only was she not attracted by the present, she even asked this devil to not do anything like that again. For the sake of this kind girl, I was considering whether to use some dastardly methods to break up this affair. Aquasama, saying that is too much. Even Vanir-san deserves the right to love a normal girl. Vanir-san got a good response, and it seems that the person he is interested in is an honest, straightforward girl as well. To the two whose conversation Moi could not understand, Moi said. Moi only said that he was interested in this lady, and did not say anything about love. Nay whiz, this devil still insists on saying such things. Vanir-san is not a straightforward person, he must be embarrassed. Ignoring the two who murmured amongst themselves, Moi prepared for work tomorrow. Part 4 the next morning. Learning from yesterday's mistakes, I think you should first gather information about that girl. After delivering the sold products and returning to the store, Moi discovered that this bothersome goddess had come to play around again. One could often find this goddess walking around on the streets with nothing in mind. She really had too much free time. Wiz, who sat next to the goddess, nodded her head. That's right, it's hard to make a strategy if we don't understand the person of interest. We don't even know her name. Vanir-san, could you describe any special traits that she has? Humph, the special traits of that lady huh? If there's anything in particular, then it would be her work. Moi suppose you're right. Usually, she puts her efforts into settling the results made by a variety of people. Yes, she would settle the problems made by the adventurers. I see, so she likes to care for others. I never thought that you would have a good eye for women. I will give you 10 goddess points for that. Anything else? Moi was curious as to what goddess points were. Next is, she would advise those that she associated with about particular dangers, and she would offer work to those that don't have any money. Yes, she would advise the newbie adventurers, and would provide them with simple quests. She is truly an honest person. Could it be, that girl is a priest of the Axis cult? Other special traits. She is regarded as a beautiful woman with big breasts. I'm really disappointed. Vanir-san, you have really disappointed me. Point penalty. It is too early for you to receive any goddess points. That lady is the popular receptionist of the guild, and there were always adventurers lined up to see her. By the way, the brat that was this goddess companion would always go to that lady for anything related to quests. Well, either way, I now understand a little bit. The person you are interested in is a flawless flower. This hurdle is too high for you who lacks any good points, just give up already. Since you can probably already see the punchline where you are thrown away, you should just leave this be. Aquasama, that is too rude. Vanir-san has his good points, and isn't it too early to tell? Even though Vanir-san is like this, he is really popular amongst the children and elderly women of this town. Moi ignored the two who continued to say more disrespectful things about Moi. So, the first step is to gather information about her. Moi see, there is some truth to that statement. Basically, it is like this. Anyhow, at the Adventurers Guild today, Moi have decided close the consulting center for today. To Yunyun, who wore a surprised expression, Moi casually sipped from the glass in hand and said, having come today as a customer, Moi will be able to shamelessly observe the person of interest. The lonely lady who is unwilling leave Moi side, since you helped Moi store during the Goddess Era's Thanksgiving festival, allow Moi to treat you. Stop calling me a lonely lady. But since you said so, Yunyun quickly ordered a juice. Perhaps out of happiness over the first time she was treated by a friend, she happily giggled to herself as she gazed at and fidgeted with the glass. If anything, she was a lady that was inexpensive to deal with. At this moment, a shadow loomed from behind Moi. Yo, isn't it Boss Vanir and the little brat? I saw that you aren't working today, so what are you guys doing now? Axel's infamous delinquent adventurer, Dust. Dust casually picked up the juice in front of Yunyun and drank it all in one breath. He then followed Moi line of sight. Harin, I can't really underestimate the boss. You are eyeing that receptionist, right? She definitely has large boobs, so I can understand how you feel. Ah. You, the heck are you doing? Oi, stop it you little brat, though I don't understand what happened, but you seem to be looking for a fight. Well then, come on. Whilst Yunyun pounced on Dust who had stolen her juice, Moi continued to observe Luna's work. Like I said, please lecture the adventurers of this guild. This is already the third time where drunk adventurers had run around naked at my hotel. There are nobles staying at my hotel. Also I, who am a mere commoner, cannot control and lecture these adventurers. Even though my high-class hotel used to never have beginner adventurers, recently, there have been many more adventurers that have come to stay at my hotel. I'm very sorry. The reason our adventurers are now able to use high-class hotels is because they had claimed the bounties of the Destroyer and the Kowloon Hydra, and have suddenly become wealthy. I am sure that after a while, they will get tired of that lifestyle. However, since the adventurers are composed of those who desire freedom, the guild is unable to restrict them from going to high-class hotels. Then just send your employees or something and tell them to get those crude ruffians to stop. I'm sorry. I'm extremely sorry for their behavior. I will tell a currently free employee to go there immediately. It seems that this girl was cleaning up after the mess of some idiots. Since Moi had opened the business at the guild, Moi has determined that the work of an adventurers guild employee is truly arduous. Gathering information on monsters, investigating the Demon King's army, guiding and educating the beginner adventurers, collecting the necessary materials for monsters, establishing the finances to support the nation and its citizens, regulating the population of specific monsters, and to manage the damages caused. However, Luna-san, there is a serious problem. The Hunters Federation have filed an official complaint. It says that, in the forest where we hunt, the birds have begun to fly as a group due to the explosion that will always occur daily. They don't request that the explosions stop, but they want to be informed of when and where the explosion takes place. I understand. Call the person causing explosions to the Adventurers Guild. I will write a reply to the Hunters Federation later. Understood. Most of the work consisted of cleaning the mess created by the adventurers. Excuse me, is this the Adventurers Guild of this town? I am in charge of managing the use of medical slimes. Just now, a blonde-haired blue-eyed female adventurer that looked like a knight stopped us. A blonde-haired blue-eyed female knight. And then, what did she say when she stopped you? About that. She said, what is that slime? As someone who knows a lot about slimes, I can tell that is not a normal slime. Is it a magically modified slime? It is a magically modified slime that can melt clothes, right? Ha-en, so you intend to throw this slime at the people of this town and strip the pure maidens. You despicable bastard. As an adventurer that protects the safety of this town, I will confiscate that slime. I will at least recompense you, so be grateful. And forceful took the slime we were transporting away. I'm extremely sorry, we will have the medical slimes returned to you as quickly as possible. Any employees that are open at the moment, someone go retrieve the slimes. Also, since you will surely meet resistance, contact the lady's guardian before going. Moi continued observed the hurried movements of the employees. For a while now, the problem seems to only be caused by the adventurers that Moi knew. Vanir-san? Could it be that the person that Vanir-san is interested in is that Wani-san? Yun, who now understood who Moi was looking at, asked absent-mindedly. Earlier, she had left with Dust to fight outside, and seems to have won without any trouble. Recently, Moi have been very interested in that lady. Even as Moi watched that lady move around, I feel the urge to rush over there. To that extent. Yun's face turned red, and she turned with a heated expression to look at Moi. Vanir-san, I will support you. A devil and an adventurers guild receptionist. Originally, the guild employees that guide the monster hunts are a devil's enemy. However, isn't this type of star-crossed relationship really amazing? Also, to be able to help with a friend's love troubles, isn't this a wonderful moment? It makes me feel that we are truly friends. Though her misunderstanding caused her to be uncharacteristically excited, Moi appreciated her help. Together with Yun, Moi returned to the store. Wiz quickly came rushing out. Welcome home. How did it go? Did Vanir-san find some strategy to approach the person you are interested in? Toward Wiz's anticipation, Moi shook my head. To do this without Moi clairvoyant power is truly troublesome. That said, Moi now realizes that Moi have been too reliant on this power. Regrettable things aside, Moi believe this is merely a problem Moi must overcome to achieve Moi dream. Vanir-san, you really didn't use your power. That's right, the struggle before coming together is truly the greatest spice of romance. For some reason, Wiz showed a relieved expression. However, she continued with a dark expression. But, if it continues like this, I fear that Vanir-san will greatly suffer. So, with the power of clairvoyance, Moi stopped Wiz from continuing. Ho, what happened to your confidence just now? What has overcome that air of confidence? It seems like you are experienced in romance, so please allow Moi to learn from your experiences. So then let us decide on what to do from now on. Yun-san, do you have any good ideas? You don't have any. Isn't that right? Then let's first use this. Actually, this is an amazing magic tool. Wiz-san. I haven't even said anything yet. Ignoring what Moi had to say, Wiz rushed into the warehouse to retrieve the magic tool. At the same time, the store door was slammed open. I heard about it, Vanir-sama. That you were seduced by some little human lady. Two devils stood in the doorway. They were the succubus that worked in this town. Part 5. What has happened? Moi was merely worried about that lady. Vanir-sama, please return to your usual self. The person a human, and has only lived about 20 years. To you she should be someone with the age of an infant. If this goes on then the Vanir-sama that we worship will be labeled a lullicon. Am I not already good enough? If I am not good enough, then I will bring the youngest from our store. Please choose me. No, to think that the person Vanir-sama is interested would seduce Vanir-sama instead of coming after you directly. If Vanir-sama's subordinates hear that then they would begin to cry. That only leaves one choice, please choose me. The succubus who ran a suspicious store in town, and the lowly succubus who was the youngest employee of the store, had come here to complain. When Moi had settled in this town, the succubus had come to give their casual greetings. However, they were also the residents of Moi domain in hell. Please stop for a moment and calm down. By the way, who did you hear this from? A blonde repeat customer with a bad gaze. So it was him. Unable to follow the sudden turn of events, Wiz observed the situation from a short distance. She appeared to have spotted the photo collection that the lowly succubus wrapped in her arms, close to her chest. I am a fan of the clairvoyant Vanir-sama. To us, Vanir-sama is handsome, sexy, vicious. I cannot accept that Vanir-sama would be made a fool of by a mere human. It was Moi photo collection. Using a magic camera that Moi obtained through certain connections, Moi, partly for fun, had taken some pictures of myself. Moi then tried a limited print release, but had never expected the nearby succubus to make the product fly off the shelves. Yun, who had silently listened the entire time, slowly raised her hand. Vanir-san? From the conversation just now, could it be that these people are also devils? To be precise, they are devil succubus. Light of Saber. Without hearing the response of Moi response, Yun activated her magic. Raising her right hand skyward, and using her left to flip her mantle, Yun announced to the two succubi. My name is Yun, an archwizard that uses advanced magic, the top magician of the Crimson Magic Clan, and the one who will eventually become the village chief. The ones that obstruct my friend's romance. I shall show, To stop Yun who intended to unleash her magic, Moi slapped the back of her head. The lowly succubus, who was suddenly faced with advanced magic, held the magazine tightly in her arms, and retreated with a frightened expression. The lowly succubus, despite not having any fighting abilities, did not run away. Moi sighed. Moi does not understand what kind of misunderstanding you have, but I needn't worry about Moi. Here, let Moi take the photo collection, I will sign it. After that, you should go home for today. As Moi took the photo collection, the lowly succubus expression brightened up. Vanir-san, What is that photo collection? Ow. Ah, I am a bit curious about that as well. Wiz, who had been observing the situation, and Yun Yun, who rubbed her head, expressed their interest. This is a collection of photos of Moi no holds barred stark naked visage. Moi had tried a limited release, and it was extremely popular amongst the succubi. As of now, it is a premium item. To Moi words, the two of them looked at Moi mask. They then bent down and huddled together to discuss. He said, stark naked. Wiz-san, you have been acquaintances with Vanir-san for a long time, right? Have you ever seen Vanir-san's face? No, about that. Apparently the mask is the real body, so I've never seen what is behind it, though I heard that the nearby wives have all seen it. I don't know what kind of secret it is, but he hasn't allowed Aquasama and I to see it. The reason that Moi did not allow that goddess and Wiz to look under the mask is just to tease those who wanted to see under Moi mask. The gaze of the two then collectively focused on the photo collection that the lowly succubus was handing over. The older succubus then timidly said, then Vanir-sama, in the end, what do you plan to do with that human? Humph. What do Moi plan to do, HM? The person concerned was the biggest customer of the Adventurers Guild. But because she was also an employee of the guild, Moi did not plan to do anything rash. Moi is content with being able to stand beside that lady, and does not wish for anything more. It is for the sake of this store. Saying that, Moi quickly signed the book. Vanir-sama is not such a faint-hearted person. Vanir-sama will surely, Vanir-sama who can see through all will surely. Surely, Vanir-sama will easily make that mere human lady fall into your hands. That is the Vanir-sama that we yearn for. The lowly succubus attested to her belief with tears in her eyes. You. Please excuse her Vanir-sama, the full moon is coming, so this child is a bit excited. It was as the succubus said, on the night of a full moon, a devil's emotions and power were at its strongest. Yes, tonight, a beautiful moon will rise. The sudden rise of Moi feelings was surely caused by that moon. Not because of the citizen of Moi domain that cried in sorrow before Moi. Foo. Moi began to laugh uncontrollably. Yes, Moi am the devil that sees through all. Fua. Ha. There was nothing to worry about. V Vanir-sama. The two succubus looked at Moi with eyes of expectation. Yes, what was there to be reserved about? When, and for what reason, did Moi become so withered? Moi am the great devil that sees through all. Even if Moi were to achieve the results of Moi desire, Moi would still lose Moi current business. As a result, it would delay Moi dream of making a dungeon. Foo ha. To think that Moi would suppress Moi own desire. It is truly not like Moi to act in such a way. Alright, I will allow myself to indulge in Moi desire, and unleash Moi power. Oi, the lecherous store owner that had been looking at Moi photo collection whilst indulging in delusions. Lecherous store owner? Please wait a moment, Vanir-san. I was not indulging in any delusions. I am just a bit curious about its contents. I did not have any weird delusions either. I was also only curious about what is hidden behind the mask. That doesn't matter. If you are really curious about the photo collection, there are more copies in the storeroom, so you can look as many times as you want. More importantly, Moi looked at Wiz. Sorry, store owner, but Moi will not be able to follow thy advice to not use Moi power. Before Moi loyal subordinates, Moi must display Moi full power. Moi lips curved in an evil grin. Moi thought Moi friend would be angry. Alright, take care. As she said that, she revealed a small smile. Part 6. The customers of the Adventure Guild had all left. It was almost midnight. Moi had come to the dim Adventure Guild. The candlelight of the kitchen had been extinguished. Only a small lantern that remained lit. Who is it? The Adventurers Guild is closed for today already, alright. Alone under the candlelight, Luna continued to do bookkeeping work. Every day, she would have to listen to complaints with a beaming smile, and solve these complicated disputes. Despite having to deal with ruffian adventurers and influential parties, she continued to work as a receptionist without remorse. She would come to the guild earlier than anyone else, and leave later than anyone else. Moi have always been interested in this girl. Why is thy still working at this time of day? To Moi words, Luna released a small depreciative laugh. It is because this is my job. At the same time, Moi detected a pleasant smell. It was sweet and fragrant. This excellent smell had been hanging on Moi's mind ever since Moi had come to this guild. As expected, this is good. Moi am extremely interested in the manners regarding this lady. Thy art a wise lady. Thy have probably already noticed Moi's true identity. Of course I know. What are you saying after such a long time? Luna seemed to be slightly surprised. Then Moi need not explain. From now onwards, Moi desires to be on good terms with the guild. Therefore, allow Moi to reintroduce myself. Moi am the clairvoyant Devil Vanir. Originally one of the Demon King Army's generals. Moi am the Duke of Hell Vanir. Of course. To Luna who already knew what Moi said. Thy heart that is toilsome every day. Moi have already seen through it all. Moi loudly placed the sake bottle onto the table. Then, Moi benefactor. Tonight, allow Moi to listen to your accumulated troubles. 1 hour past midnight. I can't take it anymore. Just why? Why do all the adventurers of this town cause so many problems? Do they have some grudge towards me? Not to mention that the people I deal with are adventurers. Not only can I not use any forceful methods, but since the adventurers of this town are now fairly wealthy, they don't care if I restrict them from doing quests for a while. What exactly should I do? At the tavern of the Adventurers Guild, Luna drunkenly roared her troubles as loudly as she could. There are strange people everywhere in this town. I understand thy feelings. Whilst listening intently, Moi continued to pour sake into the Luna's cup. Only Luna and Moi were currently at the Adventurers Guild. Luna gulped the cup in one breath, and continued to complain. Uku, only Vanir-san seems to understand me. Each and every single day I have to clean up after the adventurers' mess, and even then there is no overtime pay. Once I get home I immediately go to sleep, and by then, it is already almost to go to work again. I haven't taken a day off in 3 months, you know. Even though there are new employees, all the older workers retire when they're merry, so it is just as busy as before. I want a boyfriend. I want to experience romance. Rather than those adventurers that can only say crude things, I want a gentlemanly and mature lover. I see, I have truly been troubled every day. Do not worry, Moi can already see that in a short while, you will find an attractive man. Now, it is fine to keep drinking. Since Moi always borrows the guild's corner for Moi business, tonight is Moi treat. This is the least Moi can do. As Moi refilled the empty cup again, the receptionist lady wildly turned to gaze at Moi. Ha! If only Vanir-san is not a devil. Fuhahaha, Moi am not a devil. Rather Moi am merely a part-time worker and a well-behaved citizen of Axel. Yeah, that's right, you're just a plain citizen who wears work gloves and a working outfit, and occasionally goes to hunt monsters whose populations have grown too much. Thank you as always. Well, you are welcome. Wearing a regretful expression for some reason, Luna dropped her empty cup on the table and began to mutter. I want to take a rest. I don't care if I have to pay, I just want to rest. The things I have to clean have piled up like a mountain, and I haven't taken out this week's trash. If possible, I want to experience a wonderful romance. In response to the drunk Luna, Moi's lips curved into a wicked smile. Thy dreams will be realized. Part 7. Though the Adventurers Guild was usually filled with quarreling, today, it was especially rowdy. Some of the adventurers that entered the guild observed the situation from far away, whilst others whispered amongst themselves. Before long, a lone adventurer that could no longer bear the situation, walked up and timidly asked, Vanir-san, what are you doing here? To Moi, who was sitting behind the counter. You should first start with a greeting, you small-eyed man. As you can see, today, Moi is a receptionist. Moi am responsible for complaints and consulting. Now, it would be great if you could pass this message along to the idiots who are looking from far away. So, the man doubtfully explained the situation to the other adventurers. Either way, the adventurers were puzzled as to why Moi have become a receptionist. After sending the drunk Luna back to her home, Moi explained to the other employees that Moi would replace Luna for today, which led to the current situation. While the employees had shown doubtful expressions, in the end, they solemnly decided to accept the compromise. Though they may want to inquire about Moi's intentions, the situation is as Moi had anticipated with Moi's clairvoyant power. However, this was all preparation to obtain that radiant future. Then, is Vanir-san is responsible for complaints? Then it is fine if I tell you, right? The two adventurers that stood before Moi inquired with a glint of suspicion. Yes, as Moi usually runs a consulting center, replying to complaints that not trouble Moi in any way. Then let us hear it. What are you troubled about? Actually, we've been summoned to the guild. A while ago we were drunk, and began to quarrel in the middle of the street. That's right. And since this person is a warrior, and I am a magic class, after a while I began to use magic. Since offensive type magic is forbidden in town, we've come to the guild to have the penalty imposed. The adventurers of this town are indeed a group of problem children. I see. It is true that in the case of using offensive type magic in town, a 1-month penalty of community service will be imposed on the parties involved. Well then, let us settle this matter quickly. Wait a second, oi. Though it is bad for us to quarrel in town, we are adventurers, you know? During the time where we're doing community service, wouldn't there be a troubling increase in the number of monsters? Yeah. Anyway, since we fight monsters every day, isn't it fine to be drunk occasionally? No one was hurt either way, and isn't this type of incident really common in this town? So it was like that. No wonder Luna was so troubled. No wonder she would emit such a wonderful scent. Basically, you don't plan on accepting the penalty of community service? To Moi question, the two lightly took a step back. Oh, of course. What is it? I'm not scared of you. If you use violence, then I will go and tell Wiz-sen. I'm not scared of you either. If we were scared of fighting, then we wouldn't be adventurers in the first place. That said, I don't mind if we use money in place of community service. I don't mind being fined at all. Though Moi did not understand their strong attitude, Moi slowly rose from Moi's seat. This isn't all the adventurers that have been called by the guild today. Please look over here. To these two people who are giving the guild employees a lot of trouble, Moi shall use brute force. Shouting the announcement across the guild, Moi pointed to the two adventurers. To all of Moi clan in the world, the Duke of Hell Vanir orders you to. Wait. Oi, stop. What are you planning to do? I feel like I just heard a very dangerous line. We will go do community service immediately. So please wait, Vanir-san, wait. Towards the two who ran screaming. Thou shalt be struck by Moi curse. Cursed darkness. As Moi shouted, the curse attached to their targets. Uweawa. He-iya. Nothing happened. Then, a black radiance enveloped the two who could not keep up with the turn of events. Alright, your penalties end here. You're free to go. Then, next person please. Seeing Moi that acting as if nothing happened, a commotion swept across the guild. What was that just now? I've never heard of that magic. It was a magic that was darkness something. Is it a curse that makes you a natural masochist? What Moi used was a devil's curse. Using the power of darkness, Moi could place any curse that Moi desired. Seeing nothing happen to him, one of the adventurers left the guild. Idiot, isn't that just an empty threat? Oh, Vanir-san. I was summoned here because I thought with a normal citizen, could you give me the same penalty as that guy? The person showed of a gleeful air to the adventurers, and stamped his feet as he walked towards moi. It was then. Kai-ai. Hi-ya, h. The feverish cries of the two resounded throughout the guild. They seemed to now be familiar with the effects of the curse. Hey you, what's happening? Why are you crying out loud? It seemed like nothing had happened. So what is it now? Perhaps he was scared by the helpless cries, but the man who was walking towards moi showed an uncomfortable expression and froze where he stood. Not there. The man who was cursed uttered those words. And not there? What's not there? As the nearby adventurers inquired, the must kept his hands between his legs. Somehow, that thing of mine is not there. Please forgive me. Give me a break. I will pay or whatever, so please forgive me. Please return my thing. Nay, I have become some weird creature, haven't I? What should I do? Nay, how should I deal with this? I will prostrate myself on the ground or whatever, so please return me to how I was. To the two who stood there in tears, moi signaled the next adventurer, then the next customer. If moi was not wrong, I wanted moi curse as the penalty, am moi wrong? No. I will do the normal community service. I pay the fine or do anything but that. Moi handed the community service manual to the deathly pale adventurer. Then, next person please. Oh, Vanir-san, I truly regret what I have done, so please forgive me. About the trouble I've caused, please excuse my actions. I'm sorry. If it continues like this, I won't be able to marry, so please forgive me. The other adventurers observed the situation in fright. Moi said to the two adventurers who lay in tears, the penalty period is 1 month. After that, everything will return to normal. If it's not there, you will perhaps feel even more relaxed. It may even be more convenient when you go to the toilet. By the way, if you go to community service, the curse period will be shortened. I will go. As moi saw them rush out. Then, next person please. The faces of adventurers that were summoned turned pale, and their bodies began to shake uncontrollably. Part 8. About 3 hours since moi began to work, having dealt with the adventurers that caused problems, moi finally had some free time. As the adventurers guild door opened, moi spotted some familiar faces. Spotting moi, they approached with puzzled expressions. Vanir-san, what are you doing here? You didn't return last night, so I was worried. Wiz and Yunyun had come to see moi. For some reason, the two succubi followed shortly behind them. After what happened last night, moi had a drink with the person moi was interested in. Then, I brought the lady home as she was drunk. Right now, moi am working in her stead. Vanir-san, you managed to drink with that special person? You managed to pull it off, didn't you? This is an amazing development. And you even brought her home. How mature. It is a relationship between adults. Behind the two who were making a fuss, the two succubi gritted their teeth and looked as though they wanted to cry. It was then. Excuse me, I sorry for my lateness. Despite her messy hair, Luna, the lady that moi was interested in, hurriedly opened the doors and rushed into the workplace. I'm very sorry, I will immediately go to work. Vanir-san. What are you doing here? She raised her voice in surprise at moi, who was seated at the receptionist counter. What do thou mean? Moi have switched places with thou who said that I want to take a rest last night. As a result, moi am working here. How could you? Luna hurriedly glanced at the other employees. It's true, Vanir-san has taken Luna-san's place. Maybe it is because he is always at the guild, but Vanir-san managed to complete the work flawlessly. Also, Vanir-san is really amazing. He managed to control those adventurers that always cause problems, as if he were domesticating cats. Luna was dumbfounded by the continuous praise of the employees. Vanir-san, thank you very much. Not only did you listen to my problems, but you even went so far as to fill in for me when I was drunk. She bowed deeply towards moi out of gratitude. Don't worry, this is something that moi chose to do. It is nothing to be concerned about. In response to what moi said, Wiz's group reverberated. This is the person that Vanir-san was talking about. I know this person. She is the guild's popular reception lady. This Wani-san always has a long line waiting to see her. When Luna heard what the two said, she blushed slightly and timidly gazed at moi. Vanir-san, why did you this much? Normally, you and I don't interact very much, and I only lent you a corner of the guild to use. Towards Luna, whose voice has gradually become smaller out of embarrassment, moi flatly said. It is because moi am interested in thy. Though it wasn't anything that should cause a commotion, those in the guild that heard what moi said reacted spontaneously to the turn of events. After a short while, the news spread in a manner in which no one could possibly misunderstand what had unfolded. On the receiving end of the attention, Luna's face quickly turned red. He said it. Vanir-san actually said it in front of this many people. That's so cool. I have finally seen a new side of Vanir-san. Even my crimson magic heartstrings are moved. Ignoring the audience that made a large ruckus, moi continued. However, moi does not plan to do anything needless. Moi am content with doing things like drinking together once in a while. Moi am satisfied with being able to stand by thy side. Luna seemed to be shocked, and her body began to tremble. She gazed towards moi with an expression of insecurity and anticipation, and said, though I am very happy that Vanir-san feels that way. To be honest, for me who has never experienced romance, your stature and gentlemanly attitude are very close to my ideals. But I am an adventurer. Guild receptionist, and Vanir-san is a. With a pained expression and a hoarse, forceful voice, Luna averted moi gaze. Vanir-sama is serious. He has been troubled by it since forever. The lowly succubus that had remained solemnly silent, loudly declared to the guild. That's right, Vanir-sama is truly serious. Vanir-sama is the one that we yearn for to be our master, that Vanir-sama that thinks so highly of you, what is there to be troubled about? If you reject him now, can you be certain that you won't regret it? Though I don't have the power to see through the future, but even I can make such a choice. If you run away now, then when you realize how you feel, it will surely be too late. What the succubus said seemed to have a large impact on Luna, and with a determined expression, she looked at moi directly. Vanir-san, I have decided. I understand that there are many barriers that separate us, and that there are many things that I don't know about you. Even so, I want to at least try to understand you little by little. Therefore, what I want to hear is not for us to drink together once in a while. But rather, I want to hear Vanir-san tell me directly. To Luna, whose expression was filled with anticipation towards the lines that would surely follow, moi nodded moi head to reassure her. Now is that time to reap a brilliant harvest. Moi said the words that had already been predetermined by moi clairvoyant eye. Moi has always been interested in you. The negative emotions that thy release are a delicacy that is hard to come by. About thy future romantic prospects, moi sees that thy can only continue to be jealous of your co-workers. In regards to the indulgent adventurers, you will continue to carry strong negative feelings. Instead of allowing these types of feelings to go to waste, moi want to stand by thy side and listen to your complaints. Time stopped. The succubus who looked teary-eyed at moi, Wiz and Yun who observed the situation unfold with eyes that shone in expectation. The adventurers who released cries of grief at Luna's reaction. Even the employees that looked at moi with grouchy expressions. All of them froze in time. In the center of the guild that returned the silence stood Luna, whose brilliant smile remained frozen. Ah, this is the best. As expected, the negative emotions of this receptionist lady are truly a great delicacy that cannot be found elsewhere. Having tasted the greatest of negative emotions, moi expressed moi gratitude. Fu ha 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 ha, this is it. This is the taste that moi desired. This great negative emotion has a truly dreadful deliciousness. That is too cruel. Everyone but Luna shouted at moi in unison. Part 9 Wiz, Yun, the adventurers, the guild employees. Even the two succubi who were moi loyal subordinates had scolded moi for moi actions. After that. Nay, are you listening, Vanir-san? As a human there are things you can and cannot do. There is a line that shouldn't be crossed. Albeit you just said those words to moi, who is a devil. As moi listened to the lonely lady, moi began to think that moi had had the same argument before with a similarly lonely girl. I've had enough of this. Why is it that the people that I meet are all such strange people? Nay, can you tell me why? If you dare to say that, like attracts like, I will immediately beat them you all right. Don't keep quiet. Come on already. You'll accompany me here until daybreak. That means tomorrow moi will. Of course. I'll leave tomorrow's work to you. I'll be sure to give you remuneration for your temporary work. Ever since moi became a receptionist for a day, the adventurers were no longer willing to cause trouble. Because of that, not only did moi receive the thanks of the employees, but has even found a new part-time job. Though this was a good outcome. Next month, an employee in another town from the same period as me is getting married. Why is it that the employees from other towns are getting married so quickly? One of the 7 mysteries of Axel is the fact that the female adventurers and employees are not popular amongst decent people. What do you think is actually happening? Even though this town isn't anything special, why are the male adventurers of so different? As midnight quickly approached. After the customers and employees had left, only Luna and moi remained at the guild. Since the day moi tasted the delicious of that negative feeling, listening to Luna complain after she finished her work had become a daily routine. Rather, this is what moi had hoped for, and there was no helping it. Well then, just keeping drinking, receptionist lady whom is past marriageable age. To atone for moi actions the other day, would you rather moi transform into image of the capital's top host? You can do that kind of thing. Then, how about you become that famous person? Actually no, although it is a bit disgraceful, could you transform into Prince Justice? With the face of Prince Justice, I want you to say, become my wife, and we shall rule over the nation together. Excuse me, I was a bit confused there, please forget it. Alright. To moi who was at loss for words, Luna wordlessly pushed her cup towards moi once again. As moi was pouring the sake, how about moi use moi power to see thy? Absolutely, please do. Marrying age. Before moi could finish moi sentence, Luna had accepted moi proposition. Moi understands that moi should avoid talking about the trouble. Also, no matter what kind of result appears, please promise to not put a bounty on moi. Oi, why have you suddenly become silent? The day after moi had tasted the negative emotions, this lady personally placed a large bounty on moi, and had troubled me greatly. While moi had underestimated the ability of the Adventure Guild's employee, moi did feel a need to reflect on moi actions. I wouldn't be able to face a bad result, so just leave it be. Anyway, since I don't want you to transform into someone else either, could I have a glance at your true face? To be honest, I have been very interested in what is hidden behind that mask for a long time now. Part 10. Welcome home Vanir-san. What is it? Why do you seem so exhausted? To think she would say astounding things like, at this point, I don't even care if it is a devil, with such a dreadful look in her eyes. Moi underestimated the viciousness of the lady well past marriageable age. Moi lifelessly seated myself on the chair. Moi, whose energy had been expended beyond moi expectations, decided to skip today's receptionist work. Even a devil would cower away from them. A cornered female was truly terrifying. By the way, when moi was not at the store, how many red digits have been produced? In response to moi words, Wiz, with a knowing expression, took out the accounting book. The transactions of this store was recorded here. Moi received the accounting book from Wiz, and skimmed its contents. What is this? Why are there black digits here? Are you really the store owner? Moi kicked the chair aside and stood up, and prepared to battle this fake store owner. The fake store owner's expression of surprise slowly turned into one of solemn anger. Even I will occasionally produce black digits. Vanir-san, you are too cruel. There, look closely at the products that are placed on the shelves. Moi see. What on earth is happening? Could this be the harbinger of some great disaster? That's too cruel. Retrieving the accounting book from Moi's hands and returned it to the storehouse. In its place, she returned with a small crate. Actually, it is because of the popularity of this new product. This magic tool is really convenient, you know. If you inject magic power, then it will cool down the temperature of its surroundings. This is modeled after a magic tool from another world called a cooler. The small box that was brought out emitted a cool breeze. Now Moi understand, during the summertime this product will surely sell. In this rare occurrence you have made a useful product. This will surely be one of our main products. Right? Actually, I have already made an order for mass production. From now on, you can no longer be the useless store owner. To the store owner that stuck her chest out in pride, Moi said, though you said you made a mass production order, what time will the products arrive? Since summertime is almost over. Wiz, who was in high spirits, froze when she heard what Moi said. In 2 months. As usual, her voice softened as she spoke, and her face turned pale. This order will undoubtedly arrive during the autumn season. If it's an order of this size, then it can't be cancelled. I'm sorry. I intended to make a great sale. This time I thought that it would undoubtedly sell. Wiz quickly ran from Moi, and hid herself behind the counter. It seems that she has become frightened of Moi's usual punishment. Seeing that, Moi sighed. Careless store owner, you don't have to be so scared. Moi expected that red digits would be produced during the time that Moi was not here. So you can stop hiding and come out already. Towards Wiz, who remained as vigilant as a small animal, Moi lightly smiled. To be honest, being run around by the store owner, and interacting with the strange and depraved citizens of this town was not too bad. A friendless girl with no friends, a little delinquent girl whose origins were unknown, and an unmarriageable receptionist lady. In this short period of time, Moi has met many new people. The source of these encounters was the unreliable friend that brought Moi to this town. At the very least, Moi was slightly grateful. Don't worry, this product will definitely sell in due time. Though this type of large production means we wouldn't be able to have a monopoly, it would be fine to sell this next summer. But it will expire in half a year. Chapter 4, Today as a Bodyguard Part 1, Vanir-sama, this is just a small gift, but please take it. A pretty lady bowed deeply while presenting something to Moi, who was seated behind the counter of the magic tool store. Of course, to refer to Moi as Sama, she clearly wasn't human. Though amongst the devil races, the succubi are ranked fairly low, but to present a small gift to Moi, it seems you want to have your existence extinguished. Why, you're mistaken, Vanir-sama. For us, this is something that took all our efforts to get. It's just that it is something that does not match Vanir-sama's greatness. Yes, the female before Moi was a succubus. An existence that bestowed the men of this world with wet dreams, and took their spiritual energy. Although Moi have encountered this succubus many times, she had never formally greeted Moi. This led to the current state of events. Vanir-san, to say, this is a small gift, is just a standard greeting, alright? My name is Wiz, nice to meet you. Hearing Wiz say that with a kind smile, the succubus wetted her lips, and her eyes shone with a strange glimmer. She is really cute, isn't she? As expected of Vanir-sama's acquaintance. She appears to be a human magician, it is also nice too. Did you hear that, Vanir-san? She just called me cute. Ha! Witnessing Wiz's ecstatic reaction, the succubus shouted in surprise. Though it seems like you used your charm ability, but it won't have any effect on the store owner who is also a lich. More importantly, it seems that your words have made this overage store owner needlessly happy. You just said, overage store owner, didn't you? Though I haven't battled Vanir-san since I gave up my humanity, I suppose it would be nice to do so occasionally. Feeling the intense magic power and negative emotions that were flowing from Wiz, the succubus body shrank and turned pale. Sorry. I didn't realize that you are a lich that rules over the undead, please forgive my insolence. Also, anger will damage your rare beauty. Having heard what the succubus said, Wiz's mood seemed to lighten, and she hurriedly left to go make tea. Seeing Moi's simple-minded friend leave, the succubus lowered her head and said, Vanir-sama, please forgive me for using charm on your friend. I didn't have any bad intentions, so. Moi understand. Human males aside, females are your natural enemies, so Moi understand why you would use charm to control them. However, Moi recommend that you no longer come close to this store. A vicious creature that sees devils and undead as enemies occasionally comes to this place. For Vanir-sama to call it a vicious creature, what kind of creature is it? Then, the shaking succubus suddenly seated herself on the floor, and lowered her head towards Moi. Actually, I did not come today just to give my greetings, there is something else. The succubi that live in this town want Vanir-sama's protection. Even though all we want is peace and stability, the men with animal desires attack us day and night, and the priests of various sects come to hunt for our lives. What we want is to pass our days peacefully. If Vanir-sama would protect us, then every month, we will offer a portion of our profits to Vanir-sama, so please do consider it. Moi thought the adventurers of this town were protecting you well, so what kind of scheme is this? To come to our store occasionally, and host handshake parties, signing parties, and things like that. Though Moi did not sound or look very convincing, but Moi was the Duke of Hell. As a great devil that had a large amount of subordinates and territory, Moi's name was well known amongst devils. Basically, for low-ranked devils like her, Moi was an existence beyond the wildest imaginations. Moi have said this many times, but moi am not interested in devils like you that have not lived long. If you want moi recognition, then come again in about 500 years. Here, this is the skin that moi shed just now, so go home for today. Vanir-sama likes older women? I will treat this skin as a family treasure, but I will not give up. The succubus hugged moi's skin shell to her chest, and ran out of the store. The tea is ready. Did she leave already? In return for her small gift, moi gave her moi shell, and then she quickly left. Just give her something better. How could you give a girl something like that? Though the person in question was very happy about it. As Wiz, who was carrying the tea, angrily said so, the door flew open, and the bell that signaled a customer rang. Good morning. The brilliant me has come to play. Wiz is waiting for me with tea prepared? But it is lukewarm. Just as the succubus left, the vicious creature that sees devils and undead as enemies arrived. The creature that did as it pleased, indulgently drank the tea that was on Wiz's tray. Good morning, Aquasama, I will go make the tea again. Without any doubts, Wiz left to go make the tea. Nay, isn't the smell of devils particularly strong in this store today? And it's the scent of a devil weaker than you. Please don't bring devils that I don't know to my place. Since when was this your place? Part 2. Because of the stubborn goddess living there, moi left the store to take a walk. Vanir-sama, where are you going? May I come with you? Though once moi arrived on the street, moi was pestered by a succubus. A few days ago, after the commotion with the Adventure Guild's receptionist lady, this lowly succubus began to come to the magic tool store to play whenever she wanted to. However, since moi was in their care during the Eris Thanksgiving festival a while ago, moi could not simply dismiss them. Moi do not mind, as moi have nothing special to do. Moi am just looking around town while thinking of new ideas for merchandise. So you are taking a walk. Then I will accompany you. The lowly succubus hummed as she followed behind moi. It would be troublesome to drive her away, so moi let her be. Then, accompanied by some jeering voice, something rolled towards moi. Oi, are you a new merchant here? Who gave you permission do business here? The government office gave me permission. A middle-aged lady who owned an apple specialty store was being harassed with a brutish-looking man. The back of the man's shirt bore a bird-shaped mark. The objects that had rolled to moi feet were the products of the lady's store. Anyhow, it appeared that the man had dumped the lady's products over the floor. As the succubus picked up the scattered items, the man drew closer to the lady. That's not what I meant. What I was saying is that to run a stall here, you have to get our permission first. I am someone from Yatagarasu. You've heard of the name, haven't you? Come on, if you understand, take the stuff out already. TL note, Yatagarasu is a crow god that stands for guidance in Japanese mythology. Its appearance is often interpreted as divine intervention in human affairs. Why yes. The man who loudly threatened the lady outstretched his arm and opened his palm. With troubled feelings, the lady picked up several damaged apples from the ground and passed it to the man. Not these. Who told you to give me this junk merchandise? The man violently shook his head as he struck the apples from the lady's hands to the floor. Including the cost of damaged apples, the price is 3,500 eris. You still want money? And at such a ridiculous price. What don't you get about Yatagarasu? I'm a member of the massive security organization from nearby towns, Yatagarasu, you know? The man stamped the floor. From a security organization, you said? My son is in charge of the household all year round, could you employ him? We're a real security organization. It's not a place where you dispose of neats. Ah, come on already. The man pulled on his hair in frustration, and then grabbed the lady's collar and dragged her away. Please stop. I have an immobile adult son and a useless husband. At least wait till I'm done with work too. What do you think I'm thinking? If you want to do that kind of thing, you have to be a bit younger. Grandma, why is your face red? As she carried the apples in her arms, the succubus that had observed the situation turned and asked moi. Vanir-sama? That woman looks like she is being harassed, but, wait, this situation is superb. Look, that store owner is wholly satisfied with the situation, but she carries that unwilling expression. Also, those apples over there are usually not that expensive. With the incident of the damaged apples in mind, it would be safe to assume that she intentionally provoked the man. As if they had heard what moi said, the store owner and the man stopped. I see, then let's just leave to be. That would be fine. In any case, it appears that the man's job is to harass people. It would be bad to disturb someone's work. The store owner wildly fixed her clothes, and looked disdainfully in moi's direction. It would appear that she had been looking forward to the situation. Holding deep interest in the events that unfolded, the succubus looked at the two people with admiration. The jobs that humans can have. There are all kinds of them, aren't there? I suppose he is acting like a ruffian in order to show the world the necessity of a security organization. By the way, there is a troublesome girl that comes to the store every day to drink tea. If possible, I would like to request the security organization to chase her away. If no incident occurs, the police wouldn't act. I see. As we were having this conversation, the man, now red-faced, loudly stamped towards us. Oi you, guys, who are you people? The man who spoke confidently at first, became weak at the sight of moi mask. That is moi line. Moi heard that you were from a security organization. Hearing moi words, the man's confidence returned. Yeah, I am from the security organization, Yatagarasu. Just now, what were you bastards whispering about? If you have something against me, then let's hear it. If you wanted to intervene out of your sense of justice, then. Moi has nothing to say about what you were planning to do with the lady store owner. Rather, moi have a job that moi want to entrust to you. The store where moi works has a vicious frequent customer. What an eyesore. You have nothing against me. Rather, I was harassing and extorting her, you know? To not do anything is a bit inhuman. Well, whatever, you said you have a job for me. The man let off an undignified laugh. You know your place quite well, don't you? Here, if you give me a portion of your profits each month, I will protect your store. What about it? The vicious customer is just some rowdy adventurer, ain't he? I'm from an organization whose members are experts at man-to-man combat, just leave it to me. He then looked to the succubus who stood beside moi. You're from the surprisingly popular coffee store in the town's alleyway, right? Does your store need protection as well? Our store has a lot of frequent customers, so we don't need protection. Though your store owner had come to moi to ask for protection just now. Heh. Are you alright saying that? Since your store looks so profitable, surely there will be some burglars that will try to rob you. Well, just be careful, alright? Towards the succubus' unexpected answer, the man showed an expression of interest. The people of this town know that our store doesn't make much money, so burglars won't come. More importantly, your opponent is someone whom the extremely powerful Vanir-sama judged as a vicious customer. Oni-san, will you be alright? The man stopped smiling. Are you really that strong? Though you wear a weird mask, I can tell that your physique is quite good. Well, vicious customer is just an exaggeration, right? What does this customer usually do? HMPF, the moment moi am seen, the customer casts brutal magic towards moi, and the store owner has almost been erased several times. That's about how vicious the customer is. Oi, wait a second. Could I ask about your store's profits? No, I'm not scared or anything. Since I have to face someone like that, I was wondering if I could get my money's worth for my work. Recently, all moi have seen are red digits. The store owner has not eaten anything solid for a week. Then don't think about getting a security guard, just close the store and do some normal work. After that incident, the succubus and moi parted ways. Welcome home, Vanir-san. For some reason, when moi returned to the store, we seemed to be in a good mood. Moi found the reason for her good mood on top of the store counter. What's this? Is this something that the neighbors gave you? You're mistaken, Vanir-san. When I was watching the store, a bunch of scary men came and suddenly asked me, excuse us. Oi, this store seems like it could earn a lot of money, but it doesn't look like it makes money. How much money does this store make each month? When I told them that the store loses money each day and that I haven't eaten anything in a while, on the store counter was bread and meat sticks that were probably bought from the nearby stores. They were probably the companions of the man moi had spoken with. That person's companions had come to do business, but after seeing the state of poverty this store was in, they instead gave some food and left peacefully. How should moi say this? Isn't this great? We can eat till we're full. Yes, I haven't eaten anything in a long time. It's great that we can consume something that stays in our stomachs. Unlike how they look, they're actually really good people. Truthfully, you can't judge people by their looks. Part 3 the next morning. As moi finished sweeping the storefront, moi decided to sweep for the nearby stores as well. It was then that moi saw something stuck to neighboring store's door. Is this a symbol of a crow? Stuck on the door was the seal of a three-legged crow. Glancing at the other stores nearby, it seemed that all the doors had the same seal stamped onto them. Store owner, about the seals that have been stamped on the doors of the nearby stores, would you happen to know what they are? As moi returned to the store, moi absent-mindedly asked the store owner. The people from the security organization yesterday carried the same seal, I think. Also, if you walk along the streets you can see the seal everywhere. Is this a new trend? Once was said, security organization, moi realized what had happened. It was something done by that man who was harassing the Apple store owner yesterday. Don't mind it. Anyway, come accompany moi for a moment. Since it doesn't seem like there will be any customers coming today, let us go look around town. For a couple hours, Wiz and moi walked around town. Wiz, who hummed as she paced along the street, suddenly murmured. Without noticing, almost all the stores in the town of Axel have that steel stamped on the doors. Yes, it truly felt like it had happened without moi noticing. Originally, the public order of this town was already quite good, so moi thought that it would be unnecessary to hire a security organization. Then, wait you people, give it a rest already. If you keep doing this then the other customers can't come in. Loud shouts could be heard coming from the set menu restaurant in front of moi. In any case, it was about noontime. For any restaurant, this was the prime time for business. We understand what you're saying, but we're also customers, you know? What you gotta say about it? At the same time, the group of men became possessed by laughter. As moi took a glimpse inside, moi saw 5 bulky and crude men taking up all the seats in the store. All of them wore shirts that had the bird-shaped mark on the back. It was the bird that was currently trendy. A customer has to order something to be called a customer. You guys, since you've entered the store you haven't ordered anything, and have just been seated the whole time. The lady owner gazed strongly at the laughing men. What are you saying? Aren't we looking at the menu right now? There are too many delicious dishes, so we're stuck trying to decide. Right, everyone. Yeah, all of them are a feast for my eyes. Though there are only 5 set menus to choose from. The men began to laugh again, though moi did not understand what was there to laugh about. As the lady balled her hands into fists in frustration, one of the men approached. Against this kind of troublesome customer, you need a security organization, don't you? Even if you call the cops, if these guys just order when the cops arrive, then the cops can't do anything about it. You should realize that no matter how hard you try, it's futile, right? The man's face did not carry a threatening expression, but rather a lecturing expression. You see, if this store puts this seal on its storefront, then nothing like this would ever happen from now on. Even though you have to give a bit of your revenue every month for the seal, this store can handle it, right? As the man said that, he presented the seal in his hand. Moi see, so it was like this. These people were a criminal organization that pretended to be a security organization. They wanted to gather customers like this, and take a portion of their customers' revenue as a protection fee. Hey, you've worked hard. All the food stores in this area except yours have already fallen under our jurisdiction. Though I said that, now that I look closely, aren't you quite cute? So. As the man put his hand on the lady's shoulders. Please wait. Wiz, who stood beside moi, shouted at the men. Perhaps due to her heightened emotions, magic power furiously protruded from Wiz's body, as she approached the men step by step. Sensing Wiz's presence, the men shifted slightly backwards. Wiz-san. If Wiz-san is here, then it's over for you people. It seems like you people have come from another town, so let me tell you. Wiz-san, before she opened a magic tool store, was a powerful arch-wizard. Faced with the lady's proud boasting, the man holding the seal, despite his worried demeanor, raised his chest high. What Dia gonna say about it? We're people from the security organization situated in the nearby towns, people from Yatagarasu. Towards the men who tried their best to hold their bluff. The only thing I would recommend from this store is the toad teriyaki set menu. The toad meat that usually has a light taste is really juicy here, and it goes really well with rice. With only one piece of toad teriyaki, I can eat 2 bowls of rice. Alright, impertinent store owner, please come over here for a bit. Moi will give thee who has the same situational awareness as that brutish goddess a lecture. What for, Vonnier-san? I heard that they didn't know what to order, so I gave them a recommendation. Wiz was taken aback by moi words. On the other hand, the man glanced at his companion to signal something. Sorry for disturbing you. We'll come again, at that time give us a good response, alright? The group of men quietly left the store. Baberhan, this is really bellishish. If you aren't going to eat, then I'll really take your meal as well, okay? The reason moi would usually eat in front of the empty stomach you is because moi would feel a surge of negative emotions. So you don't have to be so considerate. Go ahead and eat moi portion as well. Anyway, just stop talking for a moment. After the group of men left, the lady gave us a meal as a show of thanks. Wiz tried to be modest at first, she then wolfed down food without remorse. As the lady owner briskly poured tea for Wiz, she said, Wiz-san, thank you very much. Recently, those people have been coming here to make trouble. It was obvious that all the stores in this area had been coerced by the security company into signing a contract. First they would make a ruckus in a store, then they would solicit the owners to sign the contract for security. Moi see, it is indeed quite a clever strategy. The man at the Apple store yesterday had attempted to do the same thing. Moi have learned a lot today. What are you saying, Vonnier-san? As an employee of a store in Axel, how can you just let this be? Also, there is no saying when our store will be targeted. Though I still think that they were just troubled about what to order. Those people had come to our store to do business before, but after seeing Wiz's state of poverty, they had peacefully left. However, the things those people did can't be decisively judged as illegal. Moi right? Although it does hurt business, the police can't act towards small incidents like these. Even though moi was a devil, even though it was a terrible incident, moi could not lecture those who were working to subsist their livelihood. No matter if they were kind citizens or someone like those people, to moi, what was truly important was whether or not those people could allow moi to taste the best of negative emotions. As moi preached the reality of the situation with effort, Wiz, who had finished 2 persons worth of set meals, slapped the table as she stood from her seat. I'm very disappointed in you, Vonnier-san. I thought that you were strange, but I also thought you were kind on the inside. Does Vonnier-san not have a sense of justice? Though, if I were to be persuaded by that kind of talk, then it would invalidate moi existence. However, if we look closely, they've already controlled this many stores. On the way home from the restaurant that became busy after we had driven the men away, moi saw the seal stamped on the doors of various stores. Ugh, Vonnier-san, is there really no way? Shouldn't now be the time to use your clairvoyant power for the greater good of the people? Though moi have occasionally thought of that, what exactly dost thou see in moi? Moi would drive away the crows from the garbage disposals. Moi would also repel the monsters around Axel. However, moi did that not to innocently help the people, but rather, because there were some benefits for moi to receive. Moi lowered moi shoulders and tiredly walked. Anyway, there is no need to use moi power of clairvoyance. Living in this abnormal town, did you think that this incident would end just like that? Returning to the magic tool store, moi saw a lot of stores stamped with the seal of the security company. Welcome home. At the same moment moi opened the door, I was greeted by the goddess who indulgently made tea for herself while Wiz and moi were gone. Moi was beginning to wonder, despite the circumstances, that this store needed security guards the most. We have returned, Aquasama. Did you take care of the store while we were gone? Thank you very much. Though this is coming from me, but you should pay a bit more attention to locking and closing the entrances to the store. Also, no customers had arrived while you were gone. As moi showed an expression of disdain towards the goddess who drank tea. Wait you, what kind of attitude are you showing this wonderful me, who after a long time had performed a goddess-like deed? The goddess, who was in a surprisingly good mood, said things that no one wanted to hear. Well, just listen. At the store where I usually go to buy alcohol, I saw a group of men wearing strange black shirts. So I used my holy fist to chase them away, but when I did that, I accidentally touched a canister of wine. Then, the Aji-san store owner whose wine turned to water began to cry, even though I protected the piece of Axel. That is wonderful, Aquasama. Actually there is something I want to discuss with this magnificent Aquasama. Ho ho, so the people I drove away were doing that kind of thing, huh? I guess as a goddess I can't just leave this be. See, the leader of the troublesome duo had already come up with a funny man act. Part 4. A couple days after that, the town of Axel had become different from its usual self. Damn it, I'll remember this place. As Moi was returning home after delivering the merchandise, the men with black shirts that had a certain mark on their back shouted at the store that looked like a cafe from the outside as they ran. Moi was familiar with this cafe. Frequent customers, thank you for your help. As a show of thanks, please dream well tonight. Ooh. It was the cafe run by the succubi. The men who chased out the Yatagarasu released a resounding cry of joy. Moi then approached the leader of the succubus, who saw the black shirt men run off. Did those people come to this store as well? Vanir-sama. I don't know where those people heard it from, but they said, this store does shady business right, and threatened to report us to the police. The frequent customers in the store became angry after hearing that, and attacked those people. It would be correct to say that the frequent customers of the shop were mostly high-level adventurers. Moi see. However, establishments like brothels in this town are seen as extremely profitable, so moi think they won't give up just like that. Please be wary. Thank you very much, Vanir-sama. Then about my request for Vanir-sama to protect us. Why should moi care? The humans that would seethe with negative emotions at moi presence aside, you as a devil should act so attached to moi. Either way, if your entourage are truly devils, then you all should defend yourselves. That's terrible. But this cold attitude isn't bad either. For some reason, the succubus that moi had given the cold shoulder smiled warmly at moi. As moi leisurely walked on the street, moi saw the Yatagarasu who continued to perform their solicitation activities. Though the current situation was different, it was within moi expectations. How are you going to recompense me? Your company is responsible for protecting us. If you're going to say that, then why is there even a contract? Even if you say that, there is nothing we can do. You didn't tell us that this store is a gathering place for Axis cultists. What do you want us to do when you pay us so little anyway? It was this kind of situation. A contract is a contract. When the Axis cultists start drinking, they start to harass the other customers, and a large amount of frequent customers have already been driven away because of it. You'll recompense me for the debts incurred, right? If you can't, then I'll tell the other stores that you can't even properly do your job. Goddamn, we'll pay up, but we'll dissolve our contract with this store. Like I'll let that happen. The contract period hasn't ended yet, so remember to send people every day to guard the place. If the Axis cultists come, then properly chase them away. The tavern owner was restlessly arguing with a man from Yatagarasu. Of all things, they just had to sign a contract with that troublesome store. The people of this town, who are used to dealing with abnormal antics, wouldn't have their argument doused so easily. Even though moi had not used moi clairvoyant power, moi had already expected this outcome. On moi way back to the store, what the heck is your security company doing? Because my divine relic was stolen last month, I decided to hire you filthy people. But this time, a large amount of my treasures were stolen. How are you going to take responsibility for this? Please forgive us, Undine-sama, even if you say that this theft was the work of the famous silver-haired thieving group. For our small and weak security company, isn't this opponent is too strong? Anyway, we did not ask Undine-sama for this contract. What did you bastards say? Are you trying to say that your company is unwilling to defend noble families? I didn't mean that. The noble, whose house had been raided by unknown thieves, continued to berate the man from Yatagarasu. Oi, what is it? Who did this? What happened? Were you guys attacked by a mob that didn't like the way we work? And no, a crimson-eyed kid suddenly ran into me. That little brat then scolded me saying, are you looking for a fight? And attacked. A crimson-eyed kid. Oi, could that kid be a crimson magic clansman? I heard that they have really high intelligence, so they can't be that short-tempered, right? Did you do something else to offend them? Even if you say that, I can't think of anything else. The man who had been attacked by a magic user, insufferably squatted on the ground. Please save me. A golden-haired girl in a full set of armor said, you villainous scoundrels. In Arisama's place, I shall defeat you insolent people, and began to slash her sword at us. Then go tell the police. Anyone who uses weapons in town will be immediately arrested. I did. I even ran into the police station asking for help. But when I walked in, all the officers there pretended to not see anything. Then, stop. What the hell are you doing? Stop joking around already. Oi, someone stop him already. Why are you doing this? What do you have against us? Wait a second, I've seen this gold-haired delinquent before. If I'm not wrong, the Adventurers Guild issued a warning announcement telling people to stay away from this guy. Before moi eyes, the merchandise of a street stall lay scattered and shattered across the floor. Several people from Yatagarasu pinned a man down to the floor. Hep, after spending several days in a detention cell, I hear that a bunch of weird guys were oppressing the people in town. Well, too bad, 'cause I'm the one who owns this town. Under my rule, you guys better hurry up and run. As the man freed himself, he said something that even moi had never heard him say before. He had proclaimed himself the ruler of this town. He was the person that one had to be wary of in the town of Axel, the delinquent adventurer Dust. Even as he drowned in the angry shouts of the men from Yatagarasu, he continued, without pause, to destroy the merchandise from the stall. I told you to stop it already. Do you not understand that this stall is under our protection? Are you looking for a fight? If you make such a big ruckus, the police won't just stand there and ignore it, you know? To the men who shouted in rage, amazing, you guys are really amazing. First you take advantage of a gray area to solicit the stores around here and sell protection, then when you're supposed to do your job, you go ask the police to do it instead. You guys look really great. Ha 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 ha. As Dust taunted the men, he began to laugh uncontrollably. In a few moments, he even began to clap his hands and slap his knees. Also, let this police expert tell you one thing. If the police don't receive a damage report from the victim, they won't act whatsoever, you know? So what are you grandpas gonna do? File a damage report? Ha ha ha. We won't. If we do that, you'll hold a grudge against us, and with your terrible reputation, who knows what might happen to us afterwards. You said it right. There were the men who looked as if they were unrelated to this incident. There was the stall owner that had to endure through this mess, and then there was Dust who continued to laugh uncontrollably. Wait a second, Grandpies. Are you sure this is fine? Look at the broken merchandise on the floor, you just gonna take a deep breath and walk away. The surrounding crowd looked on in puzzlement. On the other hand, the stall owner took a deep breath from his cigar and blew loudly. Then, he said, "What kind of nonsense are you saying? Hey, you people, I hired your protection services and you couldn't protect my merchandise. If that is the case, then as the contract says, shouldn't you recompense me for my losses? Stop joking around. If you want us to pay for it, then at least report this to the police. You people can't even defend my merchandise. You think you can defend me from this man? Coo." The men gritted their teeth and gazed at Dust. "Oi, since you were willing to do such a thing, you should understand what I want to say, so come over here. You seem to be an adventurer with a lot of confidence in your own skills, but we are a group that specializes in fighting against people. We'll make sure you regret picking a fight alone. The only thing we'll promise is that we won't beat you to death. Of course, we'll make sure that you'll recompense the store's products. Well then, now that that's said, yeah, ready to brace yourself." As they said that, the men moved to surround Dust. However, the person in jeopardy showed a nonchalant attitude. Rather, he shouted toward somewhere. "Heh, so you understand quickly. However, who said I was alone? Oi, little brat, it's your time to shine. Don't call me a little brat. You dash, I am doing good things, I am doing good things, I am doing good things." At Dust's call, Yun, who had hidden herself in the alleyway, revealed herself. She muttered to herself as she drew her wand. "I heard from Dust-san. You people have been harassing the people of this town, forcing them to sign contracts, and profiting from your misdeeds. As a Crimson Magic clansman, I cannot overlook your acts of evil." "That's good, little brat. Well said. You look cool. Stop calling me a little brat already." With the sudden appearance of a Crimson Magic clansman, the men's resolve shook. "This is bad, it's a Crimson Magic clansman. I heard just now that someone was suddenly attacked by a Crimson Magic clansman. I heard about it as well. I heard that there's a degenerate Crimson Magic clansman here, who would rather cast magic than eat 3 meals a day. I heard that that person is also the cause of the explosion sounds outside town every day. So that person is you." "No, it's not. It isn't me." Yun became worked up due to being framed out of the blue, and her eyes began to shine bright crimson. That color in her eyes means she's about to attack. Damn it, everyone run. This is why we shouldn't mess with Crimson Magic clansmen. Wait. Yun's cry was futile. If anything, the men ran even faster. With an unsatisfied expression, Yun sheathed her wand. Aji-san, are you alright? I don't know why Dust-san went crazy, but he seems to have destroyed all the jugs. You won't be able to run your business now. Who did you say went crazy? Really now, what are you saying with such a serious expression? Ignoring Dust, who quietly murmured, Yun gazed the stall owner with a sorry expression. The stall owner blew smoke from his cigar once again, and shook his head. "I'm not really a stall owner anyway, I'm just a freelancer." Yun stared blankly at the man, as if unable to comprehend what he meant. "Well then, Dust-san, leave the rest to me. We can feel free to take whatever we want." "Yeah, I'll leave this to you. You requested their security services after all. Either way, as long as we have the contract to shield us, we can grab as much as we want. What do ya wanna do? How about we ask for 10 million per jug? Isn't that a bit too much? Let's not choose a number that won't put us at a disadvantage in court." As Yun stared dumbfounded at their exchange of words, Moi approached the three. "Oh, if it isn't Boss Vanier? What are you doing here? Vanier-san? You came at a good time. Please listen, that Aji-san and Dust-san are saying things that I don't understand." Moi kneeled down and picked up a broken piece of a jug. "According to Moi power to see through all, this is just a failed product that was dumped by the ceramic store. Then isn't this just a scam?" Hearing Moi identification of the merchandise, Yun, who had inadvertently become an accomplice in fraud, became worked up once again. "How rude of you to call it that. I was merely trying to make it big with the trash I picked up. After I opened the stall for several days, I coincidentally encountered those security people and requested their services. I did nothing wrong. And I was coincidentally in a bad mood and coincidentally took it out on these jugs that I coincidentally saw. I did nothing wrong. Of course it's wrong. How could that have happened coincidentally? You two know each other, right? By the way, haven't I seen you before? Aren't you that Aji-san that sells junk by saying, 'This monster is gathered from the dungeon, and is a treasure with unknown effects to little kids at the park'? How rude of you. I am merely just selling dreams to those innocent kids. Stop calling me a fraud." As Yun lashed out at the supposed stall owner, the man who had come up with the profit strategy spoke up. "Oi, we can go to 10 more places today. I mean, it's pretty easy work. All we need to do is go to the stores that requested us, and destroy the junk they put there while pretending to be strangers. If those people show up, you'll job of driving them away, my close friend." "So you do know each other. Also I'm not your friend, and I'm not your close friend either. I'm just someone you happen to know. Please don't involve me in this anymore." Well, since those stores left it to these people, their plan will be over before long. "Ah, I see the next store. I asked that homeless old man with too much free time to open the store these couple days. So this entire scam is set up by Dust-san? Please stop, everything is happening as my close friend said it would. Please don't lead me to do wrong things anymore." After using Moi power to foresee their futures, Moi decided to leave before Moi was dragged further into these criminal affairs. Part 5. On a certain night, a few days after the news regarding the arrest of a man that attempted fraud involving a security organization had spread, as Moi was arranging the storeroom, a shout came from the neighboring store. Said, "I don't know anything. Joking around, you didn't pay." Moi did not understand the conversation, but it seems like the neighbors were having an argument. Moi glanced at Wiz, and decided to go inspect the situation. Didn't I already say that I wasn't the one who tore it down? Couldn't some kids from somewhere have torn it down? Is that the truth? Recently, a lot of stores have one-sidedly voided the contract. Couldn't you have thought the same? Don't try to cheat the system. Do you know what happens to the store that don't have the seal? Entering the store, Moi saw a man wearing a shirt imprinted with the seal in question. The female owner of the neighboring store showed a relieved expression as Moi entered. The man seemed to have noticed this as well. "Che. There are a lot of things I have to do tonight, so I'll let this be for now. I'll bring a new seal later, and this time, remember to put it where the kids can't tear off." "Got it." "Well then, see ya. How many stores does this make?" "Ku." The man left in a bad mood. "Vanier-san, you really helped by coming here. For real though, who is tearing down the seals?" Moi does not know whose prank it is, but this is quite a disaster. However, from the marks left by the seal, it seems that it was torn quite precisely. Moi do not think that this is the work of a child. Is that the case? Since I can't confirm whether the seal on the door in my position, I can't figure out when the seal was torn down. Also, our store may reconsider our contract with that store, but since my husband left early, leaving a woman alone to watch the store is a bit unsafe, so we decided request security, but there is nothing to worry about, after all, Moi live next door. For troubles like that, you can come talk to Moi about it. For a price, of course. Though Moi intentions did not seem to be understood, and the lady store owner instead showed a small, tired smile. "Don't treat an obasan like me so kindly, otherwise I will misunderstand." "What are you saying? You are still young. To Moi, you are no different from an infant." "Vanier-san. Fufu, I'll really misunderstand, you know? Calling an obasan like me an infant is a bit too much after all." The lady owner turned her flushed face downward, and murmured with a small voice. "A human in their 40s was about the same as a newborn." Then, Wiz-san? Since when were you here?" The lady owner shouted in surprise. Wiz was spying with an expression of anticipation. "Peeping store owner, what art thou doing?" "Well, Vanier-san hadn't come back after so long, so I was worried about our neighbor, and came to check on the situation." Wiz embarrassedly walked into the store. "You're mistaken, Wiz-san, this is all a misunderstanding. I am devoted to my late husband." Please don't worry. After all, Vanier-san and I don't have that kind of relationship, so you don't have to be considerate from now on." "Then Vanier-san, is our neighbor alright?" After we returned to the magic tool store, Wiz asked such a question. For some reason, she seemed to have great expectations. Apparently someone had pulled a prank, and the lady owner was caught up in it. Since those Yatagarasu people had left in the end, the problem is resolved for now. Wiz exhaled with a relieved expression after hearing that. "So it was like that. Then on to the main question. I will ask you directly. What do you think of the neighbor?" "Moi think that she is a good neighbor that would give her late husband's old clothes to us." "That's not it. I was asking what you thought of her as someone of the opposite gender. I heard from the succubus that come around to play occasionally, that Vanier-san likes older women. So you think Moi would do anything to humans that are merely 40 years old?" "Moi am not a lelicon. Anyway, didn't Moi tell you that devils have no gender?" As Wiz looked at Moi with a regretful expression, the door suddenly flew open. Moi was wondering who would come at this time, but it was actually the familiar lowly succubus. The succubus showed a painful expression and cried, "Vanier-sama, our store. Our store has a serious problem." Part 6. At the behest of the crying succubus, Wiz and Moi rushed along the streets at night. "Well, what has happened? What do you mean your store has a serious problem?" To not stray too far from Wiz and the succubus, Moi slowed my pace to match theirs, and asked about the situation. "That is, a group of Yatagarasu people came at night to attack our store." Despite her crying, the succubus desperately continued to run in order not be left behind by Wiz and Moi. The frequent customers of that store, in anticipation of their wonderful dreams, would return home and go to sleep early. Though Moi felt that the Yatagarasu that attacked the store didn't know the succubi's true identities, but they seemed to be in luck, as they had chosen to attack at a time when no male customers were present. However, for Moi to make things clear, Moi abruptly stopped moving. If you are suddenly attacked by people, it is no good to immediately come ask Moi for help. Even if you are a minor devil, you should be able to feed on the spiritual energy of normal people and use that power to fight. Moi devils are a class above humans, you know," said Moi frankly to the succubus, who was wondering why Moi had stopped. "Vanier-san, what are you saying to this young child?" Though this succubus appeared to be young, there was no doubt that she was older than Wiz. "It's alright, I understand that what Vanier-sama said is correct." As the succubus' shoulders dropped depressively, Wiz glared fiercely at Moi. "I thought that you were better than this, Vanier-san. Even though this child has come to beg for your help, you decide to ignore her. Vanier-san, are you even human? Though, Moi am a devil. This is not the time for jokes." Though, Moi was not joking. Devils have their own rules and values. The weak are discarded, and the strong dominate. Devils that have power are justice, those that don't are forced to serve. To act freely according to your own desires is a devil's morality. Only the weak are chained by their beliefs of self-governance. "Even if you suddenly say such earnest things, I won't be fooled." Wiz was visibly shaken by Moi, who suddenly recited the values of a devil. What Moi said was nothing earnest. Moi was merely explained a devil's pride and way of life. Moi continued to lecture Wiz. Moi, in order to dine on the negative emotions of humans, have done all types of things to all types of people. Just the other day, Moi sold a bunch of products to a certain brat, claiming that it was the underwear of the sexy store owner. The next day, Moi said, "Oops, the things Moi sold to you yesterday was actually the underwear of a cross-dressing man. Please forgive Moi mistake," and made him cry. "Wait, you said something that I can't ignore." Moi then turned Moi head to meet the gaze of the succubus. Of course Moi, having done that, am prepared to be hunted at any time. Yes, Moi desires is to make the deepest and largest dungeon in the world, and to meet the blows of the adventurers would eventually arrive at the lowest floor. Then, after they defeat Moi in a deadly battle, Moi will disappear while laughing at the adventurers staring at an empty treasure chest. Though now that I've heard that, I'm starting to wonder if I should really help make Vonir-san's dungeon. Ignoring Wiz, who said some troublesome things, Moi said to the succubus. Then allow Moi to ask thee, whom treat this town as an oasis, and have thrown away a devil's pride. Originally, the succubi are an existence that shouldn't be loved by men, but rather, feared. Even so, dost thou desire Moi protection? If thou would have Moi help, then by Moi name as the Duke of Hell, I shall trample across them and show those humans true fear. Now, choose. Wiz seemed to be flustered by Moi's earnest attitude. On the other hand, the succubus took a deep breath and raised her head to face Moi. Vonir-sama, I have decided. Until now, we have always been following your image, but tonight, we will show you the true power of a succubus. Humans are a tasty meal. For us, they are a meal that contains an infinite amount of spiritual energy. That is the way, Moi countrymen. How could we devils be bullied by mere humans? Allow Moi, who art the devil that sees through all, witness thy grand performance. Hearing Moi words, the succubus expression shone brilliantly. Though Moi am righteous as to never tell a lie except for when Moi am preparing a meal, allow Moi to take back what Moi said. What are you saying all of a sudden, Vonir-sama? What about my spirit that was prepared to do what I needed? Having arrived outside the succubus store, Moi saw an unexpected sight. On the ground in front of the store was a pile of men. Of course, they could be none other than Yatagarasu's men. However, the succubus that had driven off the men stood frozen in front of the store, their faces pale like toads encountering a snake. Then, the culprit that caused the succubus to stop said to Wiz and Moi, "You guys, what are you doing here? Did you come to witness me gracefully exterminate these succubi?" Part 7. What kind of situation was this? Vonir-sama, do you know that person? I've met that priest before. When I infiltrated a certain mansion to do my work, that person captured me with a barrier, and I was almost erased. In this sudden situation, the lowly succubus did not seem to understand who their opponent was. However, the succubi who froze at the doorstep seemed to have already noticed the true identity of this unknown girl. That is, the fact that she was the natural enemy of all devils, a goddess. That strange creature sometimes comes to Moi's store to drink tea. That creature has the habit of seeing devils and undead as enemies, and has the bothersome property of changing all the liquids it touches into pure water. Yes. Moi pointed to the twitching goddess. It is what you might call the Axis cult's goddess. The infamous Axis cult. Before the ringleader of said cult, the succubi began to tremble in fear, and collectively gathered behind Moi. From behind Moi could hear frightened murmurs saying, "Please save us. Aquasama, what are you doing here at this time of day?" I don't really understand what is happening." Feeling the tense atmosphere between the goddess and Moi, Wiz hurriedly tried to smooth things over. "I heard that people have been sticking these seal thingies to people's stores, and that it has been causing the townspeople a lot of trouble. So I decided that it was display my exquisite gum-removing technique by tearing down the seals." "Aquasama, I told you before that it was not the store owners that were troubled by the seals. The unrest in town was caused by the forced solicitation of store owners by the people selling those crow seals." Though Wiz had quite precisely explained the situation, it seems that the goddess failed to understand. It would also appear that the seal stamped on one neighbor's door was removed by this goddess who liked to do superfluous things. Needless to say, the goddess continued to boast about her supposedly righteous activities. "I've endured and worked hard, you know. Day after day, I went around town to removing these seals. I grew tired of this dull job at first, but then I started to find joy in removing these seals gracefully and perfectly. Before I knew it, I was right behind these people were stamping these seals. How did this theatrical mess even begin?" As Moi was troubled by this question, the goddess continued on with her monologue. "Just like how I enjoy removing these seals, these people must find enjoyment in stamping them. Sadly, the end of these happy days seems to be coming." The goddess looked towards the Yatagarasu people as if they were worthy rivals and continued. "I don't know why, but today these people are stamping these seals at a crazy pace. As I continued to keep up, these people continued to stamp. Then I heard these semi-desperate sounding people shouting, 'Oi, what the heck is happening? Who is doing this? If this keeps going on then this'll never end. At this point, why don't we just do a big place first?' By big place, they meant the stores that made large profits. Due to the abnormal people of this town, these men were unable to make large profits. On the contrary, they were actually carrying large debts. Furthermore, when their contracts were voided through the removal of the seals, they had no way to tell who the culprit was. Because of that, the men could not tell whether the store intended to void the contract, or whether their seal had simply been removed by some unknown entity. In their desperation, they decided to attempt to forcibly take control of the only brothel in this town. One could say that it was popular enough to be called a money tree. However, at the same time, it appeared that this cafe was reaping comparable profits, so they had trouble deciding which target to attack. So because I didn't really understand what these guys were saying, I decided to follow them in order to find out, but then they suddenly started attacking this store. So then, the sensible me considered my choices, and decided to wait until the people of this store were in a pinch to make my grand entrance. I was sure that I would be revered as a goddess. Then why? The goddess pointed to the succubi that stood near the store entrance. Then why did these succubi appear from the store? So then you see, these succubi used charm and all sorts of techniques to defeat these people. Seeing these succubi, I planned to taste the satisfaction of wiping them all out in one go. Planned too. Why goddesses were allowed the freedom to do as they please, Moi could only wonder. Then, one of the succubus that stood where the goddess was pointing, shouted to Moi, Vanir-sama, this place is dangerous, please make your escape. The succubus that spoke was far below Moi in terms of status. She was the succubus leader that had asked Moi for protection. That time when they had asked Moi for protection, it had been an excuse to get closer to Moi. Why yes, Vanir-sama, please leave at once. Vanir-sama, I will work hard from here on out. Like Vanir-sama said before, I will defend my devil's pride and try to buy as much time as I can, so. Even the succubus that hid behind Moi since the beginning began to say such things. Everyone, please calm down for a moment. Aquasama, the people who caused the trouble in town are those people over there. Since they attacked a store this time, we can leave for the police to handle, so let's just call it. Don't butt in as you please. As a goddess, I can't just overlook these succubi, you know? Wiz and the petty devil over there, hurry up and move aside. Otherwise you'll be caught up in my divine aura and disappear alright. The goddess who had cut Wiz off gave her final warning. The subject of the warning, the succubi, seemed to have all come to a decision, and stood ready to resist. Then, Vanir-sama. The lowly succubus looked up and showed a questioning expression towards Moi, who had not moved one step from Moi position. Store owner, hurry up and go to that mansion. Call the guardian of this annoying and violent goddess over here. Why yes. After seeing the hurrying was off, Moi turned towards Moi fated enemy with a fearless smile. By any chance did you tell her to go call Kazuma? I'm going to tell you that that's pointless. No matter what you do or say, I'll be sure to exterminate the evil succubi that have encroached themselves upon this town. No one can stop me from doing this righteous duty, and Kazuma has no reason to be angry at me either. The devil that sees through all shall now announce, thy guardian who shall rush here will punish thy thoroughly, and thou shalt cry whilst begging for his forgiveness. The sorrowful lowly succubus that stood behind Moi began to cry at the sight of Moi opposing this goddess. Vanir-sama, please escape from here. Recently I have increased my remaining lives, so I will be fine even if I die once. If this goddess decided to show her true power, it would be a simple task for her to completely annihilate these low-ranked devils along with however many lives they had. This child is correct, Vanir-sama. The Duke of Hell cannot be erased in this kind of place. Moi ignored the succubus leader. For a devil, a contract is absolute. Do thou understand what Moi mean? Oh, of course I understand. But now, Moi listened to the crying succubus leader, and calmly said, Thou asked Moi for protection, did thou not? Moi said to this young succubus earlier, Dost thou desire Moi protection? If thou would have Moi help, then by Moi name as the Duke of Hell, I shall trample across them and show those humans true fear. Now, choose. Since this young one murmured, Save us to Moi, then as Moi had promised, Moi shalt be thou bodyguard. Now, Moi has the duty to protect ye from this mad dog of a goddess before us. Hearing what Moi said, the succubi collectively took a deep breath. Hey you, are you perhaps trying to pick a fight with me? Until now, the only reason I didn't purify you is because Wiz would be sad if you disappeared, you know? You aren't thinking that I would hold back because of such a situation, right? As a dangerous atmosphere surrounded us, the goddess began to release her divine powers. The succubi who felt her divine power, huddled closely together and began to cry. To shield the frightened succubi, Moi took a single step forward. Fu-ha-ha-ha-ha, fu-ha-ha-ha-ha. So you are saying that until now, you have been holding back against Moi. Please, allow Moi to show the proper etiquette. Thank you very kindly. Though you really don't have to worry about Moi. You proclaim yourself to be all-knowing and all-powerful, yet, don't talk about Moi, you haven't even defeated the Demon King yet. So why should Moi be scared? As Moi fanned the flames, the goddess' eyebrows briskly rose. Bring it on, you small fry devil. I'll quickly defeat you, and get my fill of experience points. If you can then do it. You useless goddess who won't grow up no matter how many experience points or levels you get. Wah! For you to also call me a useless goddess. I will absolutely annihilate you until there is nothing left. You're the one that shall be buried instead. Allow Moi to disband the annoying and troublesome mess called the Axis cult. The mad dog goddess and Moi charged at each other with battle cry. Vanir-sama. Part 8 noon the next day. At Wiz's magic tool store, the goddess that kneeled on the floor lowered her head to Moi. Sorry. I don't really, okay? Right. Oh, of course, right? We were lucky that no one lost their lives anyway. In response to the goddess' honest apology, the two succubi anxiously gave their forgiveness. As they were the most involved in this incident, the lowly succubus and the succubus leader had been sent as representatives to hear what the goddess had to say. Moi, who had fought against this goddess in a deadly battle last night, had Moi body destroyed several times, but somehow managed to protect the succubi until her guardian arrived. Then the goddess incurred the full wrath of the guardian that rushed to the scene, which led to this situation. You know, this is the first time I've seen Kazuma-san that angry. He was even more furious than the time I revealed his important perverted magazine hidden under his bed to everyone. Gazing upon the miserable goddess, the two succubus said, That person is a frequent customer of ours. The next time we meet him we'll tell him that Aquasama has fully reflected on her actions. Yes, we'll say good things about you, so please cheer up. To see devils encouraging a goddess, it was truly a rare sight. The succubi even admitted the true nature of the cafe to the goddess, as they continued to the goddess with flattery. Kazuma threatened me by saying that if I exterminate you people, I would become the mortal enemy of the male adventurers of this town. Sorry. Although I don't know what you people are doing, but since you are all so deeply loved by the people of this town, I can't exterminate you. If you two are free, could you come with me to beg forgiveness from Kazuma-san? Oh, of course, Aquasama. In exchange, please keep our activities secret. Looking at the three of them whilst pouring tea, Wiz muttered to herself. So in the end, what happened to that Yatagarasu organization? Yes. As the instigator of these incidents, and having caused a large problem by attacking the cafe, all of Yatagarasu's members were imprisoned. When they claimed that the succubi were running an illegal brothel business, the police immediately began to investigate. However, not only did the police find no evidence of brothel-type businesses, they couldn't even find anything remotely suspicious. Of course, that was the store that sold dreams. Right now, those people were probably being taken good care of by their predecessor in prison. That predecessor was, of course, the delinquent adventurer whom was ringleader of the fraudulent activities. Well, those people probably won't leave the prison anytime soon. Even when they're set free, they'll probably continue to be harmless. Well, that's a case closed, I suppose. Though, this incident was tiring all the same, because of a certain someone who decided to pick a fight. Said Moi to the goddess who continued to kneel on the ground. Hearing what Moi said, the goddess showed a dissatisfied expression. Hey, I of all people have come to earnestly apologize already, can't you just let this one go? Even though you claim to be a greater devil, you can't overlook of a small incident like this? HMPF. Since the self-proclaimed goddess had said so, Moi will consider forgiveness. Yes, say to Moi. This goddess that can't face her human guardian whatsoever, is extremely sorry for picking a fight with the magnificent Vanir-sama. Please forgive me. And Moi will overlook this incident. The eyebrows of the goddess that heard what Moi said, swiftly rose. I'll say this to you first. Though I was ordered to not lay a hand on the succubi, Kazuma never said anything about exterminating you, you know? Though, if you overlook this incident, I will let you go as a bonus. As a bonus. If you understand that much, then please fix your attitude a little. Fuhahaha. As expected of the short-tempered goddess who hasn't reflected on her actions at all. To devils like Moi, following the orders of devils superior to oneself is an absolute rule. Of course, that applies to those succubi. Of course, that means that what that brat of you hears from the succubi is closely correlated to Moi mood. After all, the succubi under Moi protection are almost the lowest ranked amongst devils. Fuhahahaha. The goddess who was taunted by Moi said to the frightened succubus, Hey, the things this person here said about you guys being the lowest ranked and how you must following his orders is a bit too much, isn't it? Should I just purify this person right now? Why, you can't do that. Though Vanir-sama said such things, it is somehow good for us. Yeah, we'll be alright. This way isn't bad either. Naturally, the succubi rejected the goddess' suggestion. Fuhahahaha. This is Moi charisma. Unlike a certain someone who has less believers than her co-high goddess. Nay Wiz and the succubi, could you exit the store for a bit? Otherwise, you might get caught up in this. After that, the goddess, like yesterday, was brought home by her guardian. Part 9 shortly after sunset. An old lamp illuminated the magic tool store. Honestly Vanir-san, please act a bit more like an adult. Can you even be considered a devil that has lived for a long time? Having been dragged into these troublesome incidents for days in a row, Wiz showed a tired expression. You should tell that to that goddess. In the first place, that thing was only kept in control by the efforts of Wiz, that brat and a bunch of other people. Not to mention, that thing is the type to carelessly do whatever it pleases. Have you forgotten the mess it caused during the Eris Thanksgiving festival? Towards Moi logical argument, Wiz solemnly replied. Though that is true, isn't Aquasama is cute even when she's like Theia? What is it? What are you making a fuss about all of a sudden? Name. Vanir-san, what did you call me just now? Moi called you the deaf store owner. I'm absolutely sure that isn't it. Deaf store owner or whatever, say it one more time. Vanir-san, please say it one more time. Wiz relentlessly shook Moi, who had been peacefully seated on a chair. I beg you Vanir-san, this is the first time you called me by name since I lost my humanity. Go talk to the goddess about that. Since a while ago, that goddess has been pestering Moi about how thou and Moi met. While thou art doing so, thou can tell that goddess about how thou became a lich. Out of happiness at what Moi said, Wiz's lips curled into a smile. Yes, I will tell Aquasama about it the next time she comes over to play. Saying that, Wiz gently laughed. By the way, yes. Wiz's seemed to be in an excellent mood tonight, given how she responded to Moi. Due to this incident, the succubus will offer a portion of their profits to Moi. Also, about those Yatagarasu people, the townspeople seem to really hate them, so the police gave Moi a reward for assisting in their capture. Said Moi. Moi looked at Wiz who carried a leather bag in her hands. Really? Since Moi opened the consulting center, Moi had already become a follower and an adventurer guild receptionist. Now, Moi am also the bodyguard for the succubi. In this short time, Moi had done so many different tasks. If the succubi's offerings were added to the other profits that Moi had earned to date, there were enough funds to start a new business. Moi reminisced about the struggles that Moi had overcome to arrive at this point. Though Moi was a devil, Moi shouldn't have done anything to deserve this treatment. If anything had come from these troubles, it was that Moi's hatred for the gods grew even stronger. However, all those troubles led to where Moi am tonight. After all is said and done, the new business that Moi had worked tirelessly for until now, can finally begin. Vanir-san. Yes, what would also follow is... What? Wiz, who was illuminated by the lamp, spoke in a minuscule voice. To be honest, Moi did not want to hear any more of what Wiz had to say. No matter what she would say, Moi did not want to hear it. Even without using Moi clairvoyant power, Moi could see what was coming. Moi could only look at Moi's current self with disdain. Then, actually, you see, about the money in the vault. Vanir-style death ray. To have chosen this old friend to be the one that Moi would achieve Moi wish alongside. Moi could only look at Moi's past self with disdain. Ah, I wish. That Moi wish, and this old friend's wish, will one day be realized. Chapter 5, Today as a Lich Part 1. On a certain day with clear weather. While today was a rest day for the magic tool store, there was a troublesome customer that made herself at home. Come on, I even brought snacks today. Whiz, bring the tea. Hot and thick. Yes, I'll go right now. Without regard for anyone else, the troublesome customer nosily dragged the table from a corner and placed it in the middle of the store. Hurry, I have a lot of time today, so let's hear it. Unlike thou who has an inordinate amount of free time, moi actually have things to do. Seeing this hasty blue-haired goddess, moi could only sigh. This goddess came to the store every day to pester Wiz and moi about our relationship. This goddess was such a nuisance that moi finally decided to tell her. By the way, Aquasama, why are you so curious about our pasts? How should I say this? It's not much of a grand story, you know. Wiz, who was pouring tea, smiled embarrassedly. It seems that she was thinking about the past. Because, doesn't the honest Wiz and this twisted cruel strange mask have polar personalities? I was thinking about how you two got together and couldn't sleep at all. Since there was no other way, I take a long afternoon nap every day. Aquasama, I think you are having trouble sleeping at night because you take afternoon naps. Moi pulled a chair and sat down. As usual, the two of them were having an idiotic conversation. To so much as compare the dishonest store owner who embezzles the store's funds when moi am not looking, with moi who is well known as a hard worker in this town, how disrespectful. As moi spoke, Wiz averted her gaze. The blue-haired goddess glanced at Wiz, and delightfully sipped her tea. In the first place, Wiz, I don't know how you became the dirty existence that is a lich. Since you usually treat me to tea and snacks, I will hear your reasons first. If the reason for becoming a lich is justified, I will go with you to ask Eris for forgiveness when you are summoned by the heavens. In this rare moment, something decent came out of the tea-drinking goddess' mouth. That aside, in this era, the magic skill for becoming a lich is forbidden, and it isn't simple to learn either. So I'm curious as to how you learned the spell in the first place. Allow moi to teach you that. God blow. The rabid dog goddess suddenly threw her first at moi. To avoid being hit, moi quickly turned moi body to sand. Ah, converting your body to sand is unfair, you know. What the heck did you teach Wiz? Eat one blow from me for doing it. Please calm down, Aquasama. Though it's true that Vanir-san was the one that taught me the magic to become a lich. Seeing moi unwilling to return moi normal state, the violent goddess splashed the tea in her cup at moi. Aquasama, if you do that you'll not only make Vanir-san wet, you'll also burn him. Once I pour the tea on him, I can forcibly petrify him. I think I'll throw away this person's mask, so go and bring the trash bag. It looked like this unreasonable goddess had thought of a good idea, so I returned to moi body to normal. Just calm down, you short-tempered goddess. If you exterminate moi, then you won't be able to hear Wiz's interesting story, you know? Are you fine with Wiz will not telling her inconvenient and embarrassing story? What are you saying, Vanir-san? I really don't have any embarrassing and inconvenient stories to tell. Anyway, after she's done with her story, you'll eat my holy fist. Then, the goddess picked up the overturned table and proceeded to pester Wiz for tea. Wiz handily poured the tea, and happily looked towards moi. Well then, Vanir-san, is it alright if I tell the story? And so, with a nostalgic tone, she began to tell her story. Part 2 shouts echoed through the dungeons. Damn it, they're coming again. Rosary, use cleansing magic. The sword master Brad swung his sword at the ogre zombies. Turn undead. Turn undead. We won't be able to break through like this. Everyone, let's pull out already. Screaming with a tearful face, the archpriest Rosary repeatedly cast magic. Don't be an idiot, the treasure chest is right in front of us. While Brad and Rosary were arguing, I completed my chant and released my flame magic. Inferno! In an instant, the dungeon was illuminated and the temperature rose several degrees. At the same time, the ogre zombies that surrounded us were wrapped in scorching flames and collapsed. Overcome with relief when the monsters were wiped out, the two of them fell on the backs. Brad chugged the water in his knapsack and took a large breath. With a wide grin, he said, "Ha, you saved us. As I thought, you're reliable in these kinds of moments, aren't you, Wiz?" I thought I was going to die. Arisama, thank you for allowing us to get through this unharmed. This was recently discovered dungeon near the capital. When we heard that one Demon King army generals had hidden themselves here, our party of 3 rushed here, but you two continue to rest here. While you are resting, I will use my magic to check for traps on the treasure chest. I looked towards the treasure chest that sat deep in the room that was cleared of ogre zombies. For some reason, a treasure chest was placed here in this dungeon. This was either a bait to lure adventurers, or it was a chest that the monsters of the dungeon would use to keep their treasures. Though there were different ways to the intentions for this chest, there was no doubt that for us adventurers, this was a great source of income. Trap search. Enemy search. My hand which I raised towards the treasure chest showed no reaction. Safe, it's not a trap or a mimic. Oh you, then hurry up and open it. Since this treasure chest was placed so deep in the dungeon, it must have something good. Wait Brad, let me confirm the contents of the chest. You sit here and rest. I smiled wryly towards the two who argued over the right to open the chest, and stretched my hand towards the chest. Before I could open the treasure chest, it opened on its own. Boom! Kaya ah! From the treasure chest that suddenly opened with a large noise, something appeared. Caught off guard, I sank towards the ground, petrified by the sudden terror. The thing that flew out of the box stood up. Fuhahahaha, congratulations. Congratulations on your grand prize adventures, for moi was unexpectedly the one in the treasure chest. Now, ye who hath received moi prize, allow to see through ye brilliant futures. Before us, whom were dumbfounded by the sudden situation, stood a masked man. Seeing my expression, the masked man quizzically tilted his head. HMPF, was that too much of a surprise? Moi do not feel the rush of delicious negative emotions. Moi have already waited a month in this treasure chest. Moi have already put this much effort into scaring you, so moi was hoping for a little bit more of a reaction. Hearing the masked man speak, I immediately rebutted. What are you? Why are you in the treasure chest? More importantly, are you a monster? So why did my enemy search have no response? How disrespectful to call the pure and forthcoming moi a monster. Moi haven't even introduced myself yet. Oh lady who said safe, it's not a trap or a mimic, opened the chest with a triumphant look, and then proceeded to be so paralyzed in fright. Though this was the first time we met, this person's random acts made me want to strike him with powerful magic. Oh, why thank you for your delicious negative emotions. Moi am the Demon King Army General known as the Duke of Hell, the Great Devil Vanir. Duke of Hell. While I had thought that he was a mysterious rare monster, but I never thought that he could be such an important figure. Even though we had come to slay the Demon King Army General, we never thought that we would encounter an opponent of this level. The figure before us is a Duke-class devil, a great devil that had once fought against the gods with the future of the world at stake. This type of existence shouldn't be the subordinate under the Demon King that only fought against humans, but... You said you are the great devil from the Demon King's generals? No one like that would be sitting in a box waiting to surprise people. Whiz, Rosary, don't be tricked. This guy's just a pervert. Wait Brad, while it's true that this guy is a pervert, but I recognize him. He looks the same as the picture in the wanted list. When I heard Rosary's words, I hastily stood up and readied my staff. Demon King Army General Vanir. You will be defeated here and now. Whiz. Isn't this opponent too much for us to handle? We're fighting. I Wiz is going to fight, then as an archpriest of the Eris cult, I will also. Seeing us prepare to fight, the devil named Vanir shook his head in resignation. Even though moi said that moi can see through your wonderful futures, so why art thou have to be so barbaric? This is why the Eris cult fanatical believers and combat magician freaks are so. By combat magician freak was he talking about me? This was the first time in my life that someone that I just met had said something so rude, so I didn't know how to respond. What do you mean by the Eris cult's fanatical believers? How dare you say such a thing? Duke of Hell Vanir. Even if I cannot defeat you, I shall seal you on behalf of Eris-sama. Ignoring me, Rosary took out something from her pocket and began to chant her magic. Take this. This is the catalyst that I've been praying to every day since I became a priest. It was the necklace engraved with the symbol of the Eris cult that Rosary always carried with her. She threw the strongest catalyst that had been cultivated for years at Vanir's feet. Sacred shell. Receiving the magic words, the necklace began to release a brilliant light. What is this thing? Without waiting for the sealing magic to activate, Vanir kicked the necklace at his feet away. Ah! You will be cursed for that. Ignoring Rosary, who tearily retrieved the necklace, Vanir raised his arms to indicate that he would not do anything. Please calm down a little, you adventurers. Why don't we first talk for a bit? Saying that, he sat down cross-legged on the floor. Part 3. After Vanir had finished what he had to say, Brad showed a complex expression. So you mean, you, as a Demon King Army General, have been tasked with maintaining the barrier, and you have no intention to harm anyone? We sat in a formation that surrounded Vanir on all sides as we listened to him talk. Though we were troubled by what this strange devil said, we didn't know what to do either. Like I would believe something like that. I mean, this guy a devil, you know. Things like devils are cowardly and fiendish creatures that only think about hurting people, you know. Devils must be destroyed. Since the beginning, Rosary maintained the stance that he must be slain. If you want to say that, things like goddesses don't do anything, they tell their believers that, you will be saved if you believe in me, and advocate things like, if you donate then you can go to heaven to get money. Aren't they also existences that hurt people? This enemy of the gods, I will destroy you. Wait, please wait. Your opponent is a Duke class, you know. Think about it a bit more, would ya? Since he broke your seal so easily, this guy is probably the real deal. Brad abruptly stopped Rosary, who picked up her mace, and released a deep sigh. I understand your feel, but we came here at the request of the capital, with the task to slay the Demon King Army General stationed here. Though I don't mean it in the same way as Rosary, devils are the enemy of mankind. I don't think we can turn a blind eye to this. I looked towards Vanir. It is because this dense girl says such hard-headed things, that she doesn't even notice the thoughts and feelings of the people around her. Dense girl? What do you mean by thoughts and feelings? Whiz, now's not the time for that. More importantly, you too, this guy doesn't even want to fight, so just should calm down already. Brad got between Vanir and I, and flusteredly waved his hands. Emichem, it is as the man who is thinking, it is about time to retire from being an adventurer and marry the companion whom I've always loved, and then pass my days peacefully, says. Oi, what are you saying? Don't say any more of those weird things. Brad, why you couldn't be. About me. No, even you, what are you saying? I don't know what they were making such a big commotion about, but I can't let this devil go. Though I despised surprise attacks, I also understood that this was not an opponent that could be gracefully dealt with. Then who is it? Is it Karen who split from us to go chase the other Demon King General? You can't do that, you know. After all, that girl and Yukinori are in love with one another. Just shut up already. Ignoring the two that continued to make a fuss, I secretly chanted my magic. Light of Saber. I violently waved my arm towards Vanir, who continued to amusedly observe the two. The magic I cast was the favored spell of the Crimson Magic Clan. It was a magic which could cut through anything if the caster's magic power was great enough. Vanir, who had been careless, was decisively cut through by the white light. At the same time, the two who had been quarreling quickly picked up their weapons and assumed a battle stance. It seems that the two adventurers that I had been with for a long time had noticed my chanting of magic. Vanir looked down towards his body with an astonished expression. To think that Moi would be defeated by a surprise attack. Well done, adventurers. As he said that, his lips curved into a peaceful smile, and his body collapsed into dust. Sorry, Demon King General Vanir, even though we only exchanged a few words, I swear I won't forget about you. Though I was relieved that we were able to defeat him, using a surprise attack on someone that had no intention to fight left a bad taste. Whiz, that guy was one of the Demon King's generals. As long as that guy remained, the Demon King fortress barrier would continue to be maintained. You did the right thing, so don't feel bad about it. Why yeah, destroying a devil is a righteous act. I'm sure Arasama is happy about it. I returned a small smile towards the two who tried to console me. It's fine, I'm not that soft. Now, let's return, shall we? We should also go assist Karen and Yukinori on their mission. Right now, the other group of three were probably desperately fighting another of the Demon King generals. Since we've defeated the general hidden in this dungeon, there was no reason to stay here. To exit, I chanted my teleport magic. Teleport! Once the teleportation magic was cast, the mask on the ground began to gather the dirt under it. A body formed and stood up. Did ye think that Moi was defeated? Too bad. Well, please come again from the dungeon entrance. Moi will be waiting for you, adventurers. We heard his immense laughter. Teleportation magic could not be cancelled after activation. Teleporting to the town that was saved as our checkpoint, we stood frozen in place, dumbfounded. Brad murmured. Even though we used more than a week to get there, I will absolutely not forgive that devil. Part 4 a week later. Fuhahahaha. Fuhahahahaha. Delicious, how delicious. Thy negative emotions are truly magnificent. Returning to the deepest floor of the dungeon, we challenged Vanir to a fight. Whiz, Rosary, do it. Kill that guy. Sacred exorcism. The exorcism magic cast by Rosary was easily dodged by Vanir. Light of Saber. However, he wasn't able to avoid my light magic that followed immediately after, and was cut across the body. Vanir, whose body began to collapse like last time, said in a serious manner. To think that Moi would be defeated again. Well done, adventurers. Shut up. It didn't have any effect on you anyway. Rosary, now. Purify him before his body reforms. One more time. Sacred exorcism. Rosary chanted her magic again, and Vanir was struck with an exorcising light. But before the light could consume him, Vanir removed his mask without a care for his collapsing body, and threw the mask into the air with one hand. The mask flew towards Rosary, who had let down her guard after casting magic. Vanir's mask, as if it was vacuumed, attached itself onto Rosary's face. HMPF, for an Eris cultist this body is quite well trained, it's quite easy to move around in it. Rosary paced around the area as if to confirm her body's condition, so that means... Brad, Rosary's body has been possessed. Avoid using your sword to attack. Are you for real? Rosary's a high-level archpriest, you know. How could she be possessed so easily? As if to confirm what I said, Rosary. No, Vanir who possessed her, turned towards Brad. I've been thinking about this for a while now, but Brad has the same smell as a goblin. You wa-ao. Brad, that's not what Rosary said. It's just what the body's possessor said. Don't believe it so easily. As I looked at Brad whose teary face was covered by his arms, I felt the terror of a devil. This devil was dangerous, extremely dangerous. If we don't defeat him now, then there'll be big trouble later. You know, Wiz, how you always massage your shoulders in front of me. It makes me really upset dash. I don't know if your breasts are really that heavy, or if you're purposely doing that. RR dash, Rosary won't say such things. Just get out of that body already. Though Rosary's body seemed to tremble due to the internal struggle for control, the opponent currently had control of the body. So I can't use magic to stop him. It was then. HMPF, your negative emotions are mighty delicious. Well then, what negative emotions will Moi taste next? As an archpriest who is devoted to Eris, how could I allow this devil to do as it pleases? Brad. Whiz. Tie my body up with rope. She has quite impressive mental strength, even though she should be feeling immense pain. Although Vanir still possessed Rosary's body, his tone of voice changed. It was probably because Rosary was resisting his control. Hearing what Rosary said, Brad threw his weapon aside and charged forward. Whiz, use sleep or paralyze magic now. I'll hold down Rosary's body. Though he said that, he was stopped in his tracks by what Vanir did next. Oh wait, if you take one more step I will strip one article of this lady's clothing. Nu, what are you? Before our eyes, Vanir began to strip. First he removed her skirt, and then reached for her top. Rosary, what should I do? For starters, close your eyes would you? Well, then the Moi who is kind will say this. Stay where you are and obediently look towards Moi. If you close your eyes then Moi don't know what shall happen to this lady. Nu. As Vanir moved his hands and threatened to remove the top, her lips curled into a dirty smile. Coo. Since Rosary is held hostage it can't be helped. I can't look away. Just look away. Devils have no gender, so as long as Brad doesn't see it then there's no problem. Well then, this is some extra service. Look here, look at this sensational pose. Stop. I will definitely make you pay. I swear I will. Brad continued to look intently at Vanir, who sat on the ground and began to spread her legs. As Vanir was playing around, I activated my magic. Sleep. At the same time, Vanir dropped to her knees with a thud. So the original is asleep now. Saying that, he threw his mask at the ground a distance away. As Brad rushed towards Rosary, who lay on the floor, Vanir gathered the dirt on the ground to form another body. Once Brad had retrieved Rosary, I began to chant my magic. We'll retreat for today, but we'll come again. Demon King General Vanir, I will definitely defeat you. HMPF, that's the spirit I suppose. Today's negative emotions were quite delicious as well. Teleport. Together with Brad who carried Rosary, we used my teleportation magic to return. It was then, at the final moment, this devil began said needless things. Then moi shall see you, magician who shows a serious personality that scares other adventurers, but is secretly afraid of being alone in old age and is in a bit of a hurry for a relationship. Moi will look forward to the next time you come. After hearing what he said, the landscape before our eyes changed to that of a familiar checkpoint. Brad fearfully spoke to me, who wordlessly faced the ground. You're in a hurry? I will absolutely not forgive that devil. Part 5. Having told this long tale, Wiz gulped her tea and released a long breath. That kind of incident happened. So after that, we would go to where Vanir-san was staying every week. One time, Rosary, whose body was possessed again, was forced to do some weird shake dance in front of Brad. Now that I think about it, there was this time where Vanir-san copied my appearance and starting confessing to Brad. As she said that, Wiz showed a nostalgic smile. Nay, do you want me to exterminate this devil right now? The goddess said such dangerous things. It's in the past, so I don't mind it anymore, Aquasama. Also, a lot of different things happened after that. Even I had begun to think whether it was a bit too much. Moi will not apologize for it. Moi merely did such things in the name of proper self-defense. Moi did not physically harm any of you, so you should say that Moi has a kind heart. Every time we retreated with teleport, Rosary and Brad would start sulking, you know? I'm sure that even now, those two still hold a grudge against Vanir-san. Wiz lightly laughed as she spoke. It's because this child is soft-hearted. But Wiz, you were really amazing before, weren't you? When I heard that your personality and speech used to be so forthcoming and excited, I was slightly taken aback. Though you are like this right now. Like this. The slightly depressed store owner averted her gaze. While she is currently a good-for-nothing store owner whose ability to produce red digits far exceeds that of a NEET, she used to be quite a famous militant. The Demon King Army even knew the name of the party she belonged to, and put a large bounty on her head. Nay, is the bounty on Wiz still valid? Aquasama. Sadly it is now invalid, otherwise Moi would not just leave her be as she is. I guess that's true. Even Vanir-san. Right now, I'm just a kind-hearted lich. As Moi looked at the desperate and crying store owner, Moi wondered how Moi could bring back the brilliant store owner from before. If Moi am not wrong, she used to have the embarrassing nickname of the Ice Witch before. Wow, that's cool. So was Wiz a witch? Was she an Ice Witch? Please stop already, that's enough of this topic. Seeing the embarrassed store owner who covered her face in her hands, the goddess grabbed Moi's shoulders and began to shake Moi. Keep going, keep going. Nay, just keep going already. How did they eventually chase you out? Or how did Wiz become a lich? Moi will continue, so don't be in such a rush, it's unsightly. Also, who must the kind Moi be chased out? As I flicked away the goddess' hands, Moi began to recall the events of that time. Without fail, this militant store owner would come see Moi every week, and at some point it had become a way to spend Moi free time. One day, however, this defective store owner made a big mistake. Now that Moi think about it, Moi could already see a glimpse of the defective store owner from the Wiz back then. Part 6. Having time to spare, Moi was once again attending the regular event that involved fighting the spirited magician named Wiz. Moi was enjoying the event today as well. Fight me, Vanir. I will defeat you today, and send you to join your fallen companions. As usual, Wiz, accompanied by her two companions, pointed at Moi and announced her resolve. Didn't you already say those lines last week? Cursed crystal prison. Reaching the breaking point of her tolerance, Wiz chanted magic without wasting a single breath. Moi removed one of Moi's arms, and threw it towards the incoming magic. When the magic collided with Moi's arm, it was immediately encased in crystal. Moi, what a magnificent object you have created. Not bad, short-tempered magician. If Moi brought this back and sold this, it would surely fetch a high price. Treating me like an idiot again. Though it was true that it would sell for a high price, Wiz looked as though she had been made fun of. Ah, today's negative emotions are truly delicious. Nay, Wiz, just leave this guy alone already. This isn't someone who would lose to us. Rosary is right. How should I say this? This devil defies common sense in a lot of ways. No matter how I think about it, I can't imagine this guy being defeated. However, Wiz instead gave her two companions a confident, invincible smile. It's alright. Did you think I would come here without a strategy? Wiz retrieved a magic scroll from her knapsack. The scroll was covered in magical text. It would appear that it was quite a powerful item. Regardless of who the target is, this scroll will forcibly teleport them to the underground prison in the capital. It doesn't matter if you're a devil or a great magician, anyone that is sent down there will not be able to easily escape. Seeing Wiz triumphantly announce the ability of the scroll, her two companions began to clap in unison. I see now. So the reason you went to the capital to see that famous person was to get permission to use the underground prison. As expected of Wiz, with this scroll you can send him there and lock him up. The two of them were visibly moved. Then, Wiz, scroll in hand, walked towards Moi. When this is activated, all living things in a 1-meter radius will be forcibly teleported. Don't think you can escape. Hearing her triumphant speech, Moi stood in place without showing a hint of resistance. Prepared to open the scroll at any time, she gripped the two ends of the scroll and approached Moi. Take this. Teleport. With a large shout, she opened the scroll and disappeared before Moi's eyes. Whiz. Seeing Whiz suddenly disappear, her two companions shouted in surprise. The real body of a devil is always in hell. When we appear in this world, we merely use some method to create a body, and then take possession of it with our spirit. The two listened intently to what Moi said, but showed confused expressions. Basically, by the logic of this world, Moi am not considered a living organism. The worthless magician pointed it out herself, that all living things in a 1-meter radius will be forcibly teleported. So in the end, all living things in a 1-meter radius were teleported and imprisoned in the underground prison at the capital. Your group's leader is far too interesting. Does she come every time in order to entertain Moi? Will you two fools be able to return to the surface safely? We'll try. The two companions that seemed exhausted went to go fetch their useless magician. Then, a few days after that, Vanir, today I will finally exterminate you. So you came again, absent-minded magician. Absent-minded magician. Brad, Rosary, prepare the thing that we brought. Wiz stood in front of Moi, as the other two surrounded Moi in some sort of triangular formation. The three of them each brought out some magic tool, and threw it on the ground. Then, Moi was enclosed by a triangular barrier. We purchased this prized magic tool directly from the village of Crimson Magic. Though this was obtained at an extremely high price, anyone trapped by it cannot escape, and it is also impervious to all attacks. Furthermore, the effect will last for an entire month. It is an amazing item. Hearing what she said, Moi approached the barrier and poked it. Moi see, it would be quite troublesome to destroy this barrier. To obtain this, she must have paid an exorbitant price. This way, you cannot attack us, nor can you escape. On the flip side, all we need to do is stay outside the barrier and rest until our mana is replenished. This will be a one-sided hunt. Now Rosary, do it. Perhaps it was because Wiz felt like she would no longer have to put up with Moi actions, but her expression was filled with extraordinary triumph. However, nay Wiz, didn't you say that it is impervious to all attacks, and that anyone trapped by it cannot escape? Can my magic pass through and hit Vanir? Wiz's triumphant expression froze as she took in the meaning of Rosary's words. Moi laid down on the ground with a plop. Moi see. In order to protect Moi from vicious adventurers filled with bloodlust, you spent a great fortune and bought this for Moi. Well then, Moi shall allow myself to be spoiled by this pleasant gift, and temporarily indulge in a sedentary lifestyle. Cool. Seeing Moi lay down using Moi's right arm as a pillow, Wiz grinded her teeth in frustration, and pressed her cheek against the barrier. Wiz, sometimes, I don't know whether I should call you a genius or an idiot. Nay Wiz, you said that you used half of your savings in order to get this magic tool, right? Are you living expenses fine? Do I need to lend you some? Wiz directly a sideways glance towards her empathetic companions. In this time, Moi deliberately shifting myself into Wiz's line of sight, and presented to her the entirety of Moi's defenseless visage. Moi even added a long yawn to taunt her. The inside of this barrier is more comfortable than Moi expected. Would thou like to join Moi? Oh Moi bad, Moi forgot that people cannot enter into this area. Please do pardon Moi. Seeing Wiz furiously bang on the barrier in frustration, Brad and Rosary tried to pull her away. HMPF, the negative emotions coming from Wiz were a true delicacy. Calm down Wiz, your image of the always cool ice witch is breaking. How about we go home for today? This barrier will last for a month, right? Since we can't do anything about it, how about we go defeat another general somewhere else? Yukinori and Karen are having more trouble than expected as well. Having judged that doing anything more would be wasted effort, the two companions stepped in to stop Wiz. Oh ho. Thou has a cool nickname like the Ice Witch? Moi is interested in your true power. How about this? Moi will not resist in any way so that Moi may witness your power firsthand. Light of Saber. Wiz, whose mental state had snapped in its entirety, quickly chanted magic and slashed at Moi. In the end, not only did the magic not hit Moi, it did not even leave a scratch in the barrier. Fuhahahaha. Even though the name of the ice witch makes people think that she is cool, each and every time she comes to display her true talent, Moi cannot help but enjoy it in its entirety. Oh, amusing magician. Moi will forgive you for this ruckus today, so please come again after 1 month. Demon King General Vanir. You'll regret this in 1 month. Wiz, who frustratedly was bit her lip and held back tears, managed to say this line towards Moi, and as usual, she used teleport to return home. About a month after that amusing magician had returned home in tears. Boom. Hi-ya. As Moi flew out of the treasure chest, the adventurers shrieked in fright. However, once they laid their eyes on Moi, they would stand still in stupor, and then, Vanir. It's the Demon King General, Vanir. Kaya. Don't leave me behind, wait. Hurry up and run. Wait for me, HMPF. How should Moi say this? The open and surprise. Vanir chest strategy was not quite working. Until now, the only ones that did not run away at the sight of Moi was that amusing magician's party. As Moi saw the crying adventurers off, Moi murmured to myself. Now that Moi think about it, it should be almost time for that amusing magician to show up. What kind of thing will Moi be able to enjoy this time? Rather, how about Moi be the one to do something this time? Yes, if Moi memory serves right, that amusing magician had spent half her savings last time. Then Moi shall pose as a wounded adventurer that had been left behind in this dungeon, and ask for her help. Once Moi enter their party, Moi will use the excuse of treating them to a meal as thanks and invite them to a high-class restaurant. Finally, after Moi gracefully escapes without paying, Moi will appear in front of the magician in debt, and tell her this. The ice witch ate without paying the bill? Though moi am a devil, how about moi treat you to a meal? Alright, then moi shall do this. Demon King General Vonir. Today, I will fight you seriously. Just as moi was about to transform into a wounded adventurer and play dead. A cold, sharp gaze. In the cold atmosphere that would surely remind one of ice, moi stood straight up. Good grief. The ice magician whose spirit is different from usual, what's wrong? Are you so indebted now that you don't care how you appear anymore? Cursed crystal prison. Wiz rebutted to moi joke with magic. Though moi had immediately retreated, moi right foot that was caught by the magic and became frozen. Ah, another sudden greeting, oh lonely magician. Did I forget to bring companions today? Moi cut off moi frozen right foot and regenerated a new one from the floor. Yes, today Wiz was alone. The two that always accompanied her were missing. Furthermore, even though moi had thrown a light joke towards Wiz, her tense atmosphere did not dissipate like usual. Though it's regretful, I did not come around to play today. With a cold expression, she took out a small crystal from her bag. Moi had seen that crystal before. It was a forbidden fruit that would consume the user's lifespan in exchange for an extreme amount of magic power. At the same time that moi had affirmed the identity of the crystal, announcing the beginning of our true battle, was shouted with extraordinary spirit. Inferno. Part 7. How much time had passed since we began? Cursed. Lightning. Was murmured in a small voice, and her right hand shone with light. However, a dark lightning was not released from her hand. Wiz powerlessly dropped to the floor. The interior of the dungeon had been made barren by a barrage of amazing magic. It was to the extent that the dirt of the neatly formed path formed a natural cave. Ah, that was quite the impressive rampage. Just a little more, and you would have depleted one of moi lives. Wiz, who had staked her life without hesitation, left moi at a loss for words. This was the first time in several hundred years that moi had been pushed to this extent. Moi had decided not to use moi power against a human opponent, but this time, moi was unable to follow through with that decision. Though moi had nullified Wiz's magic countless times, and forced her to consume all her crystals and magic tools, moi never thought that she would go learn anti-devil curses for the sole sake of defeating moi. Wiz bit her lip in frustration, but as a result of depleting her magic power, she could only sit idly on the ground. She looked up towards moi. Why are you such an unfair devil? I used that many manatite and scrolls, and went so far as to use a forbidden item. Is there even a way to defeat you? If thou want to at least deplete one of moi lives, I suppose thou shall need to learn explosion magic. Towards moi joke, Wiz began to laugh. Of course, there was no one strange enough to learn that useless magic. Existences with infinite lifespan like undead or evil gods may occasionally choose to learn explosion magic, but it was impossible for normal human that had already achieved a high level to do the same. Wiz, who understood this much, showed a small smile. You're right. Then next time why don't I learn explosion magic? If there is a next time. Saying that, she pulled something out. It was a single piece of paper. Despite going through such an intense battle, this paper was undamaged. It seemed like a protection magic had been cast on it. Wiz pushed the paper towards moi, and quickly closed her eyes. Having roused moi interest, moi received the paper. A contract. Written on the paper were the terms of the contract with the devil. In exchange for her soul, she wanted the curse that had been placed on her companions removed. What are your intentions? To complete a devil's contract was not simple. First, you would have to gain the approval of the devil. Then, you would have to pay the price decided the devil in order to complete the contract. Is my power not enough for this contract? Even though I thought I displayed my true abilities. Basically, she had staked her life in that battle in order to gain more recognition towards her power. To be honest, moi am impressed that a human was able to push moi this far. However, moi does not quite understand the contents of this contract. To lift the curse in exchange for thy soul. Wiz straightforwardly answered moi inquiry. It was quite an innocent situation. During the month that moi spent pointlessly in the barrier, Wiz's group accepted another request to hunt another of the Demon King's generals. Though they managed to heavily wound the general in the fierce battle, everyone in the area was cursed with premonition of death. They were given 1 month to live. Even the greatest archpriests in the capital were unable to lift the curse. In order to spend the rest of their lives meaningfully, her companions decided to live through each and every day, doing things without regret. Then the one person remaining, Wiz. For the sake of saving the lives of your companions, you came here alone. I considered pursuing the Demon King General in order to lift the curse, but he had already escaped into the Demon King's castle. Then, is my life not enough? With an expression that showed her fading hopes, Wiz laughed at her own helplessness. Using the forbidden magic tool, she had consumed most of her lifespan. She should understand that what she offered was not of equal value to her wish. In other words, she had bet on a lost gamble. Though she was called the Ice Witch, she was actually an awkward and kind magician. To the magician that had given moi such enjoyment times in the last few months, moi said, "Of course, it is not enough." Moi clearly told her the expectedly reply. Having too expected such an answer, Wiz slightly nodded and smiled weakly. Moi am the Duke of Hell, moi am Vanir, who is considered to be more powerful than the Demon King himself, the one who holds the first seat amongst the 7 archdevils. A soul that has been consumed by a magic tool is not a worthy price to pay. Wiz gave a wry smile. However, it is not like there is no other way. However, she froze as moi continued. That is. If you give me such expectations, and then say, too bad, there is actually no other way. I will do everything I can do bring you down with me, okay? Though she was able to show such an energetic response, Wiz, who used a forbidden item to the limit, did not have much time remaining. Moi revealed an evil grin. Moi, who does not easily call others by name. Thy name is Wiz, right? To the first human I have recognized, moi am a devil. As should be expect, moi was are not righteous, nor are they correct. Even so, if thy still desires to cling to moi, then. Part 8. 1 week passed since Wiz and moi separated. Moi had taught that amusing magician a forbidden technique. If the forbidden technique was successful, then moi will allow her to realize a certain desire. It was the greatest of moi many dreams. It was the big dream of creating moi own dungeon. However, it was not something that moi could do alone. In order to realize that wish, moi taught her a power technique, but, well, what moi taught her could only be used by people of considerable power. It was a curse that had been sealed for hundreds of years. Normally, it was not a curse could be successfully activated by someone nearing the end of their lifespan. Even though it was set for failure, moi bit on the slim chance of success, and light-heartedly taught her. But, for some reason, moi had become bored of the adventurer who delved into the dungeon. Since moi had tasted the delicacy that was the amusing magician's negative emotions, that of others became tasteless. Right now, that magician was probably lying dead somewhere. In other words, she was troubled by whether or not she should use curse, and ultimately decided to end her life as a human. If moi decided to use moi clairvoyant power, then moi would know her conclusion. However, for some reason, moi decided not to use this power. That said, currently, moi was at the highest floor of the Demon King's castle. Moi had gracefully finished moi meal in the lodgings reserved for elites, and was wondering what to do with moi spare time. It was then. There's trouble. Hey you guys, there big trouble. Everyone quickly prepare for battle. A large demon rushed in. What's the matter? Seeing the Demon King army elite showing a blank gaze with its arms wrapped around its legs, the demon released a piercing shriek. Since moi post-dining atmosphere was abruptly disturbed by another incident, moi inquired the demon with a sour mood. What have you rushed here for all of a sudden? That person have just become moi afternoon tea. In other words, moi transformed into the beautiful girl that person likes, played with him for a while, and then revealed moi true identity. What are you doing, Vanir-sama? We already asked you many times to stop eating the negative emotions of the people in the castle. Albeit you just said those words to moi, who is a devil. Anyway, what has happened? Did the old and withered Demon King finally pass away? That person is already quite old, isn't he? Please don't say such ominous things. We have an intruder, an intruder. The guards sent to intercept the intruder are being defeated one after another. It was rare for there to be such a tenacious invader. However, well then, aren't there quite a few generals here at the moment? Since they usually have nothing to do but laze around and eat, this would be a good time to use them. That's what I should be saying to Vanir-sama. This invader had roused moi interest, and headed in the direction from where moi would occasionally hear explosion sounds. Then what about the castle's barrier? That's not something that should be easily broken. About that, the invader has a scary amount of magic power, and used light of saber magic to forcibly cut the barrier apart. That barrier was forcefully cut apart by magic? It was something that moi did not think even the Crimson Magic Clan could do. Anyhow, there was something odd about this incident. You said the invader was a magician, right? Is it a single person? Yes, it is a single person. Even though the general with high magic resistance, Hansama, left to intercept the invader at the lobby of the first floor, he was frozen and has become unable to fight. After that, Sylvia-sama, who also has high magic resistance, went to intercept the invader, but the invader was able to defeat the deadly poison Slimehans with powerful magic? With some anticipation, moi hurried moi steps. The result. About that, Sylvia-sama was unaffected by the magic, but then for some reason the invader charged forward. When Sylvia-sama's body was touched, she suddenly collapsed and has become unable to fight, just like Hansama. There was no mistaking it. If moi am not wrong, then the headless middle-aged man is currently resting on the floor below. The invader's target destination is most likely there, so follow moi. By the headless middle-aged man you undoubtedly mean Beldia-sama, right? Ah, Vanir-sama, it is dangerous. We cannot allow any more generals to be defeated, so I will go first. The pale-faced ogre moved in front of moi, and we began to move downstairs. By the way, is the invader a female? Yes, the opponent is a brown-haired female magician. Vanir-sama, do you know this invader? Moi did not reply to this inquiry, and wordlessly continued to walk downstairs. We arrived at the lower floor. It was then. I understand. Please calm down, it was the curse, right? You came all the way here to ask me to lift the premonition of death, right? In recognition of your resolve to come all the way to the depths of the Demon King Castle, I will lift the curse on your companions. That's why, let's just call it a draw for today. Hiya-iya. From Beldia's lodgings, the sound of Beldia's cries mixed with various magical explosion sounds could be heard. At the same time, from the vicinity of the room, frightful screams could be heard. Beldia-sama has been done in. Who the hell is that person? I know about that person. That person is the party leader of that capable party that had a bounty placed on them. The voices belonged to the Demon King army soldiers that had gathered to defend Beldia. The crying voices were a considerable distance away from Beldia's lodgings, and they appeared to be meekly observing situation from afar. Vanir-sama, this is bad news. For some reason, that magician has an unthinkable amount of magic power. I surrounded her with the other soldiers here, and we were blown away in an instant. Moi continued to walk towards the lodgings without a care for what the ogre said. Why, that is quite a refreshing expression, oh amusing magician. Can you stop calling me amusing magician? Since I gave up on being human, I'm no longer an adventurer. The figure that exited the burnt lodgings was unmistakably that magician. She probably looked so lively because she learned a new skill and had continuously used it to absorb magic power and life from the castle soldiers. Moi wholeheartedly resisted the urge to smile. Then it would be correct to say that this is the first time we've met? Wiz's usual tense atmosphere was nowhere to be seen, and as if possessed by the devil, she showed a rather fresh expression. With a small murmur, she said, I suppose so, and then, nice to meet you, Vanir-san. I am the beginner lich, Wiz. Due to the warm smile on her face, her newfound self didn't seem strange in the slightest. I have come to fulfill our promise. Epilogue. Like this, the store owner that was reborn as a lich. After that, the Demon King requested that she, as compensation for her rampage through the castle, become one of the Demon King generals that maintain the barrier. Though her companions were freed from the premonition of death, she was no longer human, and thus she retired from being an adventurer. She decided to open a store in the town where she first met her companions. Having told them that if they were tired, they could come around to play any time, she awaits their arrival in this store. Rumor has it that one of her former companions died in a fierce battle against a large bounty target, but even so, this spirited store owner continues to wait for their arrival. V. Vanir-san. Since then, the militant store owner has become completely jaded. As of present, she gives the impression of extreme meekness. Sometimes moi wonder where the one that said, "I have come to fulfill our promise," is. Ah, where has that disciplined, forward-facing and powerful magician disappeared to? Vanir-san, with a troubled expression, was tugged on moi's sleeves. What is it? Moi was wondering whether to tell the tale of how moi managed to taste interesting and strange negative emotions from the Demon King's subordinates, or the tale of how much the Demon King cried after the thieving store owner took as she pleased from the treasury, only to open a store in the castle. That's not it. Aquasama has. Moi looked at where Wiz was pointing, and saw the goddess sleeping comfortably on the tabletop. Ignorant to the situation around her, the goddess drooled as she slept. If she is in this defenseless state, then moi should use moi sure kill death ray to send her to her grave. That's wrong, you know. Since she seems to be sleeping so comfortably, let just leave her be all right. Wiz, who, as usual, was soft towards the goddess, smiled wryly at moi. Then, Wiz pleasantly smiled at the soundly sleeping goddess and continued to happily sip her tea. Moi supposed that just for today, moi would leave this goddess be. After all, today was a very special day for this store owner. At the very least, this day should be passed peacefully. Vanir-san, you seem to be in a good mood. How should I say this? You're only in a good mood when you're plotting something. So what is it? What are you planning to do today? To categorize moi as a troublemaker such as thyself is disrespectful. Moi merely used moi power to see the future, and foresaw that a little event will occur today. Yes, moi enjoyed seeing a human's surprised expression. A little event? As in, the customers will finally come to understand the value of our merchandise, or that the store will become prosperous. That would be called a huge incident, not a small event. Moi glanced sideways at comfortably sleep goddess on the table, and turned moi attention toward the door of the store. Through moi actions, Wiz seems to have also noticed that a customer was coming. As the door opened, Wiz's expression changed from surprise, to nostalgia, to a warm, gentle smile. The customers that entered the store carried a child. They were two familiar, former adventurers.